I just knew we had to start with the title theme here. Instant nostalgia. At one point in time, the Angry Birds franchise was so successful that it got its very own TV show. Well, I guess not really. I never saw this thing on Nickelodeon or something. I just watched it on the Angry Birds Toons app. Regardless, Angry Birds Toons was a way to connect with the main birds of the flock, and occasionally some of the bad piggies too. There's even a sex episode, and if you would like to only see the sex episode, I have the exact timestamp in the description, so, you know, whenever you're ready, it's there. It's waiting for you. Each episode was about 3 minutes long, and we got 3 seasons worth of episodes. If you have ever been a fan of the series, then I bet you've seen at least 1 or 2 of these. If you're like me though, you've seen all of these, multiple times probably. But it's been a while, so I say we should probably watch them all again, since we're much smarter and cooler now. I also gotta say, it's kinda crazy how well animated these episodes are. This show looks better than most of the animation I see on TV these days. I was just going to talk about Season 1, but the sex episode isn't until Season 2, and if you forgot already, the entire point of this video is to talk about the sex episode! And hey, we're already over halfway there, so we might as well just finish up Season 3 once the sex episode is over. Man, I'm gonna be so freaking sad when the sex episode is over. There are 104 episodes of the show, which honestly has Phineas and Ferb shaking in their boots right now. It also has me shaking in my boots, since that is more than double of any tier list I've done before this. It's probably going to be really rough, but we got this, we got this. Other than that, I don't have much else to introduce. I have sadly made it a tradition to list every item I will be ranking in a video, and I of course cannot back out now. I don't blame you for skipping past this section, but it'll honestly be pretty fun to hear me go crazy by the end of it. And this is like a marathon, I'm going to have to sit down for this. Okay, I gotta stop stalling. Here we go. The episodes we'll be ranking today are Chuck Time, Where's My Crown, Full Metal Chuck, Another Birthday, Egg Sounds, Pig Talent, Cordon Bleu, True Blue, Do As I Say, Off Duty, Slingshot 101, Thunder Chuck, Gardening with Terrence, Dopey's on a Rope, Trojan Egg, Double Take, Crash Test Piggies, Slappy Go Lucky, Sneezy Does It, Run Chuck Run, Hypno Pigs, Eggs Day Out, Gate Crasher, Hog Roast, The Bird That Cried Pig, Ham Shank Redemption, Green Pig Soup, Catch of the Day, Nighty Night Terrence, Piggy Wig, Pig Plot Potion, Tooth Royal, Night of the Living Pork, King of the Castle, Love is in the Air, Fired Up, Clash of Corns, A Pig's Best Friend, Slumber Mill, Jingle Yells, El Porcador, Hiccups, The Butterfly Effect, Hambo, Bird Flu, Piggies from the Deep, Oh Gnome, Shrub It In, The Truce, Operation Opera, Chucked Out, Bombs Awake. Oh my god, there's 2 more freaking laps. That was just Season 1. Oh, gotta tough it out. Gotta keep going. Okay, Treasure Hunt, Sweets of Doom, Party Ahoy, Hide and Seek, Sink or Swim, Super Bomb, Just So, The Miracle of Life, otherwise known as the sex episode! Let me get a breather while we soak in that title card. Cave Pig, Joy to the Pigs, Dogzilla, Boulder Bro, Chuck Mania, Not Without My Helmet, Mona Lisa, Sir Bomb of Hamlet, Bearded Ambition, Cold Justice, Slow the Chuck Down, Brutal vs. Brutal, Eating Out, The Great Escape, Sleep Like a Hog, Bombina, Pig Obsessed, Epic Sax Off. No, I didn't say epic sex, I said epic sax. Okay, final lap, 3rd season, let's do this. Royal Heist, Bad Hair Day, Glowly Trotters, A Fistful of Cabbage, Porcula, Didgeridork, The Pork Trait, Fix It, Age Rage, Catching the Blues, Last Tree Standing, Happy Hippie, Mind the Pony, Robo-Tilda, King of the Ring, Spaced Out, Battling Butlers, Exhaustion, Short and Special, Hocus Pocus, Romance in a Bottle, The Butler Did It, Stocked, Boda Chuck, Bacon, Toy Hoggers. More like toy poggers, am I right? That's done. Let's get started. Time to find out if these Angry Birds are good at tunes or if we ought to get out our freaking goons. Oh, and one more thing. That's right, for the first time ever we've got 6 tiers to work with. Mostly just because the tier list is going to get cramped pretty quick anyway, so we might as well have some more sections to work with. I might use F tier again in the future, but don't get used to it. Got it? Alright then, it's Chuck time. There's a lot to unpack about the whole series in just this one episode, so let's start off with just the plot. Chuck accidentally pushes Red off a cliff, so he uses his power of super speed to save him. Chuck gets bored, Red nearly dies, but Chuck sacrifices himself twice for his friend. Like for real, Chuck probably should have died here. Red too, I can't imagine the dang triangle bird is a soft landing. Anyways, the other things I gotta talk about are 1. The animation. I absolutely adore the animation style of these first few episodes, and this one is no exception. 2. The music. Each episode is fully orchestrated to have the music tied to the actions of the characters. It is incredible, and of course, I hope to play some of it in the background of this video. Finally, 3. The characters. Red is a pretty important character, but I'd wager Chuck shows up more often. If you've seen my video ranking every bird in the series, you know I don't really care for him.
Shut up, past me, this is future me. It's my turn to talk. I need to explain what you're looking at here. All these stupid PNGs you're going to see through the rest of the video were not my decision. I have to do this to try to block the copyright that literally every single clip in this video is getting struck for while I'm trying to edit this. You're seeing this days before this goes up because I'm constantly re-uploading this to make sure that it does not have any copyright. So when you see any stupid little pictures of Chuck or stupid little pictures of some sexy girl in a bird costume, that's why. I did not want to do it. It was against my will. I hope you understand why I did it. Anyways, I'm going back to talking about why I maybe don't like Chuck right now. Okay, see you later.
You'll see that come into play more in the later episodes, but he's actually much more innocent here. He may be a little empty-headed, but it's clear he wants nothing more than the validation of his friend. Their voices are so iconic here, despite being brand new at the time. I don't know, it just feels like they nailed who these characters are with their voices right out the gate. In short, this episode is just classic. I've probably seen it the most out of all of them, and I've always had the same reactions. Like I see this leaf in the tub as he's filling it, and all I could think is, what about the leaf though? I feel the same as I've always felt, and that is, Chuck time is A tier. The pigs are just as important as the birds in this series, so getting an episode all about King Pig is a logical next step. I might be a little bold in saying this is probably the best King Pig episode too. Look at that, Chuck and King Pig get their greatest hits in on their first try. I'll explain why it's so great after I recap the episode. King Pig loses his crown and has to live as a pleb all day. He gets exiled by Corporal Pig, but King Pig gets his revenge once he gets his crown back. I cannot believe how genuinely beautiful and epic the scene where the garbage falls on him is. I get actual goosebumps every time I see it. The story itself just works so well. King Pig is nothing without his title, and no one likes him or respects him without it. Of course, King Pig is just as awful as always afterwards, but you really do feel bad for him when they throw him out. It's also just really amusing that he's the biggest, most weirdly shaped pig to ever exist, but without his crown the pigs are too stupid to recognize him. I don't typically prefer the pig episodes to the bird ones, but I have to say this is probably one of my favorites. That garbage scene, man. So freaking good. S tier. This is the beginning of Jerk-Ass Chuck. We get the introduction to the smug, annoying, and unbeatable Blues as well. Yes, one of the Blues may be named Jake, but he's no brother of mine. Anyways, the episode Full Metal Chuck is all about the Blues just wanting to sleep, but Chuck is forcing them to train. Despite not caring, the Blues are better than Chuck at every obstacle and finally trick him into leaving them alone. The main thing I don't like about this one is that both the protagonists and the antagonists are annoying. Scratch it, all the antagonists are annoying. Chuck is abusing his whistle and the Blues are being smug like always, and it just really bugs me. Out of the original set of episodes, this is my least favorite. However, neither party is their worst quite yet, and I do still find the episode entertaining. It goes in D, but remember, it can be worse. Wow, they are just nailing the pig episodes so far. In this one, our main minion pig tries to get anyone to notice that it's his birthday, but gets treated like dirt all day instead. At the end of the night, when all hope seems lost, his fellow minion pigs give him the attention he always wanted. I really like to imagine this sort of thing happens on a daily basis, and every day the pig thinks no one cares, only to be surprised at the end. Think about it, it's probably true. I love this episode for so many reasons. It's just so fun seeing the daily lives of these pigs. They all shoot out of the same silo in the morning, they have Minecraft trees, that makes so much sense.
Hello, young lady.
And the misbehaving pigs are left to deal with King Pig. The plot is so relatable too. I never tell anyone about my birthday, so it always feels extra special when someone remembers it. The jokes are just insanely funny. Some are so subtle, like when he looks at his friend for any kind of recognition at the end of the night, and the pig just looks in the other direction. That is just so freaking funny. I also always remember that scene with the Corporal Pig. I used to draw these episodes as comics as a kid. Yes, I was that obsessed with Angry Birds. And it was just impossible for me to translate the thing shooting into Corporal Pig's nose. Also, I know none of you know what the thing is called, and I didn't either. And apparently it's a party horn? Bad name. Good episode though. S tier. Our next episode, Egg Sounds, starts with the Blues tricking the flock into thinking their eggs can talk? Tweet? Whatever. And it leads to each bird wanting the eggs to be more like them. They overhear the Blues and get their revenge as a team. Well, I do like the ending, as the birds get to work together and ruin the Blues for basically the only time in this whole series. The whole plot is just kinda weird. Like, the story makes enough sense and you understand what they're going for, but these visions of what the birds look like aren't real? And what does the sound they make have to do with that? I don't know, I think the idea of the episode is just kinda hard to translate without dialogue. Again, it works, but I've always felt a little weird about it. Nothing really happens here either, even the way they scare the Blues feels really lame. I can't neglect the introduction of Matilda here, and they're surprisingly choosing the hippie route for her. I love that for Matilda, I'm just surprised they chose it right off the bat. I like this episode, but I don't love this episode, you know? It's gotta be a B. They are 3 for 3 with these pig episodes. This is just impressive at this point. It's a pig talent show, but the King Pig is bored by all 3 acts until a balloon makes a farting noise, and then everyone starts screaming and crying and farting all over the place. It's crazy. This episode certainly isn't as meaningful as the last 2 pig episodes, but I still like it. That scene with the King Pig impression is a pretty good bit. King Pig isn't even mad, he's just actually afraid of everyone laughing at him. I remember this one was impossible for me to translate into a comic. That one was a real mess. I'm still loving these pig episodes. I love farting, I love pooping, I love farting and then pooping, I love pooping and then... Okay, that was kinda deserved. I'll just say B tier and let's keep going. Wow, it took 7 episodes for the pigs and birds to actually interact with one another. From here on out, it's kind of weird to not have that happen in an episode, but either way, it's just kind of surprising, you know? James' Cordon Bleu is a bit of a Matilda episode where everyone hates her cooking, and she gets so sad she dumps like an entire village's rations of foods onto the pigs, and they eat up the slop like the bad little piggies they are. I really love how the birds' actions hurt the pigs without them realizing it. That makes the end much more fun. The birds aren't being mean or annoying, they generally feel bad, and that makes Matilda's sadness that much more, well, sad. We don't see Matilda cook for the flock ever again, so it's safe to assume this made an irreparable tear in their family. There is definitely some crazy unspoken trauma in the Angry Birds Toons TV series. In all seriousness, it's a really cute episode. My favorite character's got to be the Fly. Rest in peace, my friend. And it's going in A tier. We are about to witness the origin story of Piggy McCool, as well as the Chef Pig, I guess. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is like the first we saw of the Chef Pig in the entire Angry Birds franchise. We'll get to him, but let's go over the episode first. Chef Pig uses a minion pig disguised as a bluebird to steal the eggs, but the Blues see through their impeccable costume and beat the pigs. I don't understand how some of you out there like Piggy McCool and the Blues, considering they spent an entire episode torturing him. Like, sure, he wanted to steal their eggs, but he's Piggy McCool. He doesn't deserve this. Chef Pig is kind of the real antagonist of Angry Birds Toons. He's smart enough to make plans and actually gets close to cooking the eggs a few times. I find it really weird that he's animated differently in this episode, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. I also like that face the Blues make at the end. They're like, yeah, that's right, let's fuck him! They're like, oh yeah, this is happening. Gang bang! They're like, you thinking what I'm thinking? Sex! I like the pigs in this one, but I'm once again annoyed with the Blues. They aren't too bad here though, and I think the plot and music is actually really good. I'll say A, just don't make me regret it, Blues. They're already making me regret it by being as annoying as possible again! I get it, they're kids, they just like goofing off. Whatever, let's just recap. The Blues are disturbing Matilda and the eggs, so Matilda keeps nagging at them to quit until they shoot the eggs with a gun! Okay, it wasn't a gun, it was an arrow. Either way, a pig steals the eggs and Matilda does all the things she told the Blues not to do and has fun. I feel like the message is so weird here, like yeah, they were pretty innocently playing at first, but shooting the eggs is definitely not a good thing. Then somehow Matilda is the bad guy? I don't know, seems like the wrong message. I do kinda like the story though, I can't lie. As much as the Blues get on my nerves, I enjoyed watching them react and recreate what Matilda is doing. Well, except for this absolutely cursed scene. I refuse to believe Jake did that, that's some real gym shit right there. I somehow like and hate this episode at the same time, but I'll lean towards the lower half with C tier. Somehow this is the first Red-centric episode. Not only that, but Bomb is making his first appearance 10 episodes in? He's most people's favorite out of the main flock, so it's crazy how often he gets shafted in the Toon series. Like, look at him protecting the eggs with ice cream on his head. You can't not love that. This episode, titled Off Duty, shows what would happen if Red took a day off. The flock wouldn't take it seriously and would lose the eggs, and Red would not be able to relax without knowing the eggs are safe. Red is the mom of the eggs, and tons of episodes have that kind of dynamic for them. In the end, Red learns to loosen up, and the flock learns they need Red to protect the eggs. This is basically the good version of the episode we literally just watched. Both sides learning their lesson, and no one was annoying or anything. We even got to see the Blues get beat up. It's incredible. But really, I love everyone here. The scenes with the flock are all really funny. Even the Blues get a joke. That one is me. I'm the funny one. Got it? And I'm pretty sure Red says eggnog for the first time, and I love eggnog. I think this is exactly what I would have wanted from Toons, so it's gotta be S. Yes, the episode with the fantasy scene of the Blues dying. What do you mean they aren't dying? Okay, for real, I'm sure if you like the Blues, you're sick of me disrespecting them. I'll stop until they are really bad again, but honestly I feel like they kind of dropped the Blues after this point in the show, so it might not come up ever again. Either way, in the episode Slingshot 101, the Blues are messing around with the slingshot and disrespecting Red's authority, so Red demonstrates how to use the slingshot just as a group of pigs are stealing the eggs. Red doesn't trust the Blues with the eggs, but when he gets back, he realizes the Blues are responsible and like to have fun. What is with the last 3 episodes having the exact same morals, character dynamics, and pig fights? So weird. Also, can't not mention the pig feet. I'm sorry, what is that? Whoever added these pig feet in here should feel really bad. I'd say I really just love the nightmare scene with King Pig licking all over those eggs. That's awesome. But the rest is just do as I say, again. Like to a T almost. However, I'm really sad this animation style is about to die, and you can already see it fading in like half of the scenes here. So I'll be nice and go with A. The nightmare sequence is really fun. Thunder Chuck is probably Chuck's second best episode. Again, that's pretty sad, but let's at least explain why. The pigs abuse Chuck's fear of thunder to steal the eggs, but they get a little too cocky. Honestly, that scene is so funny where they laugh at Chuck, not to mention when an actual storm starts and Corporal Pig tells him to shut up. That's just really clever. So Chuck sees the pigs and overcomes his fear to save the eggs. Somehow every character but Chuck gets electrocuted, which means to me that God must not only exist in this universe, but was really angry that night. Oh duh, we've already seen God, never mind. I really love how everything looks in this one too. Since it's at night, the colors are kind of shaded and muted. I just like it. I like the episode too. A tier blushes, smiles, blushes again. And just like that, the animation completely shifts. Terrence didn't get a moment in the spotlight once in that style. That's alright, at least he's here now. I really love how they use him in Toons. So gardening with Terrence is pretty much just a Looney Tunes episode. Matilda's plants can't grow with Terrence in the way, so she tries to move him with some crazy antics but just ruins her garden in the process. She decides to just plant on top of Terrence, and everyone seems happy. Okay, if I were her though, I would have just moved the garden behind Terrence. This whole thing could have just been avoided. Still, this feels like the perfect intro to Terrence. He is an unmovable, higher level being that cannot lose. I understand that may conflict with my dislikes of the Blues, but at least Terrence isn't annoying while he's doing it. Plus the ending is cute. Until you remember that in the movies, Terrence and Matilda get married and have children.
Anyway, Matilda and Terrence are finally married! Yay! Anyway, how did it feel for you to marry them?
Let me repeat that last part. Children! How dare you, Angry Birds, make me think about that? I may want a sex episode, but that's just unnatural. Whatever, B tier. Dopey's on a Rope is about the pig's scheme to steal the eggs Mission Impossible style. The pigs lose on all 3 attempts and are stuck in an endless loop for all of eternity. This episode is just so weird. It's probably the worst this animation style ever looks. They've almost gone too far with it or something. You all agree that Corporal Pig just looks absolutely foul now. Oh, don't take the helmet off. Don't take that off. There's a reason that thing's on there. Oh! This episode's whole purpose is to get these pigs in this pendulum device. I feel like a lot of kids probably don't even know what that is. It's just not really a funny payoff despite the whole episode leading up to it. I don't know, everything just feels off and not really entertaining. I didn't enjoy the setup or conclusion. So does that mean? Is it time? Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else in between, history is being changed right now as I get to say for the very first time, F tier. Gotta say, that felt pretty good. Congrats Dopey's on a Rope, you sucked that hard to make history. Well done. Trojan Egg starts with Chef Pig working on his next evil scheme. What, don't leave your crown, dude! Did you learn nothing from episode 2? Whatever, the Trojan Egg fails. It's a plan so dumb only pigs would fall for it. And so they do. King Pig is getting fried, and Chef Pig realizes his plan was even better than he thought. With the throne empty, he can become the new ruler and take control once and for all. But of course, he gets squashed by the end. Man, with a name like Trojan Egg, I was not expecting much from this episode, but Chef Pig is just like the coolest villain. I can imagine 10 different incredible story arcs about Chef Pig winning, and the birds fight him in like this crazy finale battle. Chef Pig hardly ever gets the spotlight though, sadly, but it does help make moments like this really epic. I also just love how excited King Pig gets in that egg. What a guy. I wouldn't say this was S, but I was definitely pleasantly surprised. A tier. This episode is going to be really hard to explain because the gimmick is just everyone is confused the whole time. At the beginning, the blues lose the eggs, so they pretend to be the eggs to fool Matilda. Then the pigs come and fall for it as well, leaving some pigs disguised as eggs to pull off the same trick. Matilda sees right through it and beats them up, chasing after the blues, who she still believes are the actual eggs. Meanwhile, the beat up pigs are left with the real eggs. The two groups bump into each other, leading to mass confusion, so the blues just take the opportunity to leave and save the eggs. What's sad is Matilda just gives up and cries all the way home, and we get the very funny scene of the blues just nonchalantly hanging out with the eggs at the end. Man, that was a very long recap. You could have just watched the episode at that point. I really don't find the blues annoying here. Sure, they screwed up at first, but they mostly just hang out and save the eggs after that. I liked the idea, and it wasn't bad, but it certainly wasn't that special either. I think I'll go with C. Alright, you guys have to guess how this episode ends. It starts with the pigs just testing some rockets to see what plan will work to catch the pigs. Is it A, they succeed and use it on the real eggs only to fail? Is it B, none of their plans work and all the pigs go to the hospital? Or C, the plan works but they destroy the entire pig city in the process? Well, let's find out. The final crash test piggy is scared to go, but he gets the biggest rocket. He nabs the eggs, flies into space, and crashes. But he got the eggs. The fake eggs have caught on fire, they drop in an oil spill, and they destroy the entire pig city in the process. All of you who chose option C win! What's the prize? You all get to be my crash test piggies. What an honor. Anyways, this episode is like the definition of mediocre. I do like the final launch, but the entire middle part isn't really entertaining. I was never surprised or engaged with what was happening. I saw someone say this is like one of their top favorite episodes. I have no idea how that could be. It's fine, but definitely deserves a C tier. Slappy Go Lucky is our introduction to Mustache Pig. He's got one of my favorite new designs. The one glass eye is just a cool look for him. We also see the Professor Pig briefly, but he doesn't do a whole lot quite yet. Basically, the Mustache Pig steals an invention to take down the birds, but it malfunctions and starts spanking the King Pig. Because of course it does. I really enjoy the scene where he ejects and then falls straight into a volcano. It's just like the most random nothing joke, but it does crack me up. Another really funny joke is the destroyed machine spanking King Pig one last time. Then we are cursed again by having to look at that. Ew, don't take the mustache off, don't take that off. There's a reason that thing's on there. Ugh! I really just don't like the part where he's getting spanked. It's a dumb resolution that really has no business being in the episode. It has some funny jokes though, so it can go in B. It's so weird to call this one Sneezy Does It. The whole time you're waiting for a sneeze to ruin everything, but trying not to sneeze is what creates the problem. The story is also just like nothing again. One pig is way too excited for King Pig's parade and knocks him over. The clip of King Pig bursting into tears is really funny though. The pig then has to carry the throne all the way up to the castle, but this crazy bee tries to make him sneeze. He swallows the bee gets pissed and stings him, and King Pig gets thrown down the steps. Sneezy gets executed, and it ends. Favorite character's gotta be the bee, bro. You're probably all thinking now that the episode is gonna get a B too, huh? Not really, it sucked very hard. King Pig crying is keeping you out of the danger zone. D tier. Finally, it felt like we were in a real rut there. This is one of my all-time favorite episodes of the show. The whole flock is here for a race, which Chuck intends to win. Jerk-ass Chuck is in full force here, but he has one strong competitor, Terrence. This is the episode that demonstrates Terrence's godlike abilities. One of my favorite scenes of all time is Chuck looking over his shoulder 3 times, and on the 3rd time, Terrence is looming directly over him. Every scene afterwards is just so entertaining too. Of course, Terrence wins the race and Chuck gets trampled and loses. Even on the podium, Chuck gets beat up. I love to see jerk-ass Chuck lose and Terrence win. Chuck's ego never goes back down after this episode, so rewatching this one just makes you really happy. In terms of the actual content of the episode, there are a bunch of unique locations, each bird gets a little moment to shine, and of course, Terrence steals the show. I love it. This just has to be S, and let's hope the next few episodes are just as good. In this episode, the pigs successfully hypnotize Red, but instead of taking the eggs and leaving, they take it too far and have fun messing with Red all day. They shoot him out of a slingshot, but he bounces back and saves the eggs just in time. Red wakes up confused, only to come across a picture showing what he'd just been through. That look he has really makes for a funny conclusion. I think this is just a really great episode. I love all the ways the pigs mess with Red, and the ending just worked really well. Now, I'm not saying that you should go do this to someone you hate. Don't hypnotize your friends, that's uncool. But hypnotizing Red? Pretty funny stuff. A tier. This is basically 2 minutes of Red's voice actor just making really funny noises. I love this episode for that alone. The beginning is just really funny too. Red is so angry at this leaf, he just turns it to dust. But the commotion sends an egg off a cliff towards Pig City. The rest of the episode shows Red chasing the egg down and bringing it home. The ending is my favorite part, where we see a leaf fall down and then the credits reveal this never-ending cycle. It's just a great episode. Getting a glimpse at the day-to-day lives of the pigs is always fun, and Red is just really entertaining character to watch. Don't think I didn't notice that the last episode showed Red in a dress, and this one has him in a bra. Something weird is going on over there at Rovio. I'm on to you. This episode is really good, but not quite top tier. A tier. This is Chuck versus a door, the ultimate showdown. Chuck tries his best to break through a door with some kooky slapstick, but Red comes by and walks through the open door just beside it. Chuck launches at top speed just as the door opens, destroying the fortress entirely. On their way out, the door closes, and Chuck is left to face his true nemesis once again. Okay, whoever is coming up with the last group of episodes has really upped their game from the previous group. Every joke is funny, and the conclusion feels like the perfect ending for what they set up. All the characters are really entertaining, even Chuck. I totally forgot the slingshot part of this episode where he says, no, 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 no. I used to say that all the time. I love how he says it. This is your third A tier in a row, Angry Birds Toons. Keep it up. What the heck? This episode is great too. Just a bunch of firefighter pigs being horrible at their jobs. What starts as a tiny grill fire leads to the entire city being burned down. My favorite part has got to be the pig on fire chasing the others through the house, just completely unaware of what he's causing, but still confused why the others are running away from him. It's just the perfect joke. The music is really great too, especially in the transition from black and white to full color. The ending is a little less chaotic and maybe a little less entertaining than the rest of the episode, but what I like about it is that the pigs don't really care, as long as they get to share some good food together. This was a great episode. It feels weird to do this again, but I really do think this deserves A tier. In The Bird That Cried Pig, Chuck is jealous of Bomb being everyone's favorite, so he steals the eggs and pretends they've gone missing. However, pigs actually do take the eggs, so Chuck heroically saves them, brings them back for his moment in the spotlight, but trips and drops the eggs in front of Bomb. I just love how he genuinely thinks he's found the eggs after looking under Tiny Rock to see if they were under there. Bomb is just a really funny character in the Toon series. I also really don't mind Chuck here, despite the tiptoeing scene being absolutely cursed. I wouldn't say this is on the same level as the last few, but it's definitely not bad. B tier. Man, I cannot figure out what this episode is referencing. They should have been more obvious about it because I really just am at a complete loss. Like, give me some sort of hint. Anyways, Hamshank Redemption focuses on the prisoner pig attempting to escape. Every plan he makes fails, including a cameo from Terrence. Finally, with the help of this buff pig propeller hat, he flies to freedom. Oh, it's E.T. That's what movie they were referencing. Anyways, Hamshank Redemption is pretty bland. I like the design of the prisoner pig, but none of his attempts to escape are really that interesting. There's no fun takes in the prisoner break genre. It's kind of just what you typically expect. The propeller hat is just dumb too. I don't even know why the buff pig would have that. It's honestly a D tier. I'm sorry if you like it, but it has almost nothing to do with E.T., so... Angry Birds Toons developed some sort of weird obsession with cabbage, and it all stems from this episode. 3 pigs disguise themselves as cabbage to steal the eggs, but Matilda just so happens to be using cabbage in her soup. After one pig ditches his costume for a pumpkin, Matilda catches on and saves the day. I do really like seeing Matilda lose her marbles, but otherwise this episode just kinda sucks. I don't like cabbage, nothing really happens, and the ending is not a funny conclusion to the episode. Maybe it should have ended with her trying to feed the soup to the flock, but they bite into a pig or something. At least I'd be entertained by that. This was bad. Real bad. So we get to do this again. F tier. Catch of the Day features another story about the pigs trying to steal the eggs, but this time they're using a plunger to reel them in. The blues catch on and begin attaching a bunch of trash to the plunger instead. We even see a Mighty Dragon reference at one point. Finally, Corporal Pig gets so frustrated he uses a giant plunger only to bring back Terrence. The question is, how is that boat possibly strong enough to pull Terrence? He must have let them do it, there's no other explanation. Maybe Terrence just wanted a chance to put on the helmet. I love that. I also feel like seeing all this dilapidated earthly items like cars or furniture should open up some questions about a post-apocalyptic setting. This is some crazy Adventure Time shish going on right here. Anyway, it's not a bad episode, but nothing too crazy either. C tier. Back-to-back Terrence episodes? You're just too kind, Angry Birds. Once again, Corporal Pig and some minion pigs attempt to steal the eggs, but they are guarded by Terrence. I love seeing him sleep directly on his face, that's just really funny to me. They must get to the eggs without waking him up, but Terrence rolls towards a cliff and they must rock him back and forth and sing a lullaby to keep him asleep and not fall off the cliff. It becomes pretty clear Terrence is just messing with them, despite the eggs being in a pretty bad place by the end of the episode. My favorite scene is when the plungers are all shooting off of Terrence as he rolls forward. That's just a fun idea. I think the end is dumb, but otherwise it's a perfectly good episode. B tier. Oh boy, Piggy Wig, the most plot important and crucial episode for the entire Toon series, where King Pig has to wear a wig now. Except he can't decide on what to wear until one of the blues, definitely Jake, this is a total Jake move right here, lands on his head and becomes his new wig. Jake makes fun of him, but King Pig finally notices and makes him look like a part of their meal just as the other blues arrive. They destroy the party and King Pig laughs at all the stupid looking pigs. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really enjoyed Piggy Wiggy. It's just a funny premise, even the blues were really enjoyable here. I did not think I made a good wig, but I guess I ain't no piggy. It is certainly not S, but I liked it enough to say A. Alright, Chef Pig is back. His newest invention can turn anything into a pig, so he uses it on Red. Jeez, Pig Red is absolutely cursed. The two bring the eggs back to be cooked, and Chef Pig and Pig Red are really becoming good friends, but the potion starts to wear off, and before Chef Pig can make a new one, Red is back and pissed. The Chef Pig's potion backfires, and he becomes some stupid abomination. I cannot believe this, but somehow if Chef Pig shows up in your episode, it is great! I think the animation here is also just really well done. That opening scene with all the potions just looks really nice. I love the episode, and I think it's time we introduce the Chef Pig and my new buddy Pig Red to S tier. And back to King Pig antics. His big ol' rotten tooth won't come out, so the pigs try every trick in the book. Their last idea is to get beat up by the Angry Birds themselves, and the tooth finally comes out, as well as the rest of them. The gag where every pig is losing a tooth except for King Pig is just really funny. There's a scene where teeth are just flying everywhere, yet King Pig is still holding on for dear life. It's a fine little episode, but certainly doesn't compare to most. B tier. Man, I just know the inflation-loving homies out there are going nuts right now. The start of our Halloween tradition of Bubbles exclusive episodes begins. I am so happy Bubbles got to join the flock, even if it is just for the holiday. It would have been so cool to see Stella or Hal get added too, but we should probably be happy we got something at all here. We see King Pig sitting on his mountain of candy. When a trick-or-treater shows up, he keeps the candy to himself, but it turns out to be a zombie pig. Hamby? Zombacon? Anyways, the candy is being eaten in record time until none other than Bubbles shows up, looking for some treats. He beats up all the zombies, but they call in a whole horde, so Bubbles has no choice but to please all the inflation lovers in the crowd and leave with a bag full of candy. He does feel bad for King Pig, but he really got what he deserved. This episode isn't mind-blowing or anything, but I can't hate an episode that features Bubbles. Well, not yet anyway. It's got some good moments, and I got my inflation fix for now, so I'll give it an A. Whoa, Chef Pig already? I freaking love you, Angry Birds! At first I was a little sad since this isn't a big scheme to take over the kingdom or finally cook the eggs, but I kept watching, very hopeful. It's a classic sandcastle contest where each side keeps one-upping the other. King Pig's final castle is a masterpiece. It's better than the actual castle he lives in. But the day ends with a massive tidal wave, sending both out to sea. King Pig is sad but notices he's caught a fish, but Chef Pig caught a bigger one. And the rivalry continues. I gotta say, that final scene with the giant whale coming out at the end of it is just one of my favorite scenes in the show so far. I might just also love sandcastle episodes. I remember the one in SpongeBob being a favorite of mine too. But this was a pretty great episode. Do I like it as much as Chef Pig's last episode? Yeah, I really think I do. S tier, again! This is actually crazy. I cannot believe the streak Chef Pig has right now. Alright, we just had a really great episode, so it makes perfect sense to move on to Love is in the Air. I told you they had this weird obsession with cabbages. Hold on though. Shut up! You have to watch this cabbage turn into a girl. Oh my god. I need to go change my pants. Oh my god. King Pig is in love with the cabbage, and everyone makes fun of him for it. But then he proposes, and it's really funny to see them shift from laughing to crying tears of joy. They get married, and we get a brief cameo of the Chancellor Pig as the priest. At the reception, Corporal Pig knocks King Pig out of it, and he immediately just starts eating his wife. I don't care who you are, that's funny. Plus we get hot Corporal Pig at the end, so that was friggin' sweet too. I really didn't expect to enjoy this at all, but the reactions of the pigs, the freaking sexy cabbage, and the overall story were just really enjoyable. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Love is in the Air, the episode where King Pig falls in love with the cabbage and then eats it, is S tier. It's just S tier, okay? It just is. Deal with it. I'm real fired up after that sexy pig, which is a great coincidence considering this episode is none other than fired up. But wait, Nani? The old Toons animation style? How is this possible? Well, I think what must have happened is that this episode was being worked on while the season was airing. They must have made the decision to switch animation styles while this was being made, so it still got made. Basically, the episode was made in early production and got shifted to episode 36 somehow. Whatever, I'm pretty happy about it. The eggs are freezing, so Chuck attempts to warm them up, but does a bad job. Matilda comes in with a blanket, making Chuck jealous. He uses a magnifying glass to speed up the process, but creates a massive fire that weirdly becomes personified and chases around the flock. Chuck finally covers up the magnifying glass and is punished by crocheting a new one. This episode was not that great. Don't get me wrong, I love the style, but it feels really out of place among the other episodes we've been seeing. While I really love this first few episodes, I've come to appreciate the change of story structures and animation too. This wasn't bad, but it isn't better than C tier. Our first bomb-centric episode is a Clash of Clans joke. Well, I guess just the title is based on Clash of Clans, but just stop disrespecting Bomb, okay? He deserves better than that. Clash of Corn shows Bomb in the most pure form. He wants nothing more than to eat a cob of corn. Matilda's taking care of it though and refuses to let him. He tries to trick her multiple times, and I just love when he comes out in this bee costume, putting his whole heart into it, but Matilda is just pissed. She shoots at him until he cowers in fear, and the symbolism with the peace-symboled sight is super clever. Matilda gives in, Bomb gets so excited he blows up, and they enjoy the popcorn together. He even kisses her at the end, which I hope isn't supposed to be like shipping bait or something. It's a cute episode, and it does a good job at making me hungry for corn somehow. It just looks so dang good. I don't know, I just enjoyed it. A tier is so bloated, but come on, this was a good one. Okay, this bluebird is so cute, it has to be Jake this time. There ain't no way Jay is this cute, and don't even get me started on Jim. King Pig receives Jake as a gift and pretends to enjoy his company. Meanwhile, Jake bullies King Pig until he eventually runs away. King Pig is so sad about this that the pigs all dress up as pets for him in the end. This one is also just fine. I do really like the happy montage of them playing together, and who could forget Mustache Pig's awesome dog costume. Plus King Pig's coochie coochie cool voice. But yeah, just a fine episode. B tier. Oh, sorry guys, didn't see you there. Yeah, I just watched the episode Slumber Mill. I nearly fell asleep, but thankfully the episode ended just before I could. This poor little piggy gets a road built directly over his house so he can't sleep. Finally, he uses this to his advantage and will never have to cut another piece of wood a day in his life. His invention makes no sense, by the way. How is he getting more trees in there? He'd have to be cutting them down, but the axe is being used. Dumb, makes no sense, and if I want anything from my Angry Birds cartoon series, it's logic. D tier. I've never been a huge fan of Christmas episodes, so sorry in advance. The Blues are getting excited for Santa, but meet Corporal Pig in disguise instead. They beat him up and launch him into King Pig's stocking. Their sleigh looks like a giant egg. The end. Also, Santa exists in the Angry Birds universe, I guess? I don't know if he's a pig or a human or what, but I don't like it. Go ahead, call me a Scrooge. Go on. You can call me a Scrooge in the comments all you want, but it's not going to get your silly little Christmas episode out of D tier. I remember they just decided to make El Porcador a character when this came out. He was in Angry Birds Friends, and I'm pretty sure he appears in Toons again at some point. It's also hard to ignore the strange mix of animation styles here, which looks pretty dang awful. El Porcador is the new really fat pig that sings and sounds like Josh Gad. Like he isn't some crazy powerful new enemy, he can't even move on his own. Either way, he beats every bird until he's up against none other than Terrence. Well, when Terrence shows up, you can start digging your graves, people. El Porcador loses and somehow destroys all of Pig City. Do not take a drink every time Pig City gets destroyed if you want to be able to see straight. In the end, there isn't anything wrong with this episode, other than the animation of course, but let's just say I won't be watching that one ever again. D tier. The Blues have gotten the hiccups! This is totally Jim's fault, dude. Classic freaking Jim right there. At first, it's cute until the flock can't get any sleep, so they try to scare them out of the Blues, with Matilda getting them to stop. Except, oh no, it's an epidemic! Finally, an episode where they acknowledge how annoying the Blues can be. This is totally something a group of kids would do, so the story works, but it's really not that entertaining. It feels like this is the same kind of story as Tooth Royal, but focused on the Blues rather than the pigs. Tooth Royal took it to the extreme though, and that's what made such a simple premise so entertaining. Here, they just try scaring the Blues a couple times, none of which actually being that interesting. It's an okay episode, but I don't think it even compares to the stuff I haven't seen. You may have noticed D tier getting some attention now. Let's hope Toons can get it together. Butterflies show up weirdly often in the Toons series, so yeah, we should probably give them a focus episode while Bomb continues to only have one. To be fair, it's definitely more of a Matilda episode, and oh dear god, no. The El Porcador animation style is back. Well, it was fun ranking the Toons. I hope you enjoyed. Jake, you can't quit now. Have you forgotten about the sex episode? You're so right, me. The sex episode has almost arrived at my doorstep. We can get through this. Easy. A stupid butterfly is cooling Matilda down, so the stupid pigs make a stupid fake butterfly that Matilda is stupid enough to fall for, despite the stupidly made butterfly falling apart right in front of her. Actually, that's pretty funny. But the stupid butterfly tries to wake up Matilda, and we all know how stupid Corporal Pig is, so he hits the mini pig stupid until Matilda beats them up and makes them generate wind for her. I think you can all tell that I think this episode is dumb. F tier. Hey you! Yeah, I'm talking to that one guy that likes Hambo just a little too much. This one's for you. They're trained to look for the ultimate warrior with these egg-shaped rocks, and no one's better than the Peter Griffin pig. You cannot tell me that this doesn't look like a Family Guy cutaway gag right now. Hey Lois, remember the time I was Hambo? Oh yeah, that was freaking sweet. He goes out on his mission, and he seems to have successfully gotten an egg. But here was when I remembered the hilarious ending where he brings home a rock instead of the egg. That's just such a funny, stupid way to end the episode. Hambo celebrates his victory, and the episode ends. Alright, weird guy who loves Hambo, I finally get it. We have one thing in common now. Funny episode. At the end. The rest sucked. He does look like Peter Griffin though. B tier. Why is it animated like crap again? The birds all get sick, and the pigs steal the eggs, and then they get sick, and then King Pig gets the closest he's ever gotten to eating them, but just doesn't for no reason, and then they get sick and it ends. It sucked, and I would like to move on now. F tier. Okay, clearly there are more episodes animated like this than I'd remembered, so I promised to quit complaining about it. Besides, I think it works better for the pigs anyways. Not to mention the fun story here. Some prankster pigs dress up as sharks to scare Mustache Pig and a community pool, but when Mustache Pig comes back for revenge, an angry mob is waiting to catch the prankster. There are a few curse things here like El Porcador's son, and the pig's tails going straight up. If I showed you this image with no context, what would you think? Go on, in the comments, what does this look like to you? So sure, this was a silly episode, but it's still going in C tier. Oh, Gnome is the name of the episode. It's a classic cursed doll situation where she can't get rid of it. Plus, Chuck thinks it was a good gift, so when it finally gets burned alive, he takes its place. The ending is fun, but the rest is pretty cliche, which isn't always a bad thing, but it kind of is here. Not much else to say, D tier. Now, I know the name Shrub It In sounds like it could be the title of a sex episode, but sadly there's no sex to be had here. Stop teasing me, Angry Birds, and let's stop shrubbing yourselves off and talk about the episode, shall we? Wow, it's another bomb episode. This time he's paired up with the Blues, which actually makes a lot of sense. They accidentally destroy Matilda's rosebush, and the only other one around is the one in Pig City. So, the Blues distract Matilda while Bomb gets the bush. My favorite gag in the episode is when this pig holds the door open for Bomb, but he just blows up the other door instead. They make it just in time, with an extra pig to spare. I really enjoyed this one, and maybe that's just because we've had some stinkers for a while. And no, I don't mean Stinky Steve, sadly. So I'm going with A. Chef Pig is back! Chef Pig is back! Can he keep up a streak? Time to find out. In The Truce, Chef Pig offers the birds a picnic while some pigs attempt to steal the eggs. It's fun seeing Chef Pig actually using his chef skills for once. Of course, their plan fails pretty horribly, honestly. Like, Chef Pig just did a horrible job here. The birds prank the pigs by sending Chef Pig dressed up as a bird, and the episode ends. Hey Hambo guy? I thought you might want to see this. You're welcome. I really like the concept for this episode where the pigs fake a truce, but there's no way this is S material. Or A material even. It just doesn't hold up to Chef Pig's other episodes so far. I didn't dislike it, but we got to hold Chef Pig accountable for his episodes. I still think he make for the best episodes of the show, but this one was just a B tier. I don't like opera, so it should come as no surprise that Operation Opera is not my cup of tea. The pigs attempt to woo Matilda with a singing bird robot, but the pig singer passes out and Mustache Pig just can't sing. They also hold an opera at the end where we see Mustache Pig as a sexy Viking again. Twice now these writers have worked their little fetishes into my Angry Birds Toons. Well, I'm sick of it. F tier. In Chucked Out, Chuck is just being his typical self but almost kills the eggs in the process. He runs away and nobody cares. He's gone so long he grows a long gray beard and nobody gives a crap. Only after the pigs tab the flock can Chuck prove himself and earn the respect of his friends. So I hate Chuck, but even I feel bad for you after this one. Like, those are some bad friends you got there, Chuck. Maybe you're better off hanging out with the other outcasts like Stella, Bubbles, and Hal. Honestly, what a cool episode idea. Chuck runs away from home and lives with Stella, Bubbles, and Hal, but they're too weird even for him? I'd love that. Anyways, D tier. As the finale of Season 1, the episode Bomb's Awake is pretty much the exact opposite of that. Bomb is sleepwalking, and if he is even slightly disturbed, he blows up. The Blues find this funny until Bomb grabs the eggs. They protect him until morning, and that's kinda it. What an incredible season finale! But really, get used to Toons not really having premieres or finales. I think The Truce would have been a better final episode, but I suppose this is fine. I didn't really enjoy the episode, but let's end as positively as we can with a C tier ranking. Guess what? Not only have we reached the end of Season 1, but we are officially halfway through the entire series. The tier list is really all over the place. Of course, we've seen the middle sections are the most populated, but we've seen the best of the best and the worst of the worst too. I'm going to do a fresh tier list for each season, but I'll combine them after each one so you can still see how they compare. Hopefully that way you can still read the titles of each one without them being cramped into these little sections too much. Alright, let's see how things have changed in Season 2.
I know what you've all been thinking. Let's say it at the same time. I can't wait for Hambo to come back. What, you didn't say it? You feel stupid saying the word Hambo out loud? Okay, I can't really blame you. I hear it now. Well, at least that one guy is happy. This episode features Hambo and some fellow pigs following a treasure map to a mysterious X mark. After a few Indiana Jones references, they reach their destination and bring home their prize. And I'm pretty sure if you remember Hambo's debut, you can see where this is going. He brings home the X. This time everyone else is on the same page as him though, so that's good. I do think this works really nice as a premiere. It's a pretty grand adventure with a bunch of locations we've never seen before, plus a pretty funny joke that hasn't gotten old. Yet. Just don't do it a third time, alright Angry Birds Toons? Alright, good. Now let's be nice and start with a solid A tier. Halloween ep right out the gates? Angry Birds, you're too kind. Sweet even. In the episode Sweets of Doom, King Pig and Bubbles fight over the last piece of candy until they discover a cursed green tray of sweets that turns King Pig into a giant kraken. Everyone eats it and becomes a tentacle monster, and even Bubbles can't resist the temptation. So inflation wasn't enough for you, was it, Bubbles? You had to corner the tentacle market too. Can't say I'm complaining though. Also, sexy Viking Pig again? Who keeps letting these people make cartoons? This episode is honestly just weird. I always love seeing Bubbles though, so I'll keep it in C. There's a party ahoy, but King Pig can't get to the island it's being held on. Mustache Pig builds him a few boats, but each crash, so King Pig attempts to swim there himself, only to reach the wrong island. He feels defeated, but then a volcano erupts on the party island, killing everyone on it. King Pig decides to stay on the chill tea island with the smart pigs instead. I don't dislike this episode, but it's pretty forgettable. Let's have a moment of silence for those who either burned or drowned on the party island. C tier. Wow, I actually think this is a great Chuck episode. Chuck and the Blues are playing a game of hide and seek, and Chuck is boasting about how much better he is than them. The Blues are clearly sick of him, but are good sports and playing along. Chuck finds the ultimate spot, but it's also pretty dangerous. He gets boiled alive and shot out of the top, which makes it look like he was hiding on the moon. The Blues praise him and he collapses, happy, but in immense pain. I feel like getting stuck in that tree is one of my biggest fears. It generally makes me scared when the rain starts coming in. The sun and fire starting is a really funny clip out of context. Even the ending is really fun. The Blues are just so impressed that Chuck hit on the moon. Too bad he didn't come back purple, that would have been freaking sweet. I liked it, A tier. The Season 2 title cards are so awesome, just look at this one. Red just can't figure out how to swim. It isn't until the pigs steal the eggs that Red overcomes the odds and saves the day. It's a cute episode and it's nice to see Red be okay with it by the end. Other than that, the 2 minutes are filled with Red just sinking over and over again. Middle of the road, B tier. For the first time ever, Bomb is not co-hosting, he's not a side character, he is the star of the show! 58 episodes, people. How is that even possible? Super Bomb is all about Bomb trying to be a superhero like in his comic books. He gets a cape and has fun saving inanimate objects, but then the pigs show up. The cape stops him from being able to help. I guess Edna Mode was onto something. And while Bomb is able to save the eggs, the cape is destroyed. The flock sews it into a hammock for him to read his comic books in. This is just a nice episode. Smiles, A tier, smiles more. I don't mean to alarm you, but the next episode is the sex episode. I'm not freaking out, you're freaking out. I'm a little distracted here, but let's try to get through this quick, come on. Red not only has trouble swimming, but he's an OCD freak too. What bugs me is he'll cut a weed to make the yard look nicer, but the stem is still sticking up way past all the other grass. Somehow the episode, where everything needs to be just so, is annoyingly imperfect. Either way, the pigs take advantage of this, but Red catches on and tortures them by forcing the pigs to become his personal fountain. Just a weird, poorly executed episode. I don't hate it, but it's definitely going in D tier. Besides, we don't have time! I'm freaking out! You either skipped to this part, or you've been along for this journey right beside me. No matter what you did, the wait is over! I present to you the one and only sex episode. Or as its more official title, The Miracle of Life. I don't care if you've heard of the Birds of the Bees, I don't care if you looked up NSFW shipping pics of Red and Chuck. Nothing can prepare you for this. The episode starts pretty casually, no sex in sight, but Red and Chuck are kidnapped. Mustache Pig tries to explain to them how sex works, but the two virgins don't get it, so he shows them a video. Honestly, I'm really thankful Angry Birds Toons showed me this. I didn't really get how it worked either, but I gotta say, this method works like a charm. I can't even count the amount of children or sex I've had since. Now that the birds know how to have sex, they work towards getting an egg to trick the pigs. But, well, there's no way to explain this clip. I really think it's better if we just watch it together. I gotta ask, if you watched this when you were a kid, did it make sense to you? Did you understand what this episode was at all, or were you left confused? The thing is, I sadly knew about sex from way too young of an age, but I still just did not get this episode. The idea for it makes sense on paper, but this is a freaking kid show. What are you, I mean a good, yes, me like sex, this episode ends with the pigs locked up, and this is honestly what makes this episode S tier. The freaking minion pig flirts with Mustache Pig, and we're left to assume these pigs freaking had a threesome in that cage. Chuck is also one of the awesome stars of the episode. He leaves here fully believing that he just had sex for the first time and has made a child of his own. I guess that begs the question, just whose eggs are the eggs they're protecting? It's gotta be one of the flock, right? And I'm pretty sure Matilda is the only girl? So then, who's the father? In the movie it was Terrence, so that's my headcanon. If you had questions about where this was going, I guess it's time to explain what the S stands for in the tier lists. Come on, get in real close, I'll tell ya. It's sex. S tier. It's sex. S tier! Nothing matters anymore. This sex episode has passed and we still have 40 more episodes. Who cares about K-Pig? There's not even any sex in this episode. Sigh. The pigs find a frozen K-Pig that looks like an ancestor of King Pig and... What? Chef Pig is in this one? Things just got serious. He's got quite the reputation so far, so don't mess this up, dude. The K-Pig breaks free and King Pig doesn't want to eat any of his food. Chef Pig plans to make the K-Pig jump into the ice, but King Pig's gluttony messes it up and they get frozen instead. So predictable. How dare you, Angry Birds Toons, not only try to follow up the sex episode, but drag my man Chef Pig down with you. Disgraceful. This episode was fine, but this cannot be excused. You have soiled Chef Pig's streak. I hope you're happy with yourself. D tier. Great, another Christmas episode. Remember how Santa was teased in the last one? Well, in Joy to the Pigs, Santa's identity is revealed? Any guesses? If you guessed anything other than Terrence, you should feel ashamed. That's right, Terrence is Santa. And for all the pigs who constantly are scheming to steal the birds' eggs, they get presents as if they're little angels. Meanwhile, King Pig is being more of a brat than usual, so he's denied a gift. King Pig makes the only act of kindness he's ever made, and that's good enough to get a little dog at the end. Now, I would have been pissed about this, but heads up, our next episode is Dogzilla. And I think Terrence might have just been releasing the spawn of Satan rather than giving a gift. It's an alright episode. I liked it enough. I think I'm just still recovering from the no more sex thing. C tier. Since when does Toons have continuity? I can't believe what I'm seeing. And for a good reason too. Because despite this pink dog literally showing up in the last episode, this one simply washes ashore. Just disappointing, Angry Birds. The pink dog toy has become Dogzilla, terrorizing all of Pig City. King Pig hides in Corporal Pig's house, and together they send an airstrike down on it. Dogzilla infiltrates their home, and they destroy all of Pig City. Thankfully, the commotion has put Dogzilla on its back, so the pigs can send it out to sea. Until, and I kid you not, they hit an actual Godzilla. Who decided Godzilla should be part of the Angry Birds lore? Should I be ranking him in my every Angry Birds Bird series? That's just insane. The episode is humorous, but still C tier. In Boulder Bro, Chuck becomes so lonely he makes his own plank from Ed, Edd, and Eddy. The Blues mess with him but accidentally kill the bro, so they sacrifice themselves to save Boulder Bro. The Blues feeling remorse? If only they did that in a good episode. Yeah, sorry, but this one sucked too. The ending is really bad where they imply Chuck messes with the Blues, and it's just not funny. The episode was sad, weird, and just plain boring. I think it's F tier. I really do. Mustache Pig uses Chuck's ego to steal the eggs. If a bunch of pigs pretend to be his fans, they can distract him long enough to get the eggs cooked. What really makes this episode for me is that the pigs aren't really pretending. They've all just decided they are Chuck's biggest fans. Even King Pig is in the crowd. When Red comes to save the day, the pigs all switch sides and become Red's biggest fans. The episode should have ended there, but instead they bring the episode down a tier or two by having the worst, most unfunny final quote-unquote funny ending. The middle part is great, it's a funny concept, but even then it doesn't feel like it went as far as it could have. I want to see the paparazzi getting up in his face, adoring fans stalking him and making him uncomfortable. Maybe the end is that Chuck gets sick of the glory after wanting nothing more for 64 episodes. But oh no, Angry Birds didn't ask for my input when they made this episode. Well, I won't ask for theirs when I put this sucker in B. Man, I've been waiting since the 14th episode to see Corporal Pig without his helmet again. Not! What the freak did I say? Don't take it off! Oh! Oh, thank God. Thank the holy Lord they made a whole episode about it. This episode is crazy because it does a few things I love and a few things I really hate. For starters, it is the exact same idea as Where's My Crown, except Corporal Pig is the main character. No one respects him without the thing he wears on his head, and he isn't taken seriously anymore. While it's time to do the same thing twice, I do like how low he reaches, being denied an invitation to a birthday party and drowning in soup. But he becomes so determined to regain his former glory that he fights to get his helmet back, and leaves the eggs. Now, the fight is dumb. Obviously, if it was so easy to get the eggs that you just had to jump once, then those babies would be fried by now. Would have been a stronger message to see him take down like 3 birds or something. However, him leaving the eggs totally makes sense. Think about it. This episode shows that Corporal Pig just wants to be a corporal. If they succeeded in stealing the eggs, then what? The fight is over, Corporal Pig has no purpose, and his title has no meaning. It's a fun idea despite it never really being used in other episodes, and even here I'm grasping at straws a bit. Good thing I've convinced myself. B tier. Angry Birds decided to mock people with a lisp in the episode Mona Lisa. Chuck's relationship with Boulder Bro has clearly elevated since the last time we saw them. Maybe there's a chance for a second sex episode after all. Chuck tries to be the waiter and the guy on the date, but kinda just sets everything on fire and murders Boulder Bro. He realizes, just like Loki, that the only person he should be attracted to is himself. I do find the waiter's look of disapproval to be pretty funny. And yeah, Chuck's loneliness evolving to dating his Boulder Bro and eventually himself is pretty fun. And can you blame him? Both of these ladies are making me a Boulder Bro right now. I'm so sorry. I'm so freaking sorry. I really need to learn to live, laugh, love more often. They're just so hot. A tier. Sorry for saying Hamlet in the intro. What I meant to say was Sir Baum of Hamelot. Baum enters a pig jousting contest as the Black Knight. And no, that's not racist. He's up against the buff pig from Hamshank Redemption. They both keep eyeing up the first place prize, which is really weird to me. Are they expecting like a princess or something? Just really weird vibes. This is kind of more or less confirmed when the prize is a statue of King Pig, and they both commit no life fees so they don't have to deal with it. I guess this really was like Hamlet. A 2 buff pig. Just really weird vibes here. The buff pig has like a crazy juicy ass for no reason. So with that in mind, C. Don't get your hopes up. Yes, this is the 69th episode, and no, they don't celebrate it by doing sex again. Trust me, I rewatched it 3 times just to make sure I didn't miss any sex. What I did see was a whole lot of bearded ambition. After Piggy Wig, I half expected King Pig to wear a bird on his chin. Instead, Professor Pig makes him a potion to grow a super long beard, but it causes more trouble than anything. I love that every pig now has some sort of facial hair, because of course they do. Now they have to rewrite history and cover up every beard from the past. Hold up, is that juicy ass? Maybe the 69th episode is sexual. What sucks is they don't show all the pigs with their juicy new asses. Like, why wasn't that the subject of the episode? Come on, butt cheek ambition? It was right there, people. We can only dream. This episode made me laugh, but wasn't very good story-wise. B tier. Matilda's dream that she has been going on and on about for 70 episodes is to play hockey. What, you guys didn't pick up on that? So she becomes cold justice and disguises herself as a pig to get into the game. She's a big fan of this Afro pig who gets beat up by the cheeked up buff pig. So Matilda gets out there and wins the game for her team. I like a couple of the jokes in here, but I was yawning the whole time. No ass cheeks to be seen. D tier. Oh my god, look at the title. Angry Birds said the fuck word? So Matilda wants Chuck to slow the chuck down. Oh, sorry, my bad, Angry Birds. Slow the fuck down. Sorry about that. So Chuck slows way the fuck down. He's laughing. The eggs are being boiled and he's laughing. He finally goes to save the eggs and shows that he's learned nothing at all and was a huge dick about it. I mean, him big jerk-ass Chuck was the only entertaining part of the episode, but that doesn't make me like it. Just for that, I'm gonna make you guys watch Chuck plant this flower for as long as I had to. Had enough yet? I thought so. Now would you slow the Chuck down already? D tier. Chuck messes with the wrong pig, so they both train montage style for their big fight. Only they might have trained a little too hard. They're so tired they both lose, but enjoy watching the audience freak out about it. You know what I enjoy watching? Them cheeks! There's like an uncomfortable amount of buff pig's buns in this one, so here's your own little montage of every booty scene. Also, you're not gonna believe this, but now there is continuity? Freaking none other than Dogzilla appears on the anchor, proving that there actually is continuity, but only tied to this one character. I gotta do like a whole theory video about this thing. But that's just a theory. An A tier theory. Thanks for watching. I just keep getting my hopes up. Eating out? How is this not a sex episode? As discussed earlier, Matilda refuses to cook for the flock anymore, so they have to find something to eat for themselves. This leads them to Pig City, where they destroy a dessert just to get one cupcake. Before they can share it, Matilda greedily eats it, and, well, I guess they must just starve to death. I gotta say, the music in this episode was some of the best I've heard. You have got to go watch this one again just to hear it. I found the whole thing to just be really entertaining. I like that Corporal Pig just needs to see the helmet, he doesn't care who's wearing it. Now this should without a doubt be A, I get that. It is not top tier, but we've been a little starved for S's lately, and if I were to bump any up, it would have to be this one, so you're welcome, Toons. The pigs actually did it! They got an egg! Now it's time for the Great Escape. The Secret Service pig uses each of the castle's hidden traps to stop Red so they can escape with the egg. King Pig licks all over the eggs to taunt Red. They lock themselves in a rocket ship, but it turns out King Pig isn't licking egg, he's licking ass. You were so close, King Pig. I really enjoyed this one too. Seeing their plan was to actually bring an egg back is pretty fun. Red is always just one step behind them, which makes the chase pretty epic. Heck, I'm feeling generous tonight. S tier. Oh, sorry guys. Didn't see you there. Yeah, I was just watching the episode Sleep Like a Hog, and I almost fell asleep, but thankfully it was a pretty entertaining episode. King Pig can't sleep, so Professor Pig tries a few different solutions, but ultimately follows Corporal Pig's advice and beats him with a mallet instead. I like Professor Pig getting his first big role, I like seeing King Pig get high and Dogzilla again somehow, and I just liked it. Not S this time, but still good. A tier. Hello, Bombina. Seducing Matilda didn't work, so the pigs try Bomb next. It really is working, but the pigs start messing around and they blow up their whole supply. Bomb gets back at Corporal Pig by making a sexy pig bomb, and the episode ends. If only Bombina were real. I hope someday she will be mine. But she can't be, she's dead, and she's never coming back. Freak off, Angry Birds. For messing with my heart, you get a C tier this time. I'm sorry, this episode is called Pig Possessed, not Obsessed. And honestly, I'm glad I was wrong. That sounds like an awesome episode. It starts with this voodoo pig, and I think this is like the only real female pig we've seen, like ever. She's the Smurfette of the bad piggies, I guess. Either way, King Pig messes up her tent, so she seemingly puts a curse on him. They attempt to do an exorcism with a shaman and everything. I gotta say, the way the crown splits out like that genuinely creeps me out a bit. I saw the twist coming from a mile away where he's just choking on a chicken leg, but still it was pretty funny to watch. My favorite part is when everyone is on fire and panicking, so Chancellor Pig checks the instructions just to see that that's part of the process. I gotta say S, awesome episode. Again, as much as I'd like for this to be an epic sex-off, it's sadly all about saxophones. What an incredible finale to the season. Matilda has a battle of the saxes with some sax-addicted pig. Matilda obviously wins in the end, but she really does deserve it. The way they do it is pretty cool. Matilda keeps playing more complex, better sounding music, while the pig plays the same catchy tune but with flashier lights. Honestly, I kinda like the pig's music better though, sorry Matilda. Some people are just really good with sax, and other people could use some work. Actually, some people are just more sexually appealing, or at least that's what I was told in my sax ed class. Huh? What, you don't think I've had sax? I've had sax! I've had plenty of sax! I've had sax with your mom, dude! I'll put my thumb through your eye! Sorry, I'm just really passionate about saxophones. As a finale, this was fine, but compared to most episodes, I'd have to say C. Well, we've done it. Season 2 is over. There were a lot of really great ones in this season too, which actually kind of sucks because looking at our combined lists, yikes, can you even read A tier anymore? It's not my fault these tunes are all A tier, it's Angry Birds' fault for not making more D tiers. Well, this is weird to say, but I'd honestly love to see a bunch of Ds and S in this final season. Well, only one way to find out. Let's finish this thing. Hold up. This sax guy from the last episode's name is Trump Pig? I am not even kidding right now. I'm referring to the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. This guy doesn't even look like Trump. What the actual freak, dude? I take back everything I said about your sax appeal, bro. You better hope this episode is good because you are starting pretty dang low right now. Trump Pig buys a golden egg that King Pig really wants, so he breaks into Trump Pig's house to take it from him. They hold his wig hostage and steal the egg. But would you look at that, these things are so common that everyone has them. Whoop-de-doo. The only good joke was trying to get through the doggy door but just breaking the whole door down instead. Screw you, Trump. D tier. I officially got to this point in the video when it finally dawned on me that this whole video might get deleted and serve me a copyright strike. So let's really put our all into this last season. If we're gonna go out, we gotta at least go out with a bang, right? Bad Hair Day starts Chuck off with gray hair? So he feels and acts super old. When the eggs are stolen, the Blues show him the prank, and he saves the day. And look at that, the same prank works on the Blues too? Wow, deja vu? Nope, just Boulder Bro again. Try being original next time. F tier. Oh boy, Goldilocks, my favorite fantasy character. I just can't wait to see how Angry Birds tackles this one. So Goldie Charters wants the perfect porridge, the perfect slingshot, there we go, and perfect bed. Other than the creepy birds and Grandma Terrence, this was literally just Goldilocks. WTF Angry Birds. Actually, get rid of the W and the T. Just F. I hate old westerns. Cowboys, hate them. Boy cows, love them. A fistful of cabbage? Well, I don't know yet. I guess I gotta watch the episode and find out. King Pig is inspired to be a cowboy, but he gets carried away and locks everyone in town up. He runs into actual villains, gets scared and throws himself in jail instead. The ending sucks, where everyone just eats a bunch of cabbage and King Pig licks some keys. Best of the season though, surprisingly. B tier. It's me, Dracula, here to rank my favorite episode of Angry Birds Toons. Porcula. The King Pig wants to suck Bubbles' blood, but Bubbles only has air? I guess? And then everyone becomes wereboars. That's actually pretty cool. I wish the whole episode was about that. Meh. A 1. A 2. A C. Oh boy, have I been waiting for them to do a didgeridoo episode. I feel like that's the theme for this whole season so far. Like, what is up with these episode concepts? Chuck sucks at it, but Bomb rules, and Chuck is of course jealous. Now with that phone in recap, you might think this one sucked, but it's really not too bad. The end is definitely the best, where Chuck swallows an accordion so Bomb can't play it, so he just plays Chuck instead. Gotta say, A tier. In the portrait, King Pig wants a cool portrait of himself fighting the birds. Honestly, the only part I didn't like was getting mooned by the king. The silly antics of trying to take the photo were pretty enjoyable. I love the lore that every king before him got the eggs. That's a fun idea. The final picture is really funny too. I love how long he is. No way this is on the same level of the top tier episodes, but you did good. A tier. Chuck breaks the slingshot, and now Terrence is forcing him to fix it. It starts off okay, Chuck just keeps screwing up, but Terrence watching him really bugs Chuck, so he tries to cover him up, only for Terrence to teleport behind him. God, I just love Terrence so much. Chuck messes up bad and dies in the resulting fire. When he wakes up, Terrence has built the ultimate slingshot. What an awesome episode. It's always fun to hate Chuck when Terrence is around. The portrait walks so Fix-It could run. S tier, baby. Great, back to watching old people again, my favorite pastime. If I wanted to do that, I'd go hang out in a nursing home, Angry Birds. Jeez, it's not like we just did this a few episodes ago. Corporal Pig uses an aging potion on the birds so he can steal the eggs. They shoot a bunch in the air to celebrate, hit themselves, and then they are all old and dumb. The episode ends with them all still old and on the verge of death, so I guess this is what the rest of season 3 is now. Who am I kidding, they hate continuity. I really do like Bomb's elderly design, probably mostly just because he does this. It was a boring episode, but there were enjoyable moments. Would have been better if it was a Chef Pig episode, I bet. C tier. Today Mustache Pig is catching the blues. Or just one blue. Apparently he doesn't know there's 3. Psh, rookie. Probably never even heard of Stinky Steve either. The blues prank him and that's that. Didn't hate it, D tier. Oh man, our last Christmas episode. The birds and the pigs want the same tree, but after fighting for it they learn to share it. The ending is actually really nice where they both just open their presents. It's a good little moment to cherish since we're about halfway through the final season now. But we gotta stop or I'll get copyrighted. Screw you, Rovio. But I won't punish the episode for that. B tier. Red is so angry that Matilda tries to teach Red to be a happy hippie. He accidentally hurts her and finally gives into just making weird noises, really. Then Matilda gets mad and beats up Red. The scene where Red is just uncontrollably angry and frothing at the mouth is just really entertaining. The hippie stuff is just annoying to me though. C tier. My prediction is this one will be F tier. It's called Mind the Pony and has the worst title card. Let's see if I'm right. Well, right off the bat, the majority of this episode is an epic chase scene, so it's already better than like 90% of these. Chuck and Bomb and even the pigs destroy the entire city, but they go too far when they break a pony toy. The trial scene is really funny, where they just sentence to serve time by fixing the pony and all the stuff they broke. Wow, I was wrong. Don't judge a book by its cover, I suppose. An epic chase scene, funny jokes, and an unexpected ending are all you need to get S tier. Didn't we do this already? No, I don't mean Bombina. I mean Operation Opera. You can only do the fake bird thing so many times before it gets old. This time, Matilda's kidnapped so Robotilda can steal the eggs. Matilda's nurturing to the pigs so they let her go, and when Jim fries himself, that's some classic Jim right there. Robotilda sucks at helping. Matilda saves the eggs, pigs worship Robotilda, and everyone's happy. Except for me, I would like a good episode now please. F tier. Guess we're doing wrestling again. We see the grand return of El Porcador, and the sweet cheeks. What an episode. King Pig wants to wrestle just like El Porcador, but loses badly. He gets his own wrestler toy though, so he's happy. I didn't expect him to lose, but I'm glad he did, and the toy ending was pretty nice too. I'd say this is probably the most enjoyable a wrestling episode could be. I really wasn't expecting to like it so much, so what the heck, S tier. It would be pretty dang cool to get an Angry Birds space reference here, but sadly it's much lamer than that. The Blues prank Chuck with a bunch of alien hoaxes, but Chuck beats them and they all have a laugh about it. Then Red gets abducted for real, and probably probed, like really probed. Like that's too far even for me probed. So that's messed up. Probably one of the better Blues breaking episodes though. B tier. Not once have we seen this freaking butler, and you're trying to convince me he's been here the whole time? Tough luck. The whole episode is old-fashioned way versus new cool way, and the ending is a literal poop joke, which means there really isn't an ending, which is very strange. This really might be one of the worst episodes in the entire show. Easy F tier. It's just sad, really. Chuck watches as Bomb just lets the pigs get stolen, so Chuck has to go and save them. Wait, stop! What is that? Who is that? I know Chef Pig appears later, but what the freak do you think you're doing introducing some what? Cook hog? Baker boar? Pig patissier? Yes, that's French. I hate it too. I will not forget this. I'll move on, but don't think for a second you're off the hook. The eggs get squashed, and the crying scene is so over the top that it's pretty entertaining. But he runs into more pigs with more eggs. He saves a crazy amount of eggs until he notices what happened. And everything I like about the episode is ruined by the ending. Such a dumb and annoying way to end it. I really like the middle, but the fake chef and ending put this at a D. Wow, two things I cannot relate to. Well, it's the overdone too short to ride trope that offers nothing more than the sweet, sweet cheeks. I don't know what came over me. Those are some dang sweet cheeks though. Their solution weirds me out too, with his massive head bump making him tall enough to ride. Boring. F tier. What would happen if a magician made King Pig disappear? Who knows? I really wish they went further with the idea. We only get to see one solution to get him back. Each pig slowly getting dragged into the box is pretty fun though. I am sad we don't get to see where they're disappearing to, but it's still a pretty fun episode. King Pig is just really entertaining in this one. A tier. Oh no, not more shipping in my freaking children's show. It's the most cursed ship of all. Matilda and Gulp King Pig. It is fun seeing them send every possession they had to one another, and this is like the first time we see King Pig think of anyone but himself. Sadly, this ain't Romeo and Juliet, and she shoves him into a bottle. Perfect ending, honestly. I've changed my mind. I'm King Tilda all the freaking way now. I do feel like they ripped off Romeo and Juliet a little though. That movie really has a great original story that gets copied surprisingly often. Still, you squeak out an A tier, just barely. We've made it through 100 episodes, and if you're not sick of listening to me yet, I don't know how, cause man, editing this thing has been rough. Plus, I'm literally sick, so we're almost through, and to celebrate, we get the fan favorite butler back, as well as the hated fake chef. King Pig wants to do a murder mystery, but isn't very good at solving it. He thinks the fake chef did it? I do too. Lock him up. Lock him up. A window washer sees this out of context. King Pig is left holding the weapon, and the tiny little pig in his brain starts working, and he figures out the mystery. Great episode, seriously. It probably is an S, but we'll give A tier a break and put it there anyways. Most modern horror movies don't even compare to the Stalker episode of Angry Birds Toons. Just look at that face. Whoa. No. Oh, this is freaky. Turns out he just wanted to get the crap off of King Pig's butt. He's still a creep though. Very enjoyable episode, but I feel weird putting it in S. A tier. I don't understand the title. Boda chucked? Is Chuck a stand-in for the fuck word again? And if so, what does that even mean? Should it be photo bombed? Come on, Angry Birds, you have a character named Bomb. You were so close. Matilda just wants to take a picture of her flowers, but every time Chuck sneaks in. It's pretty funny just seeing Chuck's face come out of that camera every time. At the end, he tries to take a nice picture for her, and he doesn't even realize that he's done it again. But that's Chuck for you. I'm kind of realizing this is the last we're going to see of Chuck, last of Matilda. Bomb and Blues are already gone. Red has barely been here all season, which is pretty nuts. And that's just really sad. But hey, this is a really nice send-off to Chuck and Matilda's characters. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. S tier. I really came around on Chuck, huh? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, this is it! Chef Pig's last Spotlight episode. Can he do it? Can he go out with a bang? Bake on! Oh my god, I just got the joke after saying it. Shows Chef Pig trying to train some apprentices. They seem really bad, but King Pig loves bad food. It is so freaking funny watching him rub the cake all over his body. And I really can't believe this, but somehow this explains where Chef Pig has been. This random pig gets a chef hat, and he goes and freaking dies in a bread basket. I was not expecting to find out how this wannabe chef got in here, but that's pretty cool. But man, it sucks that this is the final Chef Pig episode. He started off as a crazy cool villain, but hardly a chef, and at the end it basically took a complete 180. It's sad, but I suppose it makes sense. I'll always love you, Chef Pig, and your final episode will go in B. As the grand spanking finale, put your feathers, pig hoofs, and sweet cheeks together for toy hoggers. More like toy poggers, am I right? Oh wait, I already said that. They sure do love their King Pig episodes, and Terrence is a fan favorite too, so it makes a lot of sense as their finale. King Pig ditches his favorite toy, but after regretting it, he finds that Terrence has it. The funniest way this could escalate is to make it a hostage situation, which of course they do. They offer Terrence everything, so King Pig makes the move to give him his crown. Wow, what a cool finale that would be. Terrence is the new king of the pigs. But nah, Terrence doesn't want that. Terrence wants an officially licensed Angry Birds movie Terrence plush. I was honestly pretty shocked looking at that. Let's watch that final scene together. That was magical. Well done, Angry Birds Toons. I might be feeling happy or sentimental or whatever, but I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. S tier. What is it that makes Angry Birds Toons so special? Well, there's kind of a lot of things. Their ability to convey so many emotions, jokes, and stories without any real dialogue is crazy impressive. The ability to translate the shape, color, and power of these birds from a mobile game to characters with personalities and character traits is really expertly executed. The myriad of episodes and plots that completely differ from one another and, for the most part, continue to be entertaining for over 100 episodes is just magical. And that's just the word. Magical. These characters have come to life. They mean so much more to me now. Going back and playing one of those games, I can't help but see Red as a protective, caring parent. I can't help but see Chuck as an egotistical jerk-ass, Matilda a hippie mom, the Blues smug bratty kids, and King Pig a messy slop of a man-child. Well, I guess he is a fat green pig. But the point remains. This show made the Angry Birds series mean something more than it ever would have before. This isn't just simply because there are stories and character traits. We've seen that attempt that with the movies. And, well, those just really can't compare. I still love the movies too, but they're not even on the same level. Angry Birds Toons is quite possibly one of the greatest things to come out of the Angry Birds franchise, and is undoubtedly one of the best animated video game series. That isn't just the nostalgia talking. I rewatched all of these. You've seen them now too. They're just so incredible. Well, you know, most of them. Really incredible. So in conclusion, I'm happy the series ended after 3 seasons. Yes, I would have loved to see more, but they fully ran the course of what they could do, and to be honest, they probably should have just quit after the sex episode. Man, can you believe I've gone this long without talking about the sex episode? Sorry, let's wrap up. Angry Birds Toons was, is, and always will be amazing. I'll be showing it to my firstborn child as they exit the womb. What? Thank you so freaking much for watching. I have no doubt Angry Birds fans are going to love revisiting this stuff, but I really appreciate it if you watch all the way through. There are, of course, more animated series that Angry Birds made, with the most notable ones being Piggy Tales and Angry Birds Stella. If you want to see me cover those too, just let me know. Yeah, that's great. I love the show and everything, but there's how many episodes? With the creation of Angry Birds Toons and the Toons TV app, it'd be weird for Rovio to only make one show. It
It was prime time for them to make another series based in the Angry Birds universe, but just what could the show be about? Well, it's time to roll around the mud and oink, because them bad little piggies are getting their own dang show. But this isn't just Toons from the pig's perspective. Pigs aren't anything like birds. Pigs are green, pigs sometimes have legs, and of course, there's shorter attention spans, stupider ideas, and wacky inventions. So of course these episodes are much shorter, and often feature a single minion pig doing something stupid. What more could you want in life? The show received more episodes and more seasons than Angry Birds Toons, which is pretty dang impressive. But why? Does the show deserve 124 episodes, or should they have quit while they were ahead? It's high time we find out as we rank every single episode back to back. Welcome everyone to my actual nightmare. If you've seen my video ranking every Toons episode, you might remember the torture I went through just to post it. I spent my entire month of June uploading the video again and again and again, trying to remove all copyright from it. And I have no intention of doing that again, trust me. A lot of this video is just going to have to consist of still images, otherwise it cannot exist. These episodes are so heavily copyrighted, I have no way around it. I'll show actual clips when applicable, but this is just how it's going to have to be. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the Toons video, or just long deep dives into the entirety of a TV series, then this is going to be absolutely pigalicious. Plus, there's no way we're getting bored here. Every season has an entirely new theme, and eventually we got the Angry Birds movie style mixed in towards the end. Since when do pigs have legs? Regardless, it'll be fun to see the show evolve and try new things as we go. I have never listed 121 of anything without stopping before, so join me as we look through every nostalgic title card and I go absolutely insane naming every episode. Or don't, you can just skip this and watch the ranking part right now. It's your loss, honestly. Here we go. Trampoline, Roughnecks, Abduction, Teeter Trotter, The Hole, Push Button, The Mirror, Super Glue, Piggy in the Middle, Epic Sir Bucket, Push Button Trouble, Shazam, Puffed Up, Peekaboo, Up or Down, Gloves, Snooze, Super Pork, Cake Duel, Dr. Pork MD, Hog Hoops, The Cure, Up the Tempo, Jammed, Fly Piggy Fly, The Game, The Catch, Snowed Up, The Wishing Well, Stuck In, and It's a Wrap. That is a wrap on season 1, but we ain't even close. Let's keep going, I'm pumped! Nailed it, Lunch Break, Screw Up, Pile Up, Step 1, Jackhammered, Race Nut, Predicament and Paint, Get the Hammer, Fabulous Fluke, Magnetic Appeal, Porkatron, Grand Opening, Lights Out, Tipping Point, All Geared Up, Dream House, Home Sweet Home, Mind the Gap, Unhinged, Sticky Situation, Final Exam, Three Little Piggies, Bored to Pieces, Ready Aim Play, Goosebump Special, Demo Hogs, and Swine Symphony. Holy crab loads, that's only half freaking way! I don't know how I haven't screwed up yet, this is incredible. Alright, I can do this. You got this, chicks. Ah, wrong floor! Bouncing Buffoon, Up the Ladder, Sharpest Shooter, Snack Time, Batter Up, Magic Matchup, The Bubble Trick, Piggy Dive, One Big Hurdle, Piggy Vaulting, Art School, Chalk It Up, School's Up, Broken Chair, Hidden Talent, Hiccups, Let's Tango, Scared Sick, Shadow Pig, Pumpkinhead, For Pig's Sake, Remote Pig, Pig Interrupted, Light Dance, Pig Expectations, Gift Wrapped, Holiday Song, Lost Piggy, The Mime, Snout on the Wall, Reabduction, Ball Games, Slip Up, and Final Curtain, which lists to reveal the last season. We are so dang close! I gotta speed this up. Get your stopwatch ready. I'm submitting this to the speedrun.com Piggy Tales title cards reading any % category, and I'm wasting time! Scary Fog, Holiday Heist, Pig City Valentine, Roadhog, Slingshot Delivery, Bad Signal, Egg Hunt, Hoop and Loop, Cops and Robbers, Ghost Hog, Hard Day's Light, Branched Out, Pig and String, Pork Brigade, Getaway Loot, Joyful Jingle, Happy New Pig, Muffin Master, Well Done, Green and Furious, Dream Dog, Dodge and Deliver, Ramp Champ, Slam Punk, Doorbell Symphony, Getaway Graffiti, Light Riders, Post No Pigs, Down Invasion, and Pigs Can Fly! Wait, what the hell? No, they freaking can't. Whatever, I did it in record time and totally never messed up and edited out. That would be cheating against the speedrun. With all of that out of the way, it is finally time to find out which are the best episodes of Piggy Tales and which ones end up in my compilation of epic fails. Can you guys believe we still have 123 more episodes after this? We should probably get through these quick then. For each episode, I'm going to recap the story and then discuss what I love or hate about it before ranking them. And I know recapping sometimes took a while for Angry Birds Toons, but those were all over 2 minutes long with full-length stories, while Piggy Tales shorts are usually under a minute.
And when I tell you that the first episode features a pig finding a trampoline, jumping on it until it launches him up, and the camera pans up to show this isn't the first pig who's done this, and that's it, I think you can see this will be a pretty easy task. Still, that's an awesome joke, just seeing them all squished on the ceiling like that. Speaking of, they wouldn't be squished at all if they weren't made out of clay. The first season style is all about looking like claymation on this empty white void. I totally was fooled thinking these episodes were really made with stop motion as a kid, but they've instead inspired the Lego movie by using computer animation to achieve the style. It's really charming and leads to some really funny expressions. This first episode is filled with hilarious screenshots from just this one pig. We're off to a great start, but I know things get better. Better than pigs stuck to the ceiling? Man, if they start rolling around in mud, you're gonna make my country accent come out again. Let's put it in B and move to episode 2. This episode actually works perfectly for showing still images because almost the entire episode is one. It's a really cool idea based entirely on the sound design, so you're left to imagine what could be happening. The only bad thing is you guys can't hear it and just hear my stupid voice instead. A construction pig all the way at the top of a tower drops his hammer and he has to walk all the way down to get it. Then he has to climb all the way back up. Then he drops the hammer again. This time, a pig swaps his saw for a hammer though, and they both seem pretty happy with the trade. But when the pig climbs up again, the saw was too good and he falls with the saw for the last time. The magic of the episode is that you're left to imagine what he was doing up there, but at the same time, I want to know what he's doing up there. And I actually feel that the ending is a little lackluster because we don't see it. Don't get me wrong, this was really fun to watch, but compared to the wacky antics coming up soon, I'd have to say D tier. Sorry, Roughneckers. Wait, I don't think I'm allowed to say that. Wow, just 3 episodes in and we're already getting to the good stuff. The episode starts with this pig literally just staring at a wall, but he's distracted from his task by a tiny UFO. The alien reveals himself as a tiny little pig, who sounds like this. I don't know why, but watching this pig just uncontrollably laugh at the tiny alien pig made me laugh too. It's just a stupidly funny scenario. But the tiny pig is pissed and he goes right into Laughing Pig's mouth, and that shuts him up quick. The pig is flown away against his will, presumably never to be seen again. It's such a simple episode, but with this series especially, simple is never a bad thing. I loved what it set up and will happily give it an A tier. Wow, guess we're fat shaming now. Anyways, the stupid fat ugly pig is sad about being stupid fat and presumably ugly as well, all because a small attractive friend gets to use the teeter-totter. He literally just gets up and leaves, leaving his once attractive friend looking like this. Now they're both ugly! God, I hate fat pigs. At this point, I must note this is a joke and I will stop. Do not cancel me for this. The small pig tries using fireworks to lift the fat pig, but they instead explode them into the air, making the fat pig feel real joy for the first time in his final moments. Yeah, no freaking way they're surviving that fall. It's a cute enough episode, but nothing unexpected or funny really happened, so let's say C tier. I love this world the pigs live in during the first season. Everything is a white void with no signs of life outside the pigs we get to see, and every once in a while they come across something like the hole. Piggy Tales is unironically the original Backrooms, and no one's talking about it but me! The whole episode is a couple of pigs messing with the wind coming out of an ominous hole, and again they're just so entertaining to listen to. They both jump into the wind only for it to be turned off, and again we only get to imagine what it's like at the bottom. Then they're shot out like a rocket, and they run away in fear as the hole ominously turns back on. I love the idea of this, and I think it uses the idea of not seeing what's happening much better than the second episode did. I'm still not ready to give out an S tier, but it can definitely go an A. A pig comes across the titular push button and has a blast pushing the button without understanding what it does. Once he's had his fun, he walks forward into a literal graveyard of the pigs he just murder-lated with the push button. He actually finds their corpses pretty amusing until he gets chased down by the push button himself. I love the added bit where all the pigs he squashed laugh at him for getting squished too. Now this is the S tier episode I've been waiting for. I actually have a Mandela effect memory here where the push button controlled gravity, which is really weird, but I found this episode very amusing watching it back again. Let's welcome our first top tier to the list. This one is so funny too. I saw the joke coming a mile away, but the execution was what makes it so perfect. This is the actual reincarnation of Chuck we're seeing, cursed to be born again as a pig for all the sins he's committed. And he is unbelievably infatuated with his own reflection. He nearly kisses himself at one point, that's how down bad he is for himself. Then a pig walks up and invites his reflection elsewhere, leaving the self-centered pig more red than any pig I've ever seen. And yeah, it's a little underwhelming, but the buildup of him going nuts in front of the so-called mirror is what makes it funny. The little roar he does is just perfection. Still, not much else to note. B tier. Look, at this point, I'm on to you, Rovio employee. First you put inflation into every game with bubbles, and then when there's only pigs, they somehow still make an inflation episode. And now they're going as far as to make the human centipede too? Well, pig centipede, I guess. That is pretty funny though, and just how did the pigs get into this predicament? It's all because of this one tube of super glue. The pig hardly even touches the tube before another pig is stuck to him, and from there, each pig can't resist joining in. I love that one is attached by the nose, and another one is being dragged by the ears, and thankfully none of them seem to be attached inside of another pig, human centipede style. They used accordion music to emphasize their caterpillar movement, and that's a nice touch too. But nothing too crazy, again, B tier. I definitely remembered this episode, but I didn't remember just how hard the singer goes. It's almost like a jump scare. The piggy in the middle is sick of it, uses a can to get the ball to himself, only to shoot down the one and only tender pig out of the sky. Again, these episodes so expertly make use of their fixed cameras, and if you ever hear music or singing, you have to expect they're somewhere off screen. It was cool just seeing the tenor pig too, as every other character has been the same generic pig up until now. I found the ending scene with the tenor pig trying to keep singing a little much though, and I honestly wish the episode cut to credits as the piano fell on the pig. That kind of brings it down to C tier for me. This episode came out just as the brand new game Angry Birds Epic released. And while this doesn't really have anything to do with Epic, we see Sir Bucket messing around until he runs into the one and only ominous anvil, which is actually an item from the game. I am so amused by the image of this anvil being held up by a single red balloon, and you can feel a sense of dread as the pig inspects it from underneath. It holds steady though, and he makes the brilliant move to cut the string holding the anvil up. The joke is so stupid, but I could not help but burst into laughter as the pig looks up and screams in terror as the red balloon falls and crushes him. It makes absolutely no sense, it should not be funny, but doggone it, I love it. S tier, baby. Would you look at that, it is the grand return of the push button. Remember my Mandela effect moment from before? Well, it's real! It's really real! Guess that means Nelson Mandela really did die in prison while reading the Berenstain Bears, who knew? Anyways, the push button has taken an all new effect, tilting the entire plane of existence when pressed. I really love seeing the pig use objects from Bad Piggies. I'm sure fans of Bad Piggies can relate to that. Then the box falls on the button and it's infinitely pressed, causing the world to spin before stopping completely upside down. It falls, crushing the pig and spinning endlessly. It was an entertaining return of the push button, but I'd have to say I like the original better. It's still the push button though, so A tier. I waited this whole episode for a man with a big lightning bolt on his chest to walk in and say Shazam, but no! Turns out the Mandela effect is real, and I was thinking of Kazam. My bad. Instead, the episode shows us two pigs with a magic wand. They don't stumble upon the wand, it's literally just in front of them, which is so much funnier to me. They use it and are horrified by their new hammerhead friend, but once he's fixed, the audience sees they've already gone too far because they find it entertaining. They go through a variety of inanimate objects, and my favorite has got to be the wheel. But one becomes a mirror, bouncing the beam back and leaving them both as immovable objects for the rest of their lives. Man, some of these episodes are dark. We gotta be on the lookout now. Any mirror or green umbrella that shows up could be these two pigs. If I miss a mirror or umbrella in an episode, let me know in the comments. I'm on a hunt now. I definitely enjoyed this one, but I wouldn't put it higher than B. I cannot believe they gave inflation lovers a whole minute and 20 seconds of pure, fully inflated goodness. Rovio must have some homies on the inside, just saying. If you look at funny Angry Birds pigs, you're gonna see a lot of cursed images from this episode. Luckily, I adore cursed images, so I can't wait. Two pigs literally just have an inflate off, making the most funny but uncomfortable faces each time, until one gets all corked up. He's so full of air he starts floating, and if you pause the scene just right, it looks like they're making out. And then he shoots around the room, losing air and falls flat on the floor. Other than the funny images I'm keeping on my phone for educational purposes, I really wasn't impressed with this one. C tier. I don't really get why this one is called Peekaboo when they're literally playing hide and seek, but I can't even be mad because we have an absolute icon here. The mentally challenged pig is so funny to watch, and finding out his prank was to perfectly paint his face white to hide was a pretty good twist. I definitely thought we had like an almighty being situation on our hands, but thankfully he was just doing whiteface. Wait a second, you can't do whiteface in 2023? First we have Lando Bird, now we have this guy, and I'm left wondering how Rovio hasn't been cancelled yet. Or how I haven't. Yeah, we better move on now. C tier. Up or down, eh? I'd say it's mostly downs.
Mostly downs! Mostly downs!
A pig struggles to catch an elevator, only for them to both open at the same time. He can either choose the completely empty one or the jam-packed full of piggies one. They linger on this for a while, despite us fully understanding which elevator he's going to choose. It still puts a smile on my face because it's so silly, but I'd have to say this is one of my least favorites of the season so far. That F tier is only worthy of actual dog dookie episodes though, so we live another day and put this one in D. I'm not too crazy about this one either. In a world where no creature has arms or legs, the pigs come across a pair of gloves. If you're not on board with the apocalypse theory yet, then what's the holdup? But to be fair, that is the entire joke. Two of the pigs use the gloves in a myriad of dumb ways, such as the udders of a cow or a trampoline. But when the little pig tries to show them how to clap, the pigs are completely unimpressed. And honestly, they should be. They don't have hands! The joke just doesn't land very well, and it's only entertaining to see what uses the pigs can come up with. Again, it's not unbearable, but this is the closest we've gotten to F tier yet. Still, D tier. Leave it to Piggy Tales to make an episode about two pigs sleeping entertaining. As someone who snorks and memes myself, I definitely took this personally, but I'll put it aside for now. One pig can't sleep because the other's being too loud, and he does everything he can to wake him up. Not only does he conjure a train into existence, but he is so determined that he straight up obliterates him without hesitation. I love the detail that his eyes open in this scene, almost as if he's just doing this on purpose. All this work wears out the pig, causing him to snork and me himself. The other pig's reaction to this absolutely kills me. He's so annoyed and he tries to wake him up exactly the same way. And of course, the joke of this waking him up is good too, but we've all seen that one a million times. This episode manages to beat that overdone trope, and I will happily give it an A tier. None other than Super Pork makes his debut, chasing down a criminal. It's pretty funny his name isn't a derivative of Batman, considering this is straight up a Batman and Robin ripoff. But we see their attempt to get across a gap between buildings, only for him to succeed as the criminal switches sides and runs away. The joke that saves this mediocre ending is that Super Pork wasn't even aiming for the robber, he's just happy to have gotten to the other side. Still, I was hoping for a lot more from an episode called Super Pork. I still hope to see him again, but his episode goes in C. Two pigs ogle over the same piece of cake, causing them to sporadically become gentlemen in order to properly duel for it. While it is cursed to see their Piggy Tails... Wait a second, that's the name of the show! While it is cursed to see their Piggy Tails stick out straight like that, I'm actually more disturbed by their sudden gentlemanly attire. During their battle, they accidentally slice the cake in half and decide to just share it instead. Again, we are getting so dang close to F tier, but we're just not quite there yet. When we have one, you'll know it, you'll feel it. D tier. And now, for the best episode of Season 1, we have Dr. Pork MD. Every single second of this episode is hysterical, and I cannot wait to share this episode with all of you. The episode really feels like a culmination of everything that came before it, so not only is it very funny, but really exciting too. 3 patients are visiting Dr. Pork MD, and it seems like the medicine he gives them is pretty much the only cure they'll ever need. They still must go through a checkup, complete with the doctor taking notes on everything, which is absolutely the funniest gimmick to me. Him diligently writing complete chicken scratch is so funny. His second patient is Tenor Pig, who honestly could just come from his incident and Piggy in the middle. Again, the same procedure is done, doctor's notes are taken, and he is cured with his medicine. And then, none other than the pig from Abduction floats into the doctor's office. The freaking Dr. Pig looks at the camera as if this is the same typical shit he has to deal with every day, and it makes me laugh every single time. The doctor begins to suspect something is wrong, quickly writes down a very important note, and goes for the hammer only to have it fried by the patient. When he asks for him to open wide, the UFO flies out, cursing at the doctor, then leaves, resulting in another cured patient. And the doctor freaking chugs his quote-unquote medicine to cope with what he just witnessed. Now I understand what makes this medicine of his so good. I could not believe how perfect this was, and watching it again showed me things I missed, like the diagram of the pig just having question marks for every part of the body. It's as complete as a man trying to label the parts of the female reproduction diagram. This is the greatest episode so far. S tier. That took a while, so let's keep this short. A pig is winding up to dunk a basketball, the music keeps getting higher and higher, and the tension gets dragged out more and more, until the pig gets fed up with the organ player and perfectly switches him instead. It's a good bit, but can't compare to most episodes. C tier. After just watching an episode with a medicine bottle, I was confused to see how this episode could differ. The pig has trouble getting the cork out of the bottle, but uses his built-in corkscrew to free it, revealing he just watched the Suds episode of SpongeBob and only needed the cork, completely curing the sick pig. It did catch me off guard, but I was honestly too distracted being grossed out by the sick pig. We're just forced to watch him suck his snot back and forth through the whole episode, and it definitely brought the whole thing down for me. Plus this episode is just a bit redundant. I'm saying D tier. As a construction pig works on some stairs, a sound effect expert makes comical sounds to fit his actions. They use this to climb the non-existent flight of stairs until the pig looks down, ruining the illusion. This episode is just a bunch of nothing. Literally, he walks up nothing and that's it! I've really been enjoying this so far, but this one is just a waste of my time. I could be watching Pork MD again. I think we all know when Jake starts getting angry, something's about to go down. Oh, it's going down alright. All the way down to our very first F tier. Man, the first one always feels good. Now let's get some more. In the episode Jammed, two pigs attempt to open a jar with no luck. It's really just a heightened version of The Cure, getting to the point where they're using a chainsaw to get this lid off. I gotta say, there's some pretty amusing moments throughout. For one, we get our first Wilhelm scream. They use a cake to get a file out of, and the idea of a prison cake being the only source of files is a good bit. But the funniest part is that the pigs get madder and madder each time their tool fails. Like they're annoyed at first, then they're mad, then they're pissed. And the freaking stank eye this pig has is so intense. They are so determined that they stand point blank near TNT, only to be stuck inside the jar after the smoke clears. I do think that's a little funny, but it's just too out of left field to stick the landing for me. Now, if there's a cute anime waifu in that jar, he might pique my interest. But nah, no Japanese babes in sight. I did enjoy the build up though, so it can go in B. I'm a sucker for any Bad Piggies representation, so a full dang episode of contraptions is an absolute treat. I'm pretty sure these could all really be made in Bad Piggies too, so recreating this episode in game could be pretty fun. Anyways, the pig just wants to fly, so in the end he uses a bunch of rockets and blasts off, only to hit the ceiling. He really got what he wanted. What a greedy little pig. This episode makes me want to play Bad Piggies, which is always a good thing, but it wasn't all that great otherwise. C tier. The most simple premises are always the funniest. I was dying watching this episode play out. First off, it's a game of chess with a board that a small brain such as myself much prefers the overcomplex bullcrap in a normal chess board. But after the first move is made, it is just impossible to beat. Look at that! He freaking made an E10 opening, can you believe it? What do you mean you don't think I've ever played chess before? Whatever, that's not the point. The winning pig is so cocky that he just turns around, completely confident that he's already won to the point where he whistles the Death March song. As he's turned around, the pig comes up with his genius plan. I love how loud the board screeches as he points it in his favor. And with that, we once again enter a never-ending cycle of these two spinning the board so they can win. It's such an obvious joke, but it's always they execute it so perfectly in this episode. My only complaint is that it does run on a little long, so while it was very close to being top tier, I'm gonna put it in A. This one too goes on pretty long, but watching the pig go fishing, we're left wondering, what is he fishing for? An actual fish is too easy, and I'd love to hear what you think. I kinda just assume there's a pig down there, personally. Anyways, the pig seems to think his bait is the key to catching something. As a last ditch effort, he puts his saw on the hook. He gets a bite, but it snaps his line. But by far the best part of the episode is seeing that saw come up underneath him, as you can only imagine what horrible creature is about to swallow him whole. And there are horrible creatures in Angry Birds history, just look at some of these guys. God, Jim is such a freak! I only like the ending of this one, but it is a pretty great ending. Let's go with B. Our first Christmas episode is here, featuring a pig hanging out with a big ol' snow pig. The pig sticks out his tongue, but quickly realizes that would be foolish and is a really bad idea. Then of course he does it anyways. Man, I love this show. Trying to get his tongue unstuck, he stretches that thing like crazy, only for the entire snow pig to smash into him, combining them into one. This one is as plain as they come, but those little moments make it as good as it can be. Still B tier, but as good as it can be. The mysterious object of the day is a wishing well, and they are taught that it can make multiple of any item from an apple. They try out a hammer and have a blast, but one hits the pig on the head and he falls into the well. Now we need to pray to the copyright gods because I cannot explain this clip, only watching it can do it justice. I am an absolute sucker for cutaway jokes, and seeing the room get darker and the sounds of pigs coming down is one of the best clips from this entire show so far. Nothing else even matters. How can that not be S tier? Ah yes, pulling the sword from the stone. We've all seen this before. I knew it would go one of two ways. I was pretty much convinced they would go the route it was using the sword with the stone still attached to it, but instead they picked the other one, which is wanting the rock, not the sword. I should have known. The joke sucks, but thankfully the actual highlight was seeing the pigs combine themselves into different tools in an attempt to free the sword. Just watching this pig get completely stretched out is amusing enough. So I'd say this pretty much evens out to a B tier. Unlike Angry Birds Toons, Piggy Tales actually does season finales. However, they're usually like really sad and depressing. I do enjoy getting to see all the references to the episode of the season, with some of my favorites being those pigs still stuck in the jar, the UFO, and of course the pig caterpillar. The main conflict of the episode is a little smudge on the camera, and the only interesting thing about it is how dang photorealistic that soap looks. But once it's clean, the pig just kind of stands around, unsure of what's left. He leaves the room and says a sad little bye as the episode ends. Like I said, if I was a kid, I'd be bawling right now. It's over? They could at least tease the next season or something. I'm just freaking depressed now. Makes me think about how there's no sex episode, Mustache Pig and Corporal Pig aren't here, I'm about to graduate and I'm spending my time watching a cartoon show for children, and most importantly, it's over! Oh wait, we still have like 90 more episodes. God dang it, we still have 90 more episodes! I do like this ending, but truthfully, comparing it to everything else, it really isn't a good episode of the show. We only had one F so far, so screw it, let's make it 2. And we have officially finished Season 1. It's going to be hard to top that one. There are so many moments here that generally made me laugh out loud. So far, this show is absolutely incredible and I could not be more excited, considering Season 2 is really just more of the same. But I guess we'll have to see if it's just as good, a little better, or bad, but I'm really hopeful that isn't the case. Also, just like in the Angry Birds Toons video, each season will have its own tier list and a combined one, so let's grab a fresh list and get started. Season 2 is called Piggy Tales, Pigs at Work, and every episode is much more centered around the pigs building and making inventions. Each episode also has a completely unique intro, and it would be a shame to not highlight a few of my favorites, such as the words getting painted on only to run out of room, a massive wrecking ball smashing into the logo, and this hose that shoots fire rather than water. There's a bunch more, and sometimes these are better than the actual episodes they're attached to. But the premiere is an episode titled Nailed It, and as you probably expect, it features a pig absolutely nailing it. And by it, I mean a nail to this wall. The nail refuses to stay, however, and we see him use a series of objects to push it completely in, including a nice cameo of the push button. It seems as though he's gotten the nail to stay, and our only question left is, what's pushing the nail back out? Well, as the camera pans over, we see, of course, the exact same scenario happening on the other side, down to the objects and everything. These pigs are like clones or part of a hive mind or something, I swear. We can assume these pigs are driven to madness afterwards, and who knows what objects they'll use to make it stick. This was an alright start to the season, but it still feels like we're getting warmed up. B tier. As a couple pigs take their lunch break, a fellow pig continues working on cutting a piece of wood they're on. The pigs finally notice what's wrong and give the pig a much more efficient tool for completing his task. I'm honestly as satisfied as them seeing just how productive they can be as a team. And of course, the show seems to love the cutaways as much as I do, so we never actually see the result of the pig cutting the very board they're standing on. It's a pretty easy joke to make, but I thought the episode was really funny, so much so that's going at the top, S tier. We are given absolutely no context as to what job these pigs are doing, but they appear to be on a picnic basket, floating with a few balloons, and doing a little screwing. Wait, what? Get your mind out of the gutter! I miss the sex episode as much as anyone else, but these pigs have a job to do, people! Not to mention one of their balloons popping, causing them to fall pretty quick. In Bad Piggies you gotta drop off your sandbag, but here you obviously get rid of your hammer, TNT, and balloon animals. But when this doesn't work, they try getting rid of their anvil too, and when that doesn't work, the pig gets rid of his ideal light bulb. The other pig is too young to die, so the other sacrifices himself. Give this man a raise! Except, he took the screwdriver with him. Alright, maybe we should cancel that raise. I enjoyed watching these antics play out, but I felt like the ending was pretty lackluster. I think once the pig jumps, the basket should have had too little weight, and it shoots into the sky. Now that's freaking funny. But no, Angry Birds never likes my ideas. Well fine then, B tier. Two pigs are building a tower, but after a while they run out of blocks to use, so they had the brilliant idea to just reuse their blocks. Why didn't I think of that? And as always, this works until one of the pigs actually looks down. Clearly these cartoon antics can go on forever as long as you don't look down. Amateurs. I like actually getting to see them fall, for sure. I don't think this one would work as well if it cut before then. Plus they used the snap and crack action words from Bad Piggies, which is a great touch. There's nothing bad about this one, but nothing impressive either. I hate having so many B tiers, but let's be honest, this is absolutely a B tier. We've never seen pigs actually try to follow instructions before, and this episode proves why they probably shouldn't. Their first attempt results in a nice flight of stairs, but that isn't what they wanted, so they try even harder to make this section of the tower from season 1. But that ain't it either. They make a basketball hoop from hog hoops, they somehow make a rocket, and then they realize the instructions were upside down all along, and they were really trying to make a box. Classic mistake. I like these references, but they were also probably just reusing assets realistically. I love the frantic bits in between though, and at one point one is hammering with a saw, and the other is cutting with a hammer. It was a good build-up and definitely better than the last one, so A tier. Man, this title card goes hard. A lot of the season 2 ones are great, but this one I'd happily send my friend with no context any day. A jackhammering pig is just doing his thing when another pig realizes he's headed straight for a cliff. He can't hear the warning, so the pig builds a bridge for him just in time. But the jackhammering pig just turns around, and then the world breaks? And then the spot the pig is standing on breaks? I feel like they needed to find a way to make this pig who tried to intervene get hurt, but this just doesn't make sense. I assumed his bridge would collapse when he was standing on it, but no. The ground he's standing on randomly crumbles for no good reason. Dumb. D tier. Another bad piggies episode. You know I love to see it. This little pig really wants to use a rocket on the big pig's contraption, but he's too stubborn. He finishes his magnum opus and starts the race, only for it to fall apart just before the finish line. And the little pig uses his rocket to prove him wrong, using the finish line pole to smack him back the way he came. I don't know why he was so against using the rocket, but he really got his comeuppance. That was really deserved, wasn't it? No! C tier. This pig literally paints himself into a corner, and no matter what he tries, he cannot make it out while keeping the floor painted. It's a really funny premise to just watch play out. In the end, he makes this crazy mess, but a construction pig is actually super impressed. Any fellow art majors know this is the most relatable shit in the world. You can make crap, and everyone's just enamored with your skill. It's the best! Nothing that incredible happens in this episode, but I just find myself really enjoying the idea of it. Let's put it in A tier. This episode pretends that it isn't part of the Pigs at Work theme, and it's just a game show about climbing up and grabbing a golden hammer first. I really love the middle pig strategy. This guy is going somewhere. The whole time this last pig is super cocky, and finally brings in a crate of TNT to blast up and grab it. And then he just wins and it ends. There's no twist, there's no ending joke, it just ends. I don't even respect this episode, it's just bad. Period. F tier. Period. Rube Goldberg machines are so satisfying to watch, so getting an episode all about one is definitely a highlight. This pig can't get a nail all the way down, so he throws his hammer away, causing a chain of events that result in what he wanted. He finds another nail and cleverly tries again, and it's really fun to hear the chaos happening without seeing it. It's great that it doesn't even work. He just coincidentally murdered a bunch of innocent pigs and destroyed a piano, which is pretty much the funniest thing he could have done. A tier. This construction pig needs a toolbox, but it's all the way up there. After giving his fellow pig brain damage, he's reminded of a magnet because of a disgusting deformity. They wait very patiently for the toolbox to fall, and the little guy encouraging his actions while a chainsaw gets closer and closer to them made for the perfect build-up. It turns out that the chainsaw wasn't an issue, but that magnet is a little stronger than it initially seemed. We see so much crap coming at them, including a different chainsaw, and that is really funny to me. Best of the season so far. S tier. I am so tired. I thought that said Pokemon. Oh my god. While a pig is working, he accidentally falls into a box of tools, coming out as the one and only Porcatron. He's crazy powerful and really fun to hang out with. So the pigs are inspired to make a mech of their own. I truly don't understand this episode. Like, Porcatron is awesome, I can't deny that, but the story around Porcatron just makes no sense at all. Why did the pigs also want to be a robot? Why do they do an anime high five at the end? Why don't I go and get some goddamn sleep? Well fine, maybe I will, and maybe then it'll make sense afterwards.
2,000 years later.
It still doesn't make sense. D tier. This mayoral looking pig is making a speech at the grand opening of this thing. And when he ceremoniously cuts the ribbon, it falls apart, which is awesome, and they move to the next grand opening of the day. Imagining how long this has been going on definitely makes the idea better, but this is a pretty straightforward episode otherwise. B tier. While a few pigs are working, the light keeps going out, and every time it does, they go wild and have the time of their lives. Some party pooper comes and fixes the light, and the three simply close their eyes and have a little party in broad daylight themselves. I don't know why, but this is the first time I cringed at one of these. I get secondhand embarrassment from these fictional pigs somehow. I like the animation of them in the dark, but otherwise I didn't really enjoy this one. C tier. Watching two pigs struggle to regain balance while an anvil moves back and forth between them is really great. You're really on edge as it gets closer and closer to falling. And this pig is so close to falling before the other one has an idea. This whole thing happens in like a single second, so let me explain what happens and actually show you what's happening. A fat pig drops down to even the scale, then the pig spits the anvil out, presumably killing the fat pig instantly, and the other two struggle to hang on to the other side. Okay, now watch it in real time. That is such an amazing couple of seconds of animation. The fat pig reminds them that they're barely off the ground and they fall, relieved. And any basic, boring, ugly episode would end there. But this one manages to go above and beyond by showing the whole world is put off balance and they begin falling once again. Sometimes, this show just knows exactly what I want to see, and this was totally freaking it. S tier.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Harry Gold. I smelled grayscale and came running, but I didn't really expect to walk in on an Angry Birds tier list. Oh well, seeing as I'm here, I might as well rank this short on Mr. Miller's behalf. It stars a beleaguered member of the porcine proletariat who gets up to such hilarious hijinks as struggling through a mundane minimum wage factory job and coping with existential futility. After revealing that the pig's production line is actually just the one wheel getting broken and repaired over and over again, the plot of this cartoon ends before it ever really began. There's about as much substance here as there is colour, with only marginally more dialogue. Nerf? I think I just got cursed out in Swedish. Now you may wonder why a cartoon where nobody speaks would bother trying to look like a silent film, and this is where my black and white expertise comes in. It's actually a parody of a scene from the 1936 Charlie Chaplin film Modern Times, in which old Chuck also struggles to keep up with a factory conveyor belt. Admittedly, I haven't seen much of this show, but are references to films 10 times the age of their target demo common around here? And don't think I didn't notice you stole my Berenstein Bears book, Jacob. Make throwaway gags out of my hard work, will you? Lucky for you, this isn't a minor copyright infractions tier list. Anyhow, I'm putting this bland nugget of Rovio stagnation right in F tier, where it belongs. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I hear someone ranking the grayscale episodes of Better Call Saul. Ta-ta.
Alright, next up is, wait a second, was that Harry Gold from the Harry Gold Show? That's like my favorite YouTuber! Oh man, I can't believe I missed him. Guess we have to talk about my second least favorite YouTuber's house instead. Yes, that was a dream joke. Sorry, I'm just really off my game right now. With just one nail, a pig asks for a construction pig to build his dream house for him. And while each one is incredible, the pig is just too picky and won't accept any of them. That pisses out the construction pig, and he destroys the castle he just built, and with the nail returning to the pig, he goes to find his next victim. So apparently these pigs are master builders and can create amazing structures in seconds, yet they make terrible vehicles and can't follow simple directions. We see this in the Sandcastle episode of Toons too. King Pig got his dream castle that's even better than his real castle. Basically, these pigs use 1% of their power at all times and would be an unstoppable force if they used any more. Anyways, this episode's fine, but boring. C tier. They put the two house-based episodes back to back for some reason, but this is basically the exact opposite of the last one. The pig starts out with a complex blueprint but feels like it's too complicated. He draws a new plan, and honestly this guy should get a job as an illustrator rather than construction. That's impressive. He simplifies his design as far as it can go and makes his dream house. Honestly, it just became my dream to own a piggy tree. As the long-awaited sequel to the Piggy Tales house duology, I'd say the sequel was much better than its predecessor. A tier. Two friendly pigs just want to say hi to one another, but there's this dang gap in the way. We see them build a bridge in fast motion as bystander pigs begin to awe at the spectacle. Even the mayor pig is ready to cut the celebratory ribbon on this bridge. They lay down the final plank of wood and are seemingly all together for the first time. And the obvious joke I was waiting for was that the bridge would break because of all the pigs, but I am glad I was wrong, as the camera spins to reveal the optical illusion we've been witnessing. Let's suspend our beliefs about how the pigs never realized this, and simply enjoy the visual they presented here. Honestly, this pig that lays a single plank down to complete the bridge is an actual genius, and this major problem they seemingly had is completely fixed. But yeah, other than the reveal of the illusion, this one isn't too special. Still, A tier. This poor pig can't get his lunchbox open, so a fellow pig builds the perfect object to help. It is finally complete with one tiny box on top, and we watch as it falls over and the baby box nudges the lunchbox just enough to pop it open. Great! I'm so happy for you! Your episode goes in D tier, but I'm so proud of you! I don't mean to alarm anyone, but based on that title card, this might be a sex episode. A pig wakes up stuck to the ceiling with only a few objects to work with. The anvil isn't enough, but he manages to use a box to his advantage, becoming free until he lands wet concrete. Wait a second, it's over? Man, I could have swore that was cum. Anyways, there were some really fun moments here. The Mario block above him was great, the unexplained nature of how he got stuck up there in the first place is great, and just the overall atmosphere here is really well done. He's appropriately freaking out. I know I'd be panicking if I was cum stuck to the ceiling. This would look amazing in 3D too. The way he swings forward before going to the crate is some great movement. We haven't had a lot of top tier episodes in season 2 yet, so what the heck. Let's go S tier. I've been wondering how all these pigs got these job positions. There's a reason it is somewhat difficult to pass a driving test or be certified as a nurse or something, and I'm pretty sure Piggy Tales taught us this lesson. Before this came out, their world was a much more terrifying place. Now they show this stuff to people in training, so thank you, Piggy Tales. I guess I haven't explained the plot yet, but it's really pretty simple. A pig does everything wrong on their final exam and is given a perfect score and sent out to work. It then cuts to complete anarchy caused by these pigs who have no business being construction workers. But yeah, that is basically how this episode should end. It's a pretty funny visual. I will never question safety tests again thanks to this episode, but it's also really just another C tier. A tale as old as time. Beauty and the Beast. I mean, puberty and the priest. I mean, the three little pigs. Sorry, I get this messed up sometimes. 3 pigs build houses made out of hay, wood, and bricks, and life is good until they hear howling. I was curious to see if there'd be a wolf or not, and imagine my shock when an Angry Bird-ified wolf was shown on screen. He's not a bird, he's not a pig, where the freak do I rank him? They destroy their own houses before hiding in the brick one, and the epic reveal of the actual wolf is just a pig with a cold, who sneezes and blows their house down. I knew I shouldn't actually expect a wolf, but what I wouldn't give to see this thing show up in an episode. Oh well, guess that means D tier. What? There was no wolf. I have no choice. I get so much enjoyment from watching this pig do a completely pointless task for as long as we do, just nailing board after board to the wall. Except he runs out! Thankfully, there's a whole wall full of a single plank of wood he could use. Once placed with the rest, the camera zooms out to show countless pigs have all done the exact same thing, and now the tower will collapse. I have so many questions now. Were they told to do this? Is this just an instinct? Do they all think the same way? Are they a hive mind? I love this episode and the questions it causes me to ask myself. I would like to place it in S tier. These next 2 episodes aren't really episodes. They simply released around this time and follow the art style of the show. So while it technically could not be included, I ain't about to hear a bunch of complaints that I skipped them. So here we go. Ready, Aim, Play is a promotion for the Toons TV app, and we see a group of pigs recreate the home screen. I love the somewhat crude drawings of Slingshot 101 and Bird Flu, although it's weird that Red has no thermometer here. We even get a Stella episode featured, and this one is called Don't Steal My Birthday. Alright, fine, I won't. Sorry that I'm sick of being born on 9/11, jeez! Anyways, it's basically the whole thing. Afterwards, they play the most random clip from the premiere of Toons Season 3. What a strange promo. While it was more fun than a clip show or something, it's still not a good episode, and it's not even a great ad. F tier. Rather than promoting something from Angry Birds, this time it's the Goosebumps movie. If you didn't know Jack Black was in it, well, this episode really doesn't allow you to not know that information. The way it's laid out at the end makes it look like it's called Jack Black Goosebumps. I guess they thought Bad Piggies fans wouldn't care about it if it didn't feature Kung Fu Panda himself.
I'm not a big fat panda. I'm the big fat panda.
Remember the episode Jammed, where they attempt to open a jar? Now, imagine if you will, the most insane twist on that concept. Imagine if you will, the jar is actually a book, and they try to open the book the exact same ways, down to using a chainsaw and blowing it up. What do you mean that wasn't hard to imagine? Probably because I was showing it to you on screen. The one twist we do get is that for the first time in this world, we see a creature other than a pig. The book releases some gnomes from the Goosebumps movie. You don't remember the gnomes? Clearly you never read Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, or watched my video ranking Goosebumps books based by their cover. Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting that to come up in my Piggy Tales video. Anyways, why the freak are we still talking about this crappy ad? For literally just copying an old episode for the shameless promotion of the movie, I have no choice but to give this one F tier. As the penultimate episode of the season, they really wanted to go out with a bang and demo Hogs. Their schematics require a flower to be placed next to a house, but there's this big old white monolith right in the way. That's definitely fixable. With just a few metric tons of fireworks and TNT, it'll move right out. I love the gag of the pig about to detonate, with the other one warning him that he's too close. Now that's a safe distance. And the explosion doesn't even do anything, only one of the fireworks lights up and activates the rest. Well, against the odds, this massive structure is lifted, allowing them to place the flower in its perfect spot. And once again, they have crafted my favorite ending. There isn't even an audio cue that they're about to be wiped from the face of the earth in mere moments. We simply see a massive shadow cast over them, and that is amazing. I can't help it, that's just so good. S tier. Episodes like Swine Symphony remind me of Phineas and Ferb making music on toilets. Yep, that's my reference. The toothbrush music they make while they scrub toilets. Deal with it. Instead of toothbrushes and toilets, the pigs are making music just by doing their typical construction. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a short enough clip of the music that I could play for you without getting copyright striked. But the good news is, it doesn't even sound good. Wait, they made a musical episode but the music doesn't sound good? Awkward. I do like that the tender pig is kind of hiding amongst the construction pigs here, like he was forced to assimilate for the Pigs at Work theme of the season against his will. He joyfully breaks into song, totally ruining the vibe, but they all go back to making okay sounding construction music. The camera zooms out on this last scene of... Honestly, I have no idea what that is. I see this now, sure, but is that it? It almost looks like a musical note, but yeah, I don't really get it. I've seen some people suggest this is their tie-in to the third season's theme, but that just seems like a stretch. As the season finale of the Pigs at Work season, I am pretty disappointed here. I'd much rather see a depressing ending like the first season than this, but oh well. Maybe one day the finale will do better than F tier. While the tier list looks pretty much as balanced as the first season, I can't lie. I enjoyed those early episodes much more than the second season. Still, I have an idea what's coming next, and I can't say I'm very optimistic. It's sad knowing that the clay-looking CGI style is officially gone, and in its place is one of the worst art styles Angry Birds has ever had. Well, there's no delaying any longer. I'm officially ready to face the second half of Piggy Tales. All I hope is that Dr. Pigrespect will join us. Season 3 is known as the third act, moving the theme to performance and plays all taking place on this one stage. And while that sounds like a big change, you haven't seen nothing yet. Angry Birds just found their new favorite art style and forced all their fans to be subjected to it. The pigs now have arms and legs. It's insane, I know. But does that signify any decrease in the quality of the show? Who knows, it could even get better. This is the last episode on our list that isn't really an episode of the show. There are 121 official episodes, which is why I made that mistake in the intro of the video. I added in the 3 extras, and this last one is a teaser for the new season. An elevator appears on stage with a clueless pig inside, and the audience is filled with pigs waiting to see his performance. The pig presses a button to leave, but it opens again, and as he frantically tries to escape the situation, he tips the entire elevator over. And it ends with an epic reveal of the season's logo. I actually found myself enjoying this episode more than I thought I would. There are definitely benefits to having full bodies for the pigs now, as they can express in more unique ways than ever before. At the same time, their smooth oblong body shape is really disturbing to look at for too long. The Birds movie designs actually make sense, but the pigs literally get stretched out and they called it quits. I don't know if this is a good season 3 episode or not, but I was pretty entertained. Let's go A tier. Now we have our first real season 3 episode, and unfortunately you must look at this presenting pig as much as I did. The most insane thing about this episode is how it is by far the worst episode of the series, and it's the first episode of the season. Can't say my expectations are too high for the rest of this thing. The pig does some sort of interpretive dance with the balloon, which is blue for some reason despite the telecard having a red one, and the whole time he's making very suggestive faces at the camera. He finishes his act planning to use a pin to pop the balloon, but he pops himself instead. Alright, let's get a kill counter on screen. Anyways, yeah, that was totally horrible. F tier. A worker pig brings in a ladder to fix a light bulb, but once that one is fixed, another goes out, and then the other goes out. And once he's fed up, he decides to just destroy the light bulbs instead. On his way out, they turn back on? Nani? This episode is nowhere near as bad as the last one, but I mean, come on. We just got 2 seasons of wacky antics, and the best they've got is light bulb humor? I'm being generous here with a C tier. Finally, an episode where the message is size doesn't matter. You know some employee at Rovio is feeling self-conscious. 2 big boy pigs with massive plungers recreate the scene from Brave, all while making fun of the pig with the micro slingshot. But if size doesn't matter, then why do you take out a gigantic rocket and murder the pig? Doesn't that ruin the message? And he didn't even hit the apple, so didn't he also lose? And why is the death counter already at 2 just 3 episodes into the season? This episode is pretty bad, but not bouncing buffoon bad. D tier. Wow, a vending machine episode. I just wonder if the candy gets stuck just before falling. Yeah, it gets stuck before falling. All the pig wants is a Mr. Beast bar, but it won't come out. Rather than just pushing it, he tries pretty much everything in his power. Using literal magic doesn't even work. He tries to cook it at one point, which is so strange it did get a laugh out of me. At the final straw, he goes inside of the machine, only to switch places with the delectable These Nuts Mr. Beast branded bar. And falling over, probably starving to death, and bringing the kill count up to 3 now. I think I'm gonna quit keeping score. I'm pretty sure someone's gonna die in every freaking episode now. Despite this being a pretty overdone trope, this is one of the more entertaining episodes so far. B tier. Next up in this miserable hellscape, we have... Oh, is it really you? Chef Pig was the GOAT of Angry Birds Toons. And no, not an actual GOAT, but the greatest of all Toons. If anyone could save the sinking ship, it's him. The Chef Pig is showing off his skills, but after flipping a souffle in the air, it doesn't come back down. He tries again, and of course, the same thing happens. A pig even burps off screen, which is pretty amusing. He makes a massive pie, laughs an evil laugh, and throws it up. only to have the most obese pig you will ever see fall down on him. Yeah, you're not surviving that kind of weight crushing you. This episode was alright, I guess. Maybe I'm just being nice because Chef Pig is watching. Still, that's a B tier at best. A duel of magicians is unfolding in front of us, and at first their tricks are pretty horrible, but they start to get better over time. I don't even want to know where that chainsaw went. One pig pretends to disappear, fooling the other pig, so he tries so dang hard he straight up craps himself. But he really does disappear, proving him to be the best magician. I haven't mentioned this yet, but the animation in this season is so stiff and crappy, and it only adds to the horrible episode concepts. We've got another C tier, people. Now we get to watch pigs blow snot bubbles. Funny stuff. The greatest snot bubble of all time encapsulates the pig with no way to pop it. Their attempts to pop it are some of the worst animated scenes yet. The physics on these guys are just completely out of whack. They finally use their sharp tail to pop the balloon, and if you pause it just right, you get an image that probably shouldn't be allowed on YouTube. But in popping the bubble, it merely split in twain, resulting in their problems being far from over. Me and my new extended vocabulary agree this episode is quite shit, you see, and will be properly placed in its appropriate quadrant. D tier. I'm personally afraid of heights, so watching this pig be terrified to dive into a pool below is pretty relatable. He tries tricking the audience so he can chicken out, but they start getting angry and throwing plungers at him. He decides to suck it up, close his eyes, and go for it. Only for the camera to reveal it was a tiny pool just a couple steps from the ground. And the crowd goes nuts after he does it. This was actually an alright episode, and as always with these kinds of videos, my standards have really forcibly been lowered by this season. If this is part of the original 30 episodes, it'd be in like C, but we gotta throw the third act a couple of bones and give it an A instead. Hold on, this is the 69th episode, and I don't see a hint of sex. Did I click the wrong link? Oh, my bad. I forgot to go on Pornhub. Now I see the sex. Hey Lois, remember the time the pool looked far away but was actually really small?
Oh yeah, that's freaking sweet.
Well, we should do that again, shouldn't we? This stupid, ugly pig is on a treadmill, attempting to jump a few hurdles that turn out to be tiny. He can't get past the first one, he falls backwards and breaks his teeth, and the crowd goes wild. What are these episode concepts? Who came up with this? It was Jim, wasn't it? God, this is torturous. I don't know if I can take any more of the show. It needs to get better soon, or things are gonna get ugly. F tier. Not a fan of getting over hurdles? Alright, well this episode actually will be one big hurdle, and the pig must vault over it. And with all of these episodes, he tries over and over. At his limit, he uses a rocket and or an explosion, and finally gets what he wants. I could literally replay the audio of me saying that for half of these episodes, and it would freaking apply. The pole falls on the floor, and as he proudly walks over it, he trips and falls. Wait a second, that was actually kind of funny? Of course, they lean back on their cutaway endings, and an abrupt moment is always going to catch me off guard, but hey, they actually managed to make me laugh. B tier. I am currently in art school, so they're preaching to the freaking choir here. This pig draws a series of very colorful and pretty well made pieces with a single graphite pencil, but just can't get it right. He fills the whole room with drawings before smashing his face into the paper, resulting in a Picasso-esque pig drawing, and he puts the paper down showing the drawing to be perfectly spot on, which is also a laugh out loud moment for me. And hey, that is so true. Draw a million well-made art pieces and your teacher rolls their eyes, but smash your face against the table and bring in a paper with your literal blood, sweat, and tears on it, and they can't get enough of it. Anyways, this is definitely the best episode yet, so it's gonna take that first S tier spot. Who knows if it's gonna have any competition? This pig just wants to use a chalkboard, but it keeps moving, revealing that there's a pig on the other side. They immediately start playing ping pong, sword fighting, and hey, what do you know? They use TNT. I think the writers just decided if they couldn't think of a funny ending, someone in the room just shouted bombs and everyone started laughing hysterically. I like the title card a lot actually, but the episode is just absolute schlock as always. D tier. No matter how hard this little piggy tries, he can't get the swing to, well, you know, swing. Another pig has no issues and offers to help push the other pig. So heckin' wholesome, but the school bell rings meaning recess is over and the pig promptly goes back to class, meaning the swing can no longer move and he has condemned his fellow pig to a terrible demise. At least it makes for a somewhat humorous ending. Yeah, not terrible, but, you know, C tier. These pigs have no business being that caked up. Where is this episode even gonna be? A pig randomly walks into the theater and sits down, breaking the chair. On cue, 3 pigs come out on stage. The whole time I was trying to understand what they were doing. Is it an instructional dance video kind of thing? Is this the foreplay in a porno kind of thing? Well, we basically get our answer when the pigs do a little dance, the front one turns around, literally lunges at the sitting pig, and a freaking cloud of smoke appears. I don't even want to know what they're doing in there. That might as well be a freaking sensor bar. Holy Jakes! Am I even allowed to be watching this right now? This whole video is gonna have to freaking go up on Pornhub, I guess. After the pigs finish raw dogging the guy in the chair, they leave him in absolute shambles. And of course, the chair is in more shape than before. I don't even know how to rank what I just witnessed. I don't think I'm comfortable saying what I think that was, so I'll just let this clip do it for me. Gang rape. I was confused the entire time, but still couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I guess A tier? Simply for that fat, juicy, hidden talent? I think we already saw the hidden talent last time, if you know what I mean. I've got a little hidden talent right now, if you know what I mean. Anyways, we can talk about this episode for as long as you'd like, or we could get this over with and just skip to the racist part. Big surprise, I hate racism. Seriously, this episode was made way too recently for this to be acceptable. Obviously, F tier. A little better than racism is unoriginality. And for some reason, hiccups are such a fun concept to Rovio that they made it the focus of an episode of Toons and Piggy Tales. The poor pig's to be or not to be monologue is ruined by the hiccups. And wow, you guys are not going to believe what happens in this one. He tries over and over, at his limit he uses a rocket and or an explosion, and finally gets what he wants. I could literally replay the audio of me saying that for half of these episodes, and it would freaking apply. Whoa, major deja vu. The ending joke is that the skull has the hiccups now. Can you believe it?
No.
So what are we waiting for? Slap this thing in F and let's keep going then. The fat pig returns, as making fat jokes truly never gets stale. Does it, Rovio? I personally stand with fat ugly pigs, but that's just me. How is this season chock full of clips like a fat pig getting his belly centrally rubbed? How? The two pigs are trying to tango, but the fat one always steps on the other's foot. Even hung by a string, the fat pig launches his partner to Kingdom Come and gets all the glory of their performance. I guess a happy ending for the guy to keep fat shaming is a pretty nice thing to do. So sure, let's put this one in B then. I guess in October and December during this season of Piggy Tales, they did a series of holiday themed episodes rather than just one. So our first of 3 Halloween episodes is Scared Sick, featuring a hungry vampire who just wants to do a little sucking. You and me both, brother. But he's also sick and accidentally sneezes the teeth right out of him. He attempts to get them back, only to be stuck on the chandelier as the lights go out. Poor guy. I mean, he is an evil vampire, but I just kind of relate to him, you know? So screw you, pig. Just let yourself get sucked from time to time. C tier. Next up, a couple of pigs try to put on a shadow show, and the audience wants to be scared, but is just too bored by these silly silhouettes. I don't know how these pigs contort in the shape of a house or an Angry Bird, but at least it led to some of the best animation in the season so far. The pigs come out to take a bow, but wait, if they're up here, then who's making the shadow?
Nosferatu!
No, not you, Nosferatu. It's just a random worker pig. Not too bad of a joke. B tier. While carving pumpkins, one of the pigs thinks it would be funny to put it on his head, but he can't get it off. And my mind was completely blown when I saw how the rest of this episode played out. You can't make this stuff up! He tries over and over, at his limit he uses a rocket and or an explosion, and finally gets what he wants. I could literally replay the audio of me saying that for half of these episodes, and it would freaking apply. Now that's what I call a unique concept. I mean, yeah, you could totally say that for any episode. You're so right, Jake. I do love me an abrupt ending, and seeing them celebrate as a couple of pumpkins randomly fall on their heads is a pretty good bit to end on. Yet another B tier. All these pigs in the theater are being rude and making noise? For pig's sake! This poor little pig just wants to enjoy the show, but this fat pig is in the way. This rude guy is chewing gum, and this annoying guy brought in his home telephone, found a telephone cable and connected his phone line, and started talking like the rudest pig ever. The little pig launches himself thanks to the gum stuck to his seat, and he gets to be in the front row for a single second of the performance. Ruining everyone else's views as well, I presume. Not bad. A tier. A pig pretending to be a robot turns out to actually be a robot, but his remote control stops working. He gets impatient, proving he actually isn't a robot, but can still control the other pig with remote control. He leaves him in an unflattering position on stage, and the episode ends. Huh? F tier! Chef Pig is back. But wait, where's his hat? Hold on, enhance! That mustache is way shorter than Chef Pig. This must be like his stupid cousin or whatever. Maybe being awesome runs in the family? All the imposter pig wants to do is sing, but the microphone won't stay still. Getting into a fight with it causes him to swallow it, somehow. So he goes off screen and burps it up. He's finally ready to sing, but it extends him to the ceiling with a somewhat humorous cutaway. That explanation was long, and the episode somehow goes on longer than that. We are really close to the end of the season, guys. Just bear with me. C tier. Oh my god, is it really possible? Good animation? I can't show too much, but please, enjoy the actual best scene of the entire season for as long as we can. Heck, even in the freeze frames, it's got more personality than the rest of the show. But a pig comes and unplugs the lights to warn Romeo that they just spent their entire budget on that one scene, and they spent 30 seconds or so showing the pigs stand in one spot instead. But the end reveals that the pigs were actually supposed to be making a Christmas tree, and this was a surprise holiday episode. Who knew? Anyways, no matter how dull the middle part of this episode is, we gotta give it proper recognition for that light dance. S tier. The size doesn't matter guy didn't get his fill the first time, so here we are again with the brand new allegory of Christmas presents. The fat pig got an appropriately huge present while the small guy is packing no heat. They swap and uncover the Russian doll nature of their presents. The big one has smaller and smaller ones inside with a baby little candy cane. Meanwhile, the tiny present has the complete opposite. They could not have picked a better candy for this double entendre. I see you, Piggy Tales. The episode is pretty alright, which means for this season, A tier. While trying to do a little gift wrapping, this pig gets stuck to his present, and trying to get unstuck involves him wrapping himself up just under the Christmas tree. Surprisingly, this is the first episode that generally could not keep my attention. I started thinking about more interesting things like taxes, for example, and then the episode was over. Maybe you shouldn't do multiple Christmas episodes, guys. One is usually plenty. F tier. Would you believe me if I told you we still had more Christmas episodes? Well, you better, because there really is. The music is this beautiful rendition of Silent Night, which I can't play for you, but it sounds like this. Silent night, holy night. Oh! The angel pig is getting frustrated with the rope pulling him up, and he falls. Only to be caught by none other than Kris Kringle himself, who proceeds to murder the angel pig and dance around the tree like a weirdo. Truly could not think of a dumber episode than that. F tier. The mustache imposter returns and... Wait, hold on. We got enhance again. That is not the same mustache. Is this Chef Pig? But he's singing again. This makes no sense at all. They already have a Chef Pig model and they make a different mustache pig and now they make a different model? The creators of the show are insane. This pig is constantly interrupted too, but this time by a lost piggy. Absolutely fed up, the mustache pig puts him in a box and sends him to Peru. But now the postal pig is lost too. I like that actually. What the heck, the season's almost over. Give him another A tier. What I wouldn't give for the mime of this episode to be the mime from the Angry Birds movie. Or Sasha Lynx. That would have been pretty cool actually. Instead we see an invisible battle between a mime and a member of the audience. It was kind of fun at first, but it truly just ends up going nowhere. Let's skip to the ending where they're tied up by an invisible rope. Yeah, awesome. Be thankful you didn't have to listen to the god-awful music in this one. It doesn't even fit the mime theme, other than being really annoying, I guess. F tier, for sure. We watch a pig paint a few snouts on the wall, and as he takes a bathroom break, there's a perfect outline from where he was standing. A random pig finds it funny to fill in the space himself, but is caught green-handed after the painter pig finishes dropping logs. The painter pig either doesn't see him or is secretly evil, because he paints him right to the wall. I am leaning towards the evil thing though, as we see this is not his first victim. For that reveal alone, I'll give it a nice B. Despite the original abduction episode presumably happening in a different dimension entirely, we are getting a sequel with re-abduction. For a second I thought it was going to be a complete copy of the first one, as the tiny pig arrives and is laughed at right on cue. But this time the pig is shrunk down so they can have a proper conversation. The worker pig is pretty smart though, and takes the UFO for himself, leading to an epic chase scene, which of course zoomed out looks very silly and cute. The alien is now grown to a normal pig size and abducted himself, and now the episode ends the same way the first did. I really like the way they handled the sequel episode, taking the initial concept, turning the middle into an action scene, and ending with a brand new abducted pig. Can't wait to see this guy return. S tier. One pig is trying to read while the other's being annoying on his rubber ball. This probably wouldn't be funny, but the specific noise and repeated poses of the pig slowly wear you down. The reading pig immediately chooses violence and punches the ball, only to have it bounce him back. He tries hitting it the other way and gets knocked out again. He's ready the third time and jukes it perfectly, even doing a Fortnite emote at the end. Only to be crushed by a brick wall. I don't care who you are, that's funny. Are we having a little renaissance here? I think so. S tier. There's a wet floor sign up, but the floor seems fine. Yet this pig can't get past it. I honestly think this is a psychological thing. He's convinced himself that the floor is slippery. And I am freaking out. I can't believe this finally happened. He tries over and over. He uses a rocket and or an explosion. I could literally replay the audio of me saying we get to see him fall on his face over and over, but the janitor comes and picks up the sign without even slipping once. Yeah, that pig needs therapy. Not a bad episode, but definitely not part of the Renaissance. B tier. Well, this is it. We finally finished the season, and there's just one left to go. We are back to the depressing ending, as we see all of our favorite pigs put their props in the trapdoor. We see the vending machine, the micro slingshot, even the vampire's teeth all get thrown down. And Chef Pig wasn't even Chef Pig? God, I hate the French. The clip of the fat pig lunging himself down is pretty great too. The whole time, the worker pig is really sad to see everything and everyone go. I think that really adds to it. The viewer is supposed to be sad that it's over. Aw, babe, don't cry because it's over, cry because it happened. And yes, while TNT is the cop-out ending once again, seeing just how much TNT they put down there proves they were aware of how overused it was. All that TNT causes a massive explosion, breaking through the back wall. The fourth wall, if you will, as this transitions perfectly into the theme of the next season. Guys, how did the first two finales suck balls? And the bad season did it perfectly! Just goes to show that the third act was an absolute mess, and while we had a few good episodes, I am so relieved to be done. At least we get to add one more S to the list. It's over. It's finally over. If you stuck around for that, then I'm guessing you're with me for the long haul. Luckily, there's just one last season to go. Let's all remember to take this tier list with a grain of salt. I ended up being way too nice. All of those A tiers were very generous, and the S's of the seasons aren't even comparable to the others. Anyways, will Piggy Tales redeem themselves? Or will they somehow last for 2 seasons longer than they should have? Piggy Tales Season 4 is known as 4th Street, and this is definitely the only way I can see the show continuing. We've been confined to a single space for 3 seasons now, so giving the pigs a full city to live in should hopefully result in a few more interesting concepts before it kicks the bucket. The first 2 episodes were released much earlier than the rest, as they're holiday themed episodes, so we're kinda just getting dropped in the season with absolutely no context. That might be a good thing, actually. Our first piggy protagonist is roaming the streets after a hard night of trick-or-treating. There's an ominous fog coming from behind an ominous gate that ominously creeps open as he approaches. Well, that's a little ominous! The pig goes in just because? I don't really know why he did that actually, but he's instantly spooked by a few shadow demons, transporting him through a very fun but very short art style change. He barely escapes with his life, except turns out it's just the vamp pig creating smoke by roasting weenies. Or was it? Yeah, it really was. As a Halloween episode, this was pretty mediocre. Those Toon specials went hard, but this one went pretty weak. D tier. Maybe Halloween just isn't their style. Let's try Christmas next. Santa Pig returns and we get the brand new Robber Pig character. I guess they needed a criminal roaming the streets. He's actually outsmarted Santa, stealing the presents as they're placed. But you don't fool Santa twice. He sees you when you're stealing, and he knows if you ain't nice. He threatens him with the naughty list, and seeing the name Aaron on there is absolutely no surprise to me. Maybe now's a good time to read out the rest of the naughty list. Let's see here. Groth One Finger, Cobalt Chrome E, Patrick Bayer-Jean, Honomaki, Decanite 9000, Bright Streak, MD Switchy, Gall Guy, Daisy, Dolphin Rider H2O, Dojo Master, Omegon, Carl Williams, Christoph Creations, Eduardo Santiago, Generic Toho Fan, It's Me Ali, Pez Dispenser, and You Are an Idiot. Oh, I'm the idiot? You're the one on the naughty list! If you want to make it on the naughty list... Wait a second, that's a horrible incentive. If you want to be known as naughty, then please consider becoming a member of the channel today. Anyways, the robber gets up on the presents but pickpockets the list from him, making it the nice list and gifting himself a load of presents that crush him. What a fiending devilish pig. Honestly, this might be one of the better Christmas episodes they've done. It's not mind-blowing or anything, but I'd give it a jolly B. Alright, we tried Halloween and that sucked. Christmas wasn't that great either. What's left? Oh dang, Valentine's Day. This one hasn't been attempted yet in the Angry Birds TV shows, so you've genuinely piqued my interest. A Cupid pig goes around town handing out Valentine's Day cards. He's also like massive compared to the other pigs, but that doesn't really matter. In the end, he goes to see all the cards he receives, and he didn't get any? This is sadder than The Notebook and Marley and me, and Mars needs moms. But the little pigs all join together to create a nuke to put him out of his misery. Oh wait, that's one of those good nukes. You know, the good ones. Anyways, that story had it all. A tear-jerking moment, cool animated explosions, and stinky green pigs. I don't have high hopes for this season, so I'm guessing this is probably an A-tier episode. Our first real episode of Season 4 is Roadhog. Two pigs are revving up, just waiting for that light to turn green. I gotta say, my favorite thing about this season is seeing their crazy looking houses, insane vehicles, and cool connections like the stoplight being the exact same as the one from the Angry Birds Go cinematic trailer. Anyways, when the light finally does turn green, they both hop off their bikes and they hoof it to the finish line. Definitely caught me off guard, certainly a little humorous, but absolutely a B-tier episode. This one feels very special, but even when you add in all the episodes that don't really count, it still only gets us to episode 99. This feels like it would have been perfect for a 100 episode special, but I ain't complaining, let's just enjoy. This pig has a delivery for Rovio. To Rovio? Whatever, the point is that there's only a tiny slot in the door for mail, and he's got a big box. He tries the obvious solution of using TNT, and big shocker, it didn't work. So as all members of Rovio do, he realizes the obvious solution is the slingshot over there. And seeing the actual first game reference in a series with pigs in the movie style is just a true joy. Even if it is a single second of animation, just getting that classic Angry Birds style at all made my day. As he launches himself, the door opens and he flies all the way around the world back into the mail slot. Which is a pretty great ending too. When most of these episodes suck, all it takes is a little reference to make me happy. So having a pretty decent episode surrounding that earns it that S tier spot. Guys, we actually made it to episode 100. Can you believe it? It's sad that this is about to be over, but then again, we are on season 4, so maybe we're being put out of our misery. A very bossy pig is forcing his friend to get a better signal on his radio, causing the poor guy to get ran over and hung by a telephone wire. But the bossy pig is so controlling, he takes the wire for himself, but he's just a cute little baby with no body fat, and launches into a billboard. What do you know, now we have perfect service. It's always great seeing the jerk get his comeuppance, but really you've entertained me enough to barely land a C tier. This episode was also released somewhat out of order. With each holiday they upload their holiday episode, and Egg Hunt was next. The city has eggs hidden all around, and our fellow pig just wants to join in, but he breaks his leg, he gets ran over, he falls and gets beat up by a bunch of dogs. Wait a second, since when are there dogs? We never see them, to be fair, but that's definitely dog barking. My headcanon is that there's just a group of pigs down there pretending to be dogs. The pig gets so injured, he's wrapped just like an egg and is stolen during the hunt. Watching an innocent pig get tortured relentlessly is never a fun time, in my opinion. D tier. Our second basketball episode. You gotta have two, you just gotta. This time they do actually have the ability to hold the basketball, so I won't hold it against them. A rando pig wants to join in, but he's a little slow. With a bit of help, he throws the perfect shot. And again. And again. This pig is literally incapable of missing, and they go around town making insane shots. And when the basketball pig jumps in his arms to celebrate, well, he gets dunked too. I really love watching this honorary Dude Perfect member make trick shots around Pig City, so what the heck. I think that's an S tier. The robber pig returns, having a Scooby-Doo style chase scene with a police pig. The cop accidentally swallows his whistle, and the robber kindly helps him out. They pick up each other's items, realize they swapped roles, and go right back to the chase. That's a funny bit, but I can't help the feeling that they stole this from an old show like they did in the black and white one from Charlie Chaplin. It wasn't that amazing of an episode anyways, C tier. Just like that, we are back to Halloween, despite this episode releasing nowhere near the season. We see just straight up Ghost Rider from Marvel as a pig. We also see the return of the freaking Cupid pig, which I would not have ever expected to see, especially in a Halloween episode. I think he's here to contrast his lovable nature with the evil ghost hog. He attempts to scare the Cupid pig, but instead just crashes his bike and extinguishes his flamey hair. The Cupid pig, being the good Samaritan he is, gives him a ride home. What a guy. Anyways, this episode was dog dookie. You had the actual Ghost Rider, and this is all he does? Get bent, loser. F tier. Wow, if any of the humor so far were to return, I'd want nothing more than to see light bulb humor one last time. Yeah, bet you weren't expecting that line to be referenced again. This time, two pigs attempt to change the light bulb at a street lamp, and what do you know, they come up with the solution to use TNT. Man, that never gets old! The lamp falls perfectly in front of the pigs, allowing them to change the light bulb. They walk away, satisfied with the job well done. And then it falls and shatters. Bland ending, horrible, well, everything else. F tier. Our main pig comes across another pig stuck in a tree. He climbs up to help, only realizing while he's up there how terrifying it is. And their next victim arrives soon after. The ending jumps to the tree filled with pigs, but honestly, I think this joke would have really landed if there were pigs covering the entire tree. Like there was more pig than tree left of this thing. Besides, they made this joke in a dozen episodes by now, so if you aren't going to take it to the extreme, then I can't be bothered to care. Sorry, D tier. What the hell does pig and string mean? Is that an innuendo? Do you think if I told my sexual partner I was pig and string, she'd be impressed? You're right, I'm totally gonna pig some string tonight, oh my god. Anyways, our main pig comes across another pig stuck in a tree? Are you actually kidding? That literally just happened 1 episode ago! He messes around with some rope for a while, even charming it like a snake at one point. But he perfectly lassos to the pig, and from there you realize they have not thought their rescue through. The pig feels safe with that rope tied around him, and breaks every bone in his body. It was really very funny watching the other pig just immediately start hopscotching after this. Despite doing the freaking tree bit again, this one was definitely better than the first one. B tier. 2 firefighters attempt to take out a big fire, but each time the hairless pig is injured, including a return of the pigs pretending to be dogs. The fire was actually just a birthday gone wild, and the firefighter sustains a ton of injuries, just because it's funny, I guess? See, most of the time these episodes are just bad, but I have no way to explain why. But after watching the Angry Birds Toons firefighter episode, this one is just incomparable. In that one, the fire is also just a tiny problem, but instead of the whole episode revolving around it, each time the pigs attempt to help, it gets worse. They actively destroy Pig City, and it's super entertaining all the way through. Comparing these 2 episodes is like night and day. For example, one is really good, and the other is Pork Brigade, F tier. And the other is Pork Brigade, and the other is Nah, just use the first one. Once again, we follow the wacky antics of the robber pig. He's basically playing GTA and has 5 stars now instead of 1. This pig is also like the smartest pig we've seen in the series so far. He's always one step ahead of the cops, and he uses his ladder to launch himself to freedom, only to land in the cop car. Ooh, wasted. Except, as always, he's thinking ahead. If only he thought to grab the sack of money too. This was definitely the best robber pig episode yet, but it's also getting a little stale. I'm thinking B tier. It's Christmas time again. It's also light bulb time again, somehow. Every streetlight in the city falls, and as the pigs pick them up, they happen to make beautiful acapella at the same time. And the rest of the episode is meant to emulate those acapella videos you see on YouTube all the time, down to the colored squares and everything. Unlike the last time they attempted to make music, this one sounds pretty decent. They just straight up sing Jingle Bells, and I'd recommend actually going and listening to it if you're curious. The real highlight is seeing this pig shake his ass here. There he's doing it across the whole screen, and that one's just a zoomed in view of his ass. Wonderful. Again, the acapella was pretty good, but like, this isn't even an episode of a show. This is nothing. If I wanted to see this, I'd watch Jimmy Fallon and the Guardians of the Galaxy, not this. C tier. Our pig is ready to blast off with the biggest pile of explosions we've seen yet. 3, 2, 1! What the hell? Nothing happened. Oh, it isn't plugged in. Try it again. 3, 2, 1. Alright, his main goal was to blow up, and technically he did. But once his rockets go off, he needs a little nudge to fly up and... Oh my god, he's dead! Guess I should have made this kill counter go up higher than 4. Well, rip in peace, at least he made for some cool fireworks. He really is dead though. They made a point to not show him land or something. So that's awesome, A tier. I remember this is one of the few episodes I watched before making this video. This is how I knew I shouldn't look forward to season 4. First off, that is absolutely just Santa with his hat off. The beard is the exact same. Secondly, we see the pig do the sexy purple leotard dance, but no fat ass? What's the freaking point then? Our ending joke is that the muffin is gone, taken by none other than the Muffin Master himself, who clearly is a Muffin Master. So you're telling me, in the Piggy Tales universe, Santa spends 364 days a year on this bench stealing poor pigs' muffins? Santa is straight up a supervillain, guys. Regardless, this episode sucked back then, and it sucks now. D tier. This pig simply wants to get his tan on, but can pigs get a tan? Don't think I've ever seen that. Well, he's determined to find out, or fry his own bacon trying. He uses tanning lights, a magnifying glass, and of course, what would an episode even be without TNT? It works, of course, and he walks away to show off his grill marks. For an episode about tanning, that was probably the best it could be, but that doesn't mean it's not an episode about trying to tan. C tier. This pig is green and furious. And not because he gets to drive fast and talk about family like Vin Diesel, but because he lost his keys. He does everything he can, uses explosives, yada yada yada, gets his keys and drives around in the car he blew up. The joke of using TNT has been stale, but I can't lie. These little new animated segments they've been doing have helped make me enjoy them. Still a pretty awful episode. D tier. This pig seems a little too excited about that hot dog. They play like this weird sexy music when he sees it, and then he starts boning and, well, let me just make a little scene for you here. Yup, that's why this episode is going in S tier. Besides, we see the hot dog maker working on his masterpiece and brings out an exact replica of the sign, which is exactly what the piggy ordered. For real, I did just enjoy the episode. It's going in S for that, and not for the other things I totally didn't like. Our Rovio delivery service is back, but this time it needs to be brought across the street. The pig tries to jaywalk? Screw the robber pig, that's a straight up crime, and he deserves to pay the freaking time! Anyways, he goes through the sewers getting all dirty, only to realize he left the box. On his way back, the light turns red, and he attempts to cross, only for the light to turn green as he reaches the middle. Honestly, deserved. My boy actually attempted to jaywalk and get away with it. Pigs like you make me sick! The episode sucked too, by the way, F tier. This pig gets excited about the idea of skateboarding and builds his own dang ramp. Too bad he sucks at skateboarding. He tries a few different ways, even referencing the hoverboard from Back to the Future, but no matter what he tries, it just won't work. This genius instead just moves the ramps together, removing the ramp part entirely, and he skates towards his trophy, passing it completely and falling off the other side. That's okay, I guess. I truthfully just straight up forgot to write where I was going to rank this thing, so on the spot I think this is like a C tier, I guess. Another basketball episode, huh? It's just too iconic not to do, I guess. This time our pig really stinks at basketball, and some punk pig starts teasing him for it. He will not let him get the ball, being a complete jerk all the way through. I don't even like seeing him shake his ass and make an ahagao face at us, and that's saying something. The fat pig is literally so freaking fat that he breaks the ground, sending the punk into the hoop. As far as basketball episodes go, this one was pretty mediocre. And I should know, I've seen 3 of them now. C tier. This time, our protagonist pig is simply ringing a doorbell, but each time he does, a little guy next to him plays a catchy tune from the Piggy Tales series. It was really fun catching all the songs he played. I recognized the Super Pork theme and a few others from the first season in there. They find this so fun, he goes crazy on the doorbell, and the pig inside the house takes a break from laying bricks and beats him up. I hadn't thought about this actually disturbing the resident of this house, so I really ended up loving that conclusion. I'm gonna say S tier for that one. Now we follow a graffiti artist just trying to make a mark on the world. He slowly makes the piggy part of the Piggy Tales logo as cops try to chase him down, but he pulls off a Looney Tunes moment right at the end. The cops all try to break through, but it doesn't work that way. And man, this police pig is such a freaking genius. He turns the door into a jail cell and they all literally just walk away. This man dug his own grave. I really like that ending. That's like the best final joke this season has had. 2 S tiers in a row. What a comeback. When will you learn that light bulb humor isn't funny? How many times do I have to freaking tell you? It's straight up the exact same scenario from Hard Day's Light with the same pigs and everything. I generally had to check to make sure these were different. One pig offers up TNT again, but the other's like, come on, too predictable. Now, rockets? Rockets are something they would never see coming. The pig launches way too far, completely missing the light, so the other more sensible pig just fixes it himself. Of course, the rocket comes back, and it knocks out every lamp on the street. I mean, yeah, this was better than the first one, but man, it's just not funny. D tier. This pig's job is to paste paper on a billboard, but well, today's just not his day. The paper falls, he almost falls, and when he grabs his broom, he gets paste on his hand, sticking the broom and the controller for the crane to him. We see him move all around and attempt to free himself, which is honestly pretty amusing. In a final freakout, he ends up creating a beautiful art piece, but really not solving his problem. I'd say this was one of the better executed episodes of the season, but not good enough for that top tier. A it is then. It may shock you, I really can't quite believe this myself, but there's only one more episode after this. Maybe now is a good time to say this was a huge workload for me, and will end up going much smoother than the Toons video, my entire month of November and a little December was almost nothing but Piggy Tales. I have lived and breathed Piggy Tales to make this thing. And honestly, I don't ask this often, but please consider liking and commenting on the video if you really enjoyed it. Even sharing it with other fans of Angry Birds would be really nice. Alright, let's finally wrap this video up. I really couldn't think of a better way to do that than having one final alien episode. Rather than just one UFO, we're seeing a full-on invasion today. This worker pig has pissed them off and they chase him into the sewers. After a mild probing session, I presume, he escapes and traps him underground. But, and I kid you not, they call in a mothership that is bigger than the world, and the ship abducts and shrinks the entire planet. In any other episodic show, I wouldn't bat an eye, but this thing has shown time and time again there is continuity throughout the seasons. So this really happened? The world of Piggy Tales is inside of a UFO forever then? You know what? That seems pretty fitting. That's a pretty crazy ending, but sadly I wasn't overly blown away by this last alien episode. Let's put it in A and move to the last goddamn Piggy Tales episode ever. I've been working on this video for so long that it feels like pigs would fly before I finished it. And what do you know, it looks like I was right. That isn't even the most surprising thing about this episode though. Check this out. Yep, pigs can sing. In English. Generally more impressive than flying. This finale really acts the same as the others did, but the song kept it a bit more uplifting. We see all of our favorite pigs like the robber, the cupid, and ghost hog, and all of our favorite locations like the basketball court and all of the other great locations. We witness one last pig sacrifice himself for no reason other than to put up a nice The End sign with fireworks. I don't know if I've said this enough, but just having an ending for this show is really nice after watching Angry Birds Toons. That last episode was great, but finales can really be special. Now I wouldn't say this is my perfect finale. I would have loved to see them reference the older episodes too, since it's the end of the whole thing. Even just passing by some billboards showing some of the scenarios from the earlier seasons would have been nice. And it would not have been hard to include the theater from season 3 in this episode. But it suffices, I suppose. This really was not an amazing episode. The song was really strange, honestly. But who cares? It's over, people. Piggy Tales can have one last A tier. What, you thought I was gonna say S? I'm not that charitable. Piggy Tales is unlike anything I've ever watched before. Going into it, I assumed nothing could come close to beating my enjoyment of Angry Birds Toons. I've always had a preference to not only the birds of the series, but just 2D animation in general. Besides, Toons had a ton of great Pig episodes already, so why does Piggy Tales even exist? Well, we've all seen it now, and I think it's pretty clear why it's so beloved. Each minion pig is basically the same, but the way they interact with everyday items and problems is always a blast to see. The pigs are dumb, the pigs are ugly, but most importantly, they're just lovable. We start with Season 1 with an amazing CGI claymation style. The pigs are so expressive, the world they live in is so unique and mysterious, and the silly humor is just as perfect as it could be. Then in Season 2, they go to work, and we see just what happens when the pigs attempt to be productive. It almost always goes wrong, but that's what keeps us entertained. Then the Angry Birds movie released, and the pigs took on a whole new style. Sure, they put on a few performances and completed some insane stunts, but really the third act was just a mix of fun concepts and, well, some pretty bad ones. And finally, 4th Street expanded their world into an entire city. Pigs of all shapes and sizes were able to live together and experience the urban lifestyle together. They also decided to continue their not-so-great episode concepts, but at least there were a few more good ones left in the bunch. But seriously, how many shows do you know of that almost completely change in every season? Not only themes, but animation styles? I really can't think of any show like it. And somehow there were narratives, characters returned, endings were treasured. It made this unique series just that much more special. I love pigs, Charlie! I love pigs! So that's what I think of Piggy Tales. It's a really special series. Nothing will ever be like it. And I'm really glad I got to reconnect with it again, one last time. For real, I'm never watching this again. I loved it, but man, this thing took forever. These are my personal takes, and I would love to hear your favorite and least favorite episodes as well. Who cares if we have different opinions? If you love something I hate, then more power to you. If you really feel like putting each episode on a tier list, don't bother trying to download every title card and uploading them to Tier List Maker. On my Patreon, for just $5, you can make this tier list super quick, plus any other tier lists of mine. Plus you get early access to my videos, plus it supports me and my videos, so really it's a win-win-win sort of deal. I already shouted out my members, you can join my Discord if you want, and I guess I can finally quit talking now. You guys really listen to me talk for that long? Look down at the red time bar at the bottom. You really spent that long listening to me? I'm too old for this. Angry Birds Stella is the perfect cap to a trilogy of Angry Birds TV series. Angry Birds Toons was the necessary introduction, featuring our favorite birds and pigs in that classic 2D style. Then we got Pigs Being Pigs with the Piggy Tales series, that had a unique theme and complete shift in art style each season. And now we are back to the birds with a brand new flock, a brand new animation style, and an overarching narrative. Oh, and also this is clearly targeted towards a female demographic. But I don't care. I say any and every gender should be allowed to enjoy a good TV show. This series is very highly regarded, and tons of people who grew up with the series remember it very fondly. I personally have not watched it since it originally released, and I truly remember very little of it. I know Stella and her friends always get up to wacky hijinks, I know we have a girl boss villain Gale, and I know there's some simp pig that will be very enjoyable to make fun of through the video. So we're here today to discover, is the show any good? How does it end? Is there a sex episode? We'll find out together, as today we are ranking every episode of Angry Birds Stella. Each episode is a little longer than Piggy Tales and Angry Birds Toons were, but there's significantly fewer episodes to go through. A short and sweet 2-season run with 26 episodes in total. I am so relieved to hear that. About 1 year ago, I covered the entirety of Angry Birds Toons, and it was a nightmare. I didn't realize how strictly copyrighted the show was, and it led to a mess of a final product. Thankfully, through ranking Piggy Tales, I now know that freeze frames are the way to go. It's not ideal, but it captures scenes of the show, including funny frames you would never have seen otherwise, and it makes the video copyright free. It also means a lot more work on my end, so please like this video and maybe even become a member if you appreciate me making this. Listing the episode titles is a much simpler task today, but we still gotta do it. These title cards are like my favorite part of the whole show. The episodes we're ranking today are A Fork in the Friendship, Bad Princess, The Golden Egg, Rock On, The Runaway, All That Glitters, Pig Power, Own the Sky, The Prankster, Piggy Love, The Portrait, Don't Steal My Birthday, To the Bitter End, New Day, Friends Whenever, Night of the Bling, Step It Up, Camp Scary, It's Mine, Royal Pains, The Storm, The Golden Queen, Gilded Cage, Premonition, Last Bird Standing, and You Asked For It. Without further ado, let's find out which of these episodes are as perfect as Stella, and which ones make me wish I was a smart fella. Let's start with Season 1, Episode 1, A Fork in the Friendship. But real quick, I want to look at this theme song. Angry Birds Toons and Piggy Tales kind of just have a little jingle, but as an attempt at a more typical TV show style, the theme song is completely extended. Not only does it give us a quick and simple idea of each individual character's personality, but our first look at this new art style. They went all out on this intro, with vibrant streaks of color in every frame. It opens with the main two characters as the focus. Stella, our titular protagonist, and Gale, the soon-to-be antagonist. The side characters each get a much smaller segment, but each of their roles are stereotyped in a couple seconds each. Poppy likes music, Willow likes art, Dahlia likes science, and Luca is a freaking baby. It's always nice to be known as a guy who cries and nothing more. We even get to see them all using their in-game powers at the final screen, which is really cool. Still, as the first episode, this is really the only hint of what these characters are like, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We open on Stella waking up in the group's treehouse, which is massive and incredible by the way, and everyone seems ready to go out on an adventure. Except classic Gale. I love that her room is just 2 mirrors and a massive portrait of herself. They pamper her and tend to her every need before Gale is willing to cooperate. You can immediately see that she is really the odd one out of the group, and if we're being honest, a huge brat. She makes Stella go get her parasol for her. She's got some nerve. They all seem mostly happy still, until once again, Gale would rather hit the beach than go for a hike. They part ways, which you'd have to imagine this happens like literally every day, right? How can this be the first time something like this happens? Well, Gale has certainly never fallen to her death and ended up in a creepy part of the woods. Something glowing catches her attention and she finds a golden crown and an old book. This is such a cool setup, honestly. And I love that we don't yet know where these have come from and who could have left them there. We then see our very first pig. The pigs seem more head empty in this series than they usually are. Gale looks terrified of their cult worshipping, and it makes me wonder if any of the flock has even seen a pig before now. The important thing here is that it seems like the pigs have been trained to be loyal to the crown, regardless of who's wearing it. Gale returns to the group and Stella is really happy to see her. It seems they have a very conflicting relationship, and I wonder if Gale is always such a brat. The flock really doesn't care about Gale's crown, and she's visibly upset by that. All Gale wants is to be worshipped, to be pampered and waited on at all times. And our friends have had enough, especially Stella. They don't want to be mad at Gale, but she literally burned their tent down. I don't blame them. As Gale storms off, the pigs return, and Gale finally meets the friend she's been waiting for. At this point in the series, it really feels like Gale does not care about the flock, and the pigs are fulfilling everything she wants from people. and so she ditches her family and rides out with the pigs on her new throne. As the first episode of the series, I am a tiny bit conflicted on my thoughts. I really like what it's setting up, especially the lore behind this crown, what's in the book, and where the pigs are taking her. Gale has the full spotlight, and we get to see her entire villain backstory here. But that's the thing. Why is she a villain? Her friends yell at her once and she decides to rule an army of pigs against them. Are we truly meant to just assume Gale was born a horrible person? Because that makes empathizing with her and Stella pretty hard. Stella is angry but sad to lose her friend, but this is probably the most cut and dry toxic relationship in the history of media. Why wouldn't I be glad that Stella and Gale aren't friends anymore? I suppose we have a lot more episodes for them to fix that, but as it stands, it feels like they should have had a bigger fight between the two for her evil side to come out. The other birds might as well not exist in this episode either. They are the same characters so far, but I understand in only 6 minutes you can't give them all a proper introduction. Hopefully we see more of them soon. But otherwise, I was quite impressed. The animation isn't as good as the theme song, but there are some really beautiful scenes here. Sometimes the landscapes look barren or the character animation isn't done amazingly, but it's a cool style and definitely stands out from the other series so far. I'm enjoying the longer runtime too. It was much less chaotic and fast paced than Piggy Tales, that's for sure. I'm assuming this won't be addressed, but it would be cool for the show to either introduce how Stella ended up with the main Angry Birds flock before or after the events of this show. No way they'll do it, but I kinda assume in my head that this is taking place before then, which either means her friends all die or she abandoned them, both very sad. I'm intrigued to see more and only have a few gripes for Gale's character at the moment. I say we start out with a solid B tier. Next up is Bad Princess, and while I was kinda expecting to pick up where we left off, instead we watch Stella just do some acrobatics for a while. She hears commotion and is excited to see Gale is back, only to be jump scared by Poppy. Through some photos on the wall, we see a bit more of Stella and Gale actually getting along. They're really getting along in the bottom photo. Through other media like Angry Birds, we've seen Stella and Gale portrayed with a more romantic relationship, but I assume in this show it probably won't get so serious. Anyway, so while Light starts freaking out, they see a tree getting cut down. The pigs have gone full Lorax mode, and we get our first introduction from the handsome pig. That's not meant to be a compliment, apparently that's his name. He looks insanely weird in this episode, and quite frankly, the opposite of handsome. Stella starts beating up the pigs so they attack back, and each of the birds do a move similar to their powers in the game, which is a nice touch. Well, except Dahlia. If she teleported here, I'd be pretty freaked out. Handsome Pig gets hurt and cries like a beautiful baby, and we can clearly see that his hair is trying to compensate for something. Stella follows him up to the mountain to the source of all this deforestation, a brand new castle. Apparently priority number 1 was to make a huge statue of Gale. It made me laugh when Gale literally spat on Stella like a peasant. Handsome Pig and his army throw Stella out, so she sadly makes her way home. The rest of the flock is messing around and making fun of the Handsome Pig. Something I really liked was at the beginning of this episode, Stella makes Poppy remove her hat because Gale wouldn't want her touching her stuff. But now that Stella has seen the castle and knows Gale ain't coming back, she goes and gets the hat out of spite. Poppy notices and they go to cheer her up as the episode ends. I definitely liked this episode less than the first. It was cool to see the pigs in full force building this new castle, and the fight scene was alright, but it really didn't have a focus. The only through line I can think of is Stella hoping for Gale to come home, only to give up on it by the end. It felt pretty weak to me, but certainly not hard to watch or anything. I'm saying D tier. Okay, before we get into the golden egg, I'm only 3 episodes in and my recommended videos are immediately cursed. I don't know what larva is and I don't want to find out. Do not let your kids watch YouTube, people. I'm begging you. The 3rd episode brings the focus back on Gale and just what is in that book she found. They're hinting that Gale misses her friends. She still loves being a piggy princess, but it's far from perfect. Her chef pig sucks at cooking, her artist pig sucks at painting, and the handsome pig sucks at being attractive. We see Gale read through the book, and it seems to be more of a prophecy than a story. The golden egg is shown within a giant tree. Looks a lot like Stella's treehouse, And a previous king pig using the egg to turn a rock into riches. Gale wants to use the egg to make a huge castle and make all her friends admire her once again. I really love this art style here. I'd love to see more little segments like this in other episodes. Some pigs are messing around and they break Gale's statue. And it falls into a volcano. I actually didn't realize this was a volcano before now. It's nuts to build a castle up there, but alright then. We all expect Gale to freak out, but she realizes the golden egg is probably in the flock's tree. And immediately we can see she's obsessed with that thing. Gale and the pigs arrive to cut their tree down, and of course the flock is against it. Luca, being the innocent kid he is, immediately runs up and hugs Gale, which was a certified hiking wholesome moment, and I will be giving it my Reddit gold. The two groups duke it out, but clearly the car with the huge saw attached to it is gonna win. They're really setting up Poppy to be annoying, by the way, and it's really working. I hope they make her less annoying later on. But the reason for this is to set up her gong powers, and using a massive hammer on it sends a shockwave down the tree, destroying Gale's machine. It destroys Poppy's gong though, which is meant to make me sad, I think? Maybe I'm just heartless. I also really want to see them cut down the tree and eat bird soup for dinner too. Gale retreats very grumpily, but the handsome pig reveals another clue to the prophecy. Hold on a second, she didn't read the whole book? How many pages are we not being shown? She literally could have just turned the page. What an illiterate imbecile. Speaking of imbecile, I'm too stupid to figure out this clue, I think. Maybe there's a cave underneath the tree, so the egg isn't actually in the tree, but below it? Not sure, but Gale laughs her evil laugh as the episode ends. I enjoyed getting to follow up on this mysterious book. This is like the baby version of the journals from Gravity Falls. We also have a much better idea of what the story of the show is going to be. Gale wants the egg at all costs, and the flock has to stop her. It's also cool that they repurpose the eggs that the pigs usually hunt for, with the goal more fitting for Gale. It would be weird to see Gale stealing Stella's unborn children or something. I still left the episode feeling like it was missing something. A lot of stuff just sort of happened, and then the episode ended. Let's hope the episodes start getting a bit better. I'm saying C tier. We finally have our first episode focused on someone other than Stella or Gale. And of course, they chose Poppy. At least she has a chance to redeem herself here, cause so far, I'm not a big fan. Guys, I swear to God, I'm not racist towards the Yellowbirds. It's just a coincidence, I swear. The gang has a little band going, but their broken gong is really messing up the vibes. Stella tries to fix it, only making it much, much worse. Apparently Luca is a sound-making wizard? Poppy does not hesitate to beat the baby on the head, and honestly, that's the first time I related to her so far. Poppy won't let it go, so Dahlia uses her inventing prowess to create a self-playing drum kit, with a gong-sized cherry on top. Poppy goes way too hard, overworking the band and exploding her new drums. I am telling you she's a Chuck stand-in, to a T, dude! This time though, it's her job to cheer everyone else up, using random items around the treehouse to make her own DIY instruments. The band reunites, and at this point, I honestly had really enjoyed the episode. I am typically a sucker for these story-based episodes and really don't care about the filler ones, but so far it was the only attempt at giving multiple characters something to do. I like seeing Dahlia and Luca have some spotlight moments alongside Poppy, and the gang all got along nicely. But then the episode kept going. Poppy takes it too far again, and rather than learning her lesson or something, she literally plays all night, and when Stella tries to stop her so they can go to bed, she just ignores her, and the episode ends! Are any of these characters friends, dude? Next thing I know, Poppy's gonna join Gale and become our next villain. That would honestly be cooler than the real answer that is yes, this was meant to be endearing. I am seriously not a fan of Poppy at the moment. She seems just as careless as Gale towards her friends' feelings. All they had to do was make Poppy learn her lesson and stay on tempo with her friends, and I would have given it a B tier. But they ruined it with the ending, and now they have an F tier. I hope they're happy. Now it's Luca's turn. He's been playing in the mud, and now the flock needs to convince him to take a bath. He isn't convinced, but as soon as food is involved, he follows the trail like a pie on a windowsill. He's really mad about the bath, so he runs away, I guess. Seems like a logical conclusion to that scenario. Anyways, out in the woods he finds some pigs just being pigs. I love me a good pig rolling around in the mud and oinking! And honestly, I can't think of a time Angry Birds pigs actually played in the mud before. Seems like that should happen more often. Luca obviously joins them. He blows a fart bubble so big it lifts a pig in the air. The pigs decide to bring him back to the castle, and Gale is actually really happy to see him. They even make him a little throne and give him a bunch of junk food. Imitating Gale, he wears a cupcake like his own little crown. Gale sees him making fun of her, and she is pissed. Her mouth is so big it takes up half the freaking screen. Luca heads out with the pigs just to see they take baths too. He runs out screaming and gets lost in the creepy woods. These strange creatures follow him. I have no idea what they're meant to be. He sleeps out in the cold away from home. Stella and the gang realize he's gone and go searching for him, only to find him sound asleep on the deck. These creatures are just good Samaritans? Luca's real parents? Reverse kidnappers? Who knows, but Luca decides to take a bath on his own this time and laughs like a little menace, and it ends? Again, it seems like the clear message is he learned his lesson and taking a bath is better than sleeping out in the cold, but that weird laugh at the end makes it feel like he didn't learn a damn thing. Either way, I think this has to be my favorite episode so far. I really liked when Luca was with the pigs and Gale. It was a fun dynamic that I wasn't expecting to see. Everything else was pretty random though, and I cannot imagine we will ever learn more about those two weird creatures. I could be wrong, but I guess we'll see. I like it the best, so I guess that means we have our first A tier. We start this episode with a little shark creature, which is cute and I liked it. We're back to the golden egg storyline, and it looks like they found this cave they showed in the book. It's a pretty long fall, and all the pigs are too scared to take the plunge. We start to see our first hints at the handsome pig's true identity, the simp pig. From now on, we're calling him the Simp Pig, so get used to it. Gale knows he's obsessed with her and uses this to her advantage, but despite Simp Pig being a massive simp, he still can't do it. Gale straight up jumps in. They should have made her cliff jumper in Angry Birds Transformers. The rope isn't attached to anything and Gale is now stuck at the bottom of the pit. The pigs find it pretty funny, but Simp Pig is freaking out. He sees Stella paragliding and goes for help. Meanwhile, Gale begins to explore the cave. There's more drawings on the wall, but they seem more decorative than anything. This pig is literally just surfing. She sees what looks to be the golden egg, but that would be too easy. Something else catches her eye though, a glowing green gem. She rips it out but sets off the green gem's guardian, and we literally get a FNAF jump scare. Simp Pig has gathered Stella, Luca, and Poppy to help make a rope to save Gale. They're reluctant, but of course they're gonna help her. The skunk-looking creature protects the gem from Gale, but she's persistent. So much so that she gets skunk sprayed in the face. Or this thing just farted, it's hard to tell really. The rope is completed just in time for Gale to make her escape, and she makes it out with the gem. She's rattling Stinky Steve with that stench though, and only the Simp Pig can bear it. The ending joke is that she's lost her crowns, so she shoves Simp Pig into the pit to retrieve it. But whoopsies, it was just on her tail the whole time. Guess that's what he gets. This certainly won't be the first time this pig gets treated as the punching bag. Once again, I enjoyed this episode, but I don't really see the point in anything that occurred. It was a way for Gale to get the gem and wasted 5 minutes and 59 seconds of my time otherwise. I didn't hate anything here, it just really wasn't all that funny or entertaining. I really hope this golden egg story will go somewhere cool after all these episodes of build up. I'm putting this one in C. Going back to our character spotlight episodes, Dahlia is up next in Pig Power. She's made her greatest creation yet, a massive bridge for her and her friends. But the flock isn't capable of making it, trying to have a beach day, and honestly, don't really care. What a great friend group this continues to be. Dahlia's got the smarts, but needs the manpower. If only there was a species known for just that ability. I think this is such a great use of the pigs in the storyline. They are consistently shown to be proficient builders. They probably won't even need that blueprint to make a massive bridge. It's a very smart concept, and I was happy to see it. Dahlia notices that the pigs will do whatever Gale asks, so she whips up her own Gale disguise to fool the pigs. Gale takes a nap and forces Simp Pig to stay the freak away, just in time for Dahlia to come in and take charge. While the pigs get to work, we get this very funny flirting scene. I think that's the first time I've laughed watching the show so far, so good job, Simp Pig. He saves Dahlia from some brain damage, so she gives him a little smile as thanks. A clear mistake, now he's getting pushy and it's pretty uncomfortable. Thankfully, the real Gale comes back to take the pigs away before the bridge is completed. Dahlia tries to get their attention, but Gale gets pissed and destroys her costume. Simp Pig's reaction to this is so funny. Mama! It sounded like he said mama, and if that's true, I don't like the implications of this relationship. Dahlia seems to finish the bridge all on her own, surprising Stella and the gang. As they go to cut the celebratory ribbon, it looks as though the pigs weren't quite as finished as they thought. I wouldn't say this is the perfect episode, but it had some generally fun moments, and so far the pigs and Dahlia are my favorite characters to follow along with. The story made sense and used all of its characters well. I do feel as though there wasn't much of a conflict or climax of any sort. 1 second Dahlia's in charge, the next the pigs have left and it doesn't even matter. Sadly, I don't think the show's story structure is going to improve. And I hope I'm wrong, but 7 episodes in and I felt the same way in every single one. This is my favorite so far, and I think we just need to hold out hope that there will be something better. We are closer than ever to our first top tier placement, but for now, we'll be stuck with A tier. Oh in the Sky features Stella trying to paraglide and Luca cheering her on. We literally saw her paraglide in another episode, so I don't really understand the problem. She goes higher and higher, reaching the top of a massive waterfall. She seems a bit nervous at first, but just like that, it's finally working. Until she looks down. You're telling me you're afraid of heights, but you're paragliding? She flung herself way higher up in a previous episode without a problem. You live in a treehouse for corn's sake! She loses control, brushing past Poppy and Willow and bouncing off the tree near Dahlia. She crashes in the forest and seems to be pretty hurt. They put one of Icebird's relatives on her head and everything. They fix up her paraglider, but she clearly has PTSD from the experience. Also, they put bandages on her hair, which is just a confusing concept to me. Are there bones in those things? Does she have blood in those 3 arcs of hair on her head? I don't want to think about this anymore. We need to move on now, please. She visits Dahlia but messes around and blows the place up. She yells at Stella, triggering her flashbacks. Flying kites with Poppy and Luca was obviously a bad idea, and painting with Willow leaves her with this insane portrait. What the hell? Stella's like way better at painting than Willow. She made that in 5 seconds. But her friends start to realize something might be wrong. You think? So they decide to emotionally manipulate Stella into thinking Luca is in danger, so she will paraglide again. Her urge to save her friend conquers her fear of flying, and she makes it. Dahlia shows Stella the monster wasn't real, and she's visibly mad about it, but to be fair, it did work. This is harder than the trolley problem. Is manipulating your friend into getting over her fear morally sound? I feel like the obvious answer is no, but the episode seems to lean the other way. Let me know what you think. Stella's been important to a lot of episodes, but really hasn't had much of a personality before now. I think the concept they came up with for her was pretty good, and gave each of her friends a decent purpose too. That's like the most we've seen of Willow in the entire show so far. It wasn't really good or really bad, so C tier it is. We're back to Poppy time. Make me wish Chuck was freaking here instead. Especially because now she's a prank YouTuber, gluing all of Dolly's belongings to the ceiling for clout. The gang thinks it's funny, but I'm sure they'll think otherwise when it's their turn to be pranked. Luca and Willow are her next victims, getting pushed off the edge of the treehouse, smeared through paint, and somehow surviving. How is this even a prank? That's just bullying! Willow basically starts crying, and Poppy and Stella just laugh hysterically at them. I am continuing to understand more and more why Gale became a villain if she had to deal with stuff like this on a daily basis. Stella knows it's her turn to get pranked and is anxiously paranoid with whatever Poppy's up to. This water seems to be fine, and she is really thirsty, so she takes the bait, and gets covered in red feathers looking like a modern day Ruby. The gang is fed up, and Poppy catches them setting up a prank against her. She lets it work, pretends to cry, and sets off her own trap, pranking everyone once again. They're so angry they just straight up kick her around, covering her in a little bit of every prank she pulled off on them. As a prankster, she loves the craft, and finds this amusing rather than being sad about it, which is honestly one of the better endings they could have chosen for this story. These weren't amazing pranks, some were just outright mean and hurtful, but it did make everyone angry, which is really all that needed to happen. I don't really like watching a group of characters get beat up for 6 minutes straight, but I must say this episode had a proper story featuring every bird and a decent ending, which a lot of episodes so far haven't achieved. I still do not like Poppy, but this is definitely better than our last episode. D tier. Guys, is it finally happening? Could it really be? The sex episode too? I'm not gonna get my hopes up because this is a kid's show. Then again, so is Angry Birds Toons, so we'll see. Speaking of Angry Birds Toons, we got an episode towards the end of that show with Matilda and King Pig having a romantic connection, and on paper a bird and pig relationship sounds pretty weird. I actually think those two characters were fit for each other. All that is to say, this is clearly a Gale and Simpig story, so there is precedent for this sort of thing already. This shot of the castle on the volcano peak is really cool as the opening to the episode, but then we get right into Simpig doing what he does best. They made it to the next step in the book, this pig-shaped rock. Simpig fails to open the entrance, but a random pig pretending to pick his nose with a stick stumbles onto the button to open it. Gale kisses the pig, she's so happy, and you just know how Simpig is going to react. He can't get over her. Keep it in your pants for a single second, dude. You can't be going into full fantasy mode every time you look at her. Apparently his fantasy is to kiss her and have her burp in his face. Strange kink, but you do you, buddy. They traverse through this strange part of the jungle where the plants seem to be alive. Simpig gets attacked by a butterfly and a sentient flower, and Gale couldn't care less. But then he sees it. The golden egg. The key to Gale's heart. If only he didn't go into fantasy mode, the other pig wouldn't have seen it too. He gets a second kiss, and Simpig is not happy. Don't mess with freaks like him, dude. This is how you get killed. And he does! I told you! Gale heads straight for the egg, but is stopped by some nasty looking plants, so Simpig takes the heroic action to sacrifice himself. Good riddance, honestly. Sadly, his massive toupee probably gets stuck in the plant's throat and spits him back out. We were so close, man! Gale does not care and goes for the egg, and as she's about to be attacked, Simpig saves her. Except they weren't going for Gale, they were grabbing the egg. I think it's safe to say he won't be getting that kiss anytime soon. Finally, I think we have an episode worthy of that top tier placement. It has funny moments, it furthers the main plot, and we see this loser get cucked through the whole thing. It's pretty clear Gale isn't going to fall for this guy, so we see the joke coming every time. But as of now, I still think it's pretty entertaining. I think after a few more episodes of this, it'll start to get old, but for now, I think it was handled pretty well. It is certainly not perfect, but I enjoyed it enough to give out an S tier. We are 11 episodes in, and Willow might as well have not appeared in the show yet. We know nothing about her, and she's hidden her hat more than she's actually appeared on screen so far. It is way past time for her own spotlight episode. She's painting a portrait of her friends, and they won't stay still. At the same time, we see Gale's painter pig still isn't very good at his job. She beats him up and throws his paint, making a pattern very similar to someone's favorite hat. As Willow's painting, she leaves to get more orange paint, only to be bird-napped. Gale forces her to paint by taking away her hat, and we can see her crazy hair underneath. I really hope they dive more into Willow's insecurities with her hair in the future, as I think it could make for a very relatable episode, and they're clearly setting it up here. She makes a great portrait, so Gale makes her work on a giant painting next. The pigs have plenty of paint, and Willow loves making art, so she actually seems pretty happy about it. We even see Gale strike a powerful pose, and unlike Stella and her friends, Gale will actually stay still for her. We move to a really fun scene, probably my favorite part of any episode we've seen so far. Rather than just having the painting done in a couple seconds like the show has in the past, we see her and the pigs work on it together. It's not so much like watching a speed painting, but we see Willow get along with the other pigs, and even teach the painter pigs some techniques. The pigs are having fun until Gale comes to see how it turned out. She loves what Willow has made, but still beats down on the painter pig for not being as good. Willow has finished her job and is told to leave, but on her way out, she gives the painter pig her own brush and makes a few tweaks to Gale's portrait. That's real art right there. I guess we now know what it would look like if Gale and Sid Pig ever had kids now. There is so much to love about this episode. Willow actually getting along with and treating the pigs nicely was really great, and as someone who has made art their entire life, I really connect with the message of the story. Someone's always going to be better at art than you, but that doesn't make your art bad. And you can improve and get better with positive reinforcement, not by someone putting you down. I'd also like to think the flock had to hold that pose the entire time Willow was gone. I think that would have been an even better ending to the episode to get to see that. This episode did everything right. My only complaint is that the brushes look really weird. S tier. We are reaching the end of the first season, so really all I can ask for from the penultimate episode is something to set up a big finale. Stella wakes up at the beach because, surprise, it's her birthday. There's a really great juxtaposition of Gale waking up completely alone. She sees them celebrating and sends a truck of pigs out to make it a real party. Crushing her friend's cake with a massive one was definitely a sign that things are going to go wrong very quickly here. Every part of this episode features Gale attempting to make the day all about her. She gets Stella a gift, but the picture has Stella looking weird next to Gale. I love the banners they made with the same idea. She gives Stella a massive cake, but blows out the candles. She rips open all of Stella's friends' gifts and tosses them aside. Okay, that one was much less backhanded than the others. They break out the dance floor, and seeing Simpig and his posse dance like this is kind of making me act up. I can't even deny it. Stella's pretty sad, but Gale actually attempts to get her to dance, which was surprising to see. They're getting along for the first time all season, and it really feels too good to be true. Stella has better dance moves, and just like that, Gale is back to jealousy. Acting out for attention, she tries a beautiful swan dive only to fall flat on her face. Luca, being an innocent little kid, takes her crown and makes Stella the dancing queen, and everyone freaks out. They know Gale isn't going to be happy. She destroys the party, ruining their friendship worse than ever and making Stella angrier than ever. Her friends are there to give her gifts from before, complete with a great photo of them all getting along from the party. So heckin' wholesome. I really feel that these last few episodes have been drastically better than the rest of the season. Maybe it's because we've gotten a chance to meet all these characters and they can now focus on the stories being told. Maybe they were just saving the best for last. But either way, I think this episode was handled very well. It shows that deep down Stella and Gale want to get along, but Gale needs to grow up and learn to let others share the spotlight. It's very much like Gale to steal someone's birthday, and I'm sure plenty of you out there can relate to a toxic friend doing the same. It really didn't set up the final episode like I hoped, and I don't think it was as good as the others in S, so let's give it an A tier. Well, we've made it to the bitter end. I don't think the last episode really set up anything other than Stella and Gale's current relationship status. Definitely is complicated. So let's see what a season finale looks like for Angry Birds Stella. Stella and her friends are collecting coconuts when they hear commotion from the pigs drilling into the side of the volcano. This cannot end well. Gale goes into the tunnel, and as the entrance is about to be blocked off, Stella goes in after her. I love the detail of Poppy trying to stop her. She knows Stella too well at this point. Inside the volcano, the two cannot get along even a little. They try to work together for 2 seconds and immediately begin to yell at each other. The lava around them starts to rise, and they climb their way out. The part I really liked about this episode is seeing the pigs and birds work together to save their friends. Sometimes it feels like Stella and Gale are the only things keeping them from getting along. As Stella and Gale make their way through, they make it to a bridge that leads them to the golden egg. I don't really see how it was in a forest a couple episodes ago, and now it's in a volcano, but alright then. The skunk returns to fart on them, and Gale likes it? And the skunk chews the rope holding the bridge. They run back, stranded on the wrong side. Stella gets an idea, and I was hoping they'd make a slingshot to get across, but instead Gale offers her cloak to make a paraglider. That works too, I guess. They work together, make it across, and share one happy moment, until Gale goes right back to golden egg mode. It's finally within her reach, but the place is falling apart and the lava will reach them at any second. The golden egg falls and Gale is still determined to take it, but Stella is going to be burned alive. In this moment she has to choose between her friend or the egg. And she chooses the egg. She says bye, but it literally sounds like she says die.
Die.
Which made me freaking ruffle on the floor. Well, you heard her, Stella. Time to die. But then Gale comes back? She's a way better prankster than Poppy. She pushes down a line of pillars and they're on the last sinking rock together. This is sadder than the ending of the Toy Story 3 movie. But rather than the almighty claw, we get the everlasting drill. They're saved! But Gale wants to have her egg and eat it too. Her greed is too strong and she grabs the egg and gets crushed and dies, and Bird's alive. Honestly, deserved. Stella still attempts to save her, but this time Poppy was ready, and they run out just in time. There's a beautifully animated egg-shaped puff of smoke at the top, and the episode ends. Imagine there wasn't a season 2, dude. So many children just witness Gale die, everyone is sad, and there's never a resolution. I have to assume Gale survives this somehow, but good job, Angry Birds, you made a season finale. It leaves us wondering, does Gale survive? What do the pigs do now? And just what would happen if someone did have the power of the golden egg? All questions I really hope get answered in season 2. Let's take a moment to reflect on this season before we rank it and move on to the next. I really enjoyed seeing Gale become the ruler of the pigs, and their constant hunt for the golden egg. I like that each member of the flock was probably introduced over these 13 episodes, even if some are clearly better than others. And by the end of the season, I really think they started to hit their stride. Most of the episodes felt pretty mediocre though. I mostly didn't hate any episode, it just kind of felt boring more often than not, in a way that makes the show a bit bland. It can be fun to hate on a bad show, and it's exciting to watch a good one. But a lot of boring and middle-of-the-road episodes makes it a bit forgettable, which may explain why I don't remember the show very well. There are certainly memorable moments, and I guess we'll just have to hope it gets better in season 2. We got a pretty action-packed finale here, really focusing on Gale and Stella in particular. I'm kinda over their shtick at this point though. They get along, but they hate each other, the straight-up definition of frenemies. Here's hoping they mixed up a bit more than that moving forward. Still, this was a good episode. I really can't complain. It told a good story, and it gave us a good ending. I'm saying S tier. Let's just go right into season 2. Stella hasn't given up hope on Gale, attempting to break into the volcano. There's a scrap of her decaying skin left on a rock, and that's about it. She's tearing up when she sees a Gale-shaped figure in the distance, only to find a pig stuck in a log. The pig is hungry, so she takes him back to the treehouse with her. I love that the other birds seemingly don't care much about Gale being gone. Good for them. But they are shocked to see a pig here. They refuse to let him in, which feels kinda racist, but alright then. Stella sneaks him in after the sun goes down and gets ready to feed him when there's a knock on the door. 2 more pigs showed up, must have been in a group chat or something, so they all eat and hit the hay. Stella's pretty happy with herself, but she's basically just spread a parasite. She manages to hide the pigs from Luca, but as she's not looking, the room gets packed full of piggies. They slide down to the rest of the gang, who are not happy. Stella's really defending the guys while the others want nothing to do with them. Then Poppy says cock for some reason, and they go their separate ways. It honestly feels like they're setting up Stella to take Gale's place right now. She actually tries bringing them back to the castle, but they go crazy and keep nearly hurting themselves. She's pretty fed up when they finally all fall asleep. She tries sneaking out, but the pigs need someone to look after them. They need someone like Gale. So it's a good thing she's alive? What an ending! I have a lot of thoughts. The first thing I want to say is that I think the animation has really improved. The shading seemed a lot better, Stella's facial expression seemed so much more, well, expressive, and the world looked a lot more detailed than it did before. I think, at least. I really hope we get to see more of this high quality animation. We have always seen the pigs following some sort of leader in every piece of Angry Birds media, so it's a really cool idea to show us what they'd be like without one. They're helpless, they would all die from starvation or stupidity. But we really only get to see that in one episode. I would have loved for Gale to be gone until like the halfway point so we can maybe see more like this. Maybe Stella helps the pigs in episode 6 rather than episode 1. But clearly they have a lot more they want to do with Gale, so I can't really complain. It was still a good episode with a lot of fun moments. S tier once again. Gale looks really messed up. Clearly she fought for her life down there. It's a little awkward due to her crown being gone, but I'm sure this bucket will suffice. But no, the pigs don't respect her anymore, which seems a bit weird. They followed Stella around just fine last episode. But Simpig is good at one thing and one thing only, so he agrees to help bring her to Stella on his own. Stella's really happy to see her, and Simpig basically says goodbye. Not something a stalker would typically do, but good for him. Stella and her friends begin nursing her back to health, and for now they seem happy to do it, but it's pretty quickly becoming just as demanding as it used to be. Like, immediately. A rusty wheelchair won't do, she needs a throne. During the night, we see she misses her castle, and she definitely misses her crown. Well, it's a good thing Simps never quit, huh? He's been searching for a crown, and he goes back to the volcano, digs past a dino skeleton and UFO, and finds it. Like, on his first try. That's some pig. Gale actually gets along with the gang pretty well. She's dressed herself up as much as possible, which annoys Dahlia still, but singing along with the band seems to win everyone over. But Simpig is rocking out in the corner, holding the crown. And that's all it takes. Gale doesn't even hesitate to ditch the group. She's completely healed and entirely evil just like that. We do get to see she feels a little bad, but not overly so. She'd rather be a princess, that's become clear. It was certainly an interesting return for Gale. Once again, I wish some things were given a bit more time. She went from injured and friendly to healed and evil within a few minutes. I also wanted to see how she survived and what happened in the volcano, but apparently that wasn't important enough to show. I also didn't like how quickly they were willing to spend time with Gale. They let her boss them around and only showed slight resistance. I wish the group would have been more cold to her, it just didn't feel right for their characters. It just wasn't exactly the return I'd hoped for and felt less focused than the others we've been seeing. Back to B tier it is. Halloween has come early in Angry Birds Stella, and we get this cool zoom through the different places and characters of the show. Apparently the flock is trick-or-treating, and Luca rings the doorbell of some creature? He's got a bag full of candy, so apparently they have neighbors we've never seen in the show. I do like everyone's costumes though, Willow's being the best objectively. They find some sort of ancient monument that Luke attempts to ring the doorbell on, only for some blinged up pigs and some voodoo guy to appear instead. Then the most cursed thing I've ever seen happens. He turns Dahlia into a pig! Other than Poppy, I do not want to see any more of whatever the hell that is. As they're running away, they pass Gale, whose group of pigs get blinged out too. Simp Pig and Gale attempt to escape, but Simp Pig is turned into... Damn, that's not a handsome pig, that's like Player Pig. Dahlia falls for him immediately, which I was not expecting. That was the scariest part of the episode so far. Stella finds Luca pigified too, with Willow following soon after. You're telling me that Poppy is the only one to not turn into a pig? I can only watch Dahlia and Simp Pig touch tips for so long, people. Stella and Poppy create a plan to distract the pigs so Poppy can destroy their source of power, their music. It seems to be over, but thankfully my wish comes true and he turns Poppy into a pig to play the music herself. She looks like freaking Pikachu Pig more than Poppy Pig, actually. We get our second FNAF jump scare from Gale, and they corner Stella, becoming the final pig. I genuinely was not expecting that. They dance all night and wake up back to normal. And guys, I think we might have gotten an off-screen sex episode between Dahlia and Simp Pig. My jaw freaking dropped, dude. Simp Pig is ashamed. He just cheated on his one true love. And just like that, the episode kinda ends. While it was a pretty fun episode, it was sort of all over the place. And the ending felt like a cop-out, other than seeing the two lovebirds making out. Somehow the worst part and highlight of the episode. Still, as a Halloween one-off, I think it was pretty good. I'm saying A tier. There seems to be some sort of trial to reach these berries on the tallest plateau, and Stella intends to do so. She grabs her chalk headband and attempts to meditate when Luca comes and interrupts her. She does some cool acrobatics, but still seems pretty far from making it to the end. She gets so close, but no cigar. She falls all the way down and gets this crazy crack on her head. She should definitely stop and absolutely seek medical help. She kinda just gives up and heads back to camp. If you look closely, you can see they forgot to give Willow her palette, so she's just levitating a little circle of paint. The group tries to cheer her up, but the moment is ruined when they see that Luca managed to get one of the berries. This kid's got skills. This just pisses Stella off. She doesn't even care that she looks like Harry Potter right now. She goes for it again, but does even worse this time, hitting her out on the side and falling to her death. Luca tries to give her his berry, but she declines, wanting to do it herself. Her friends try to stop her, showing it's not physically possible to pull off. She's gone Full Metal Chuck mode though, falling again and again all night. The drip is over, everyone's getting ready to leave, and she throws in the towel. Until a coconut falls and ricochets off a bunch of items, inspiring her for one more go. She destroys each pillar as she goes, taking each step perfectly and just barely reaching the top. She celebrates her victory, and so does Luca. Confused, she looks on the other side to see a staircase leading up to the top. Basically, a baby just outsmarted Stella. Anyways, as they're leaving, they see a banana tree in the distance, and here we go again. It's a fairly nice story of someone beating the odds and never giving up, it's just really not that exciting or interesting compared to the other episodes we've been getting. Stella is really the red of the group too. She has some hobbies and relationships, but not much of a character otherwise. So far, at least. But I do think this one was one of the better Stella-focused episodes we've seen. B tier. The scariest part about Camp Scary is that it is a Poppy-centric episode. Let's hope we can potentially redeem her, as there's not going to be another chance to do so, I'd wager. It's actually all about Poppy, Dahlia, and Willow, which I really like. Luca and Stella have gotten plenty of screen time by now. They seem to just be having a nice time camping together, other than Poppy trying to scare them at the beginning. But while they're sleeping, they hear something outside of the tent. Poppy laughs at the others for being scared and goes outside to see, only to see the bush move and run back. I love that they do not let her unzip the tent. They'd rather live than save Poppy. I'd definitely do the same. She takes the opportunity to play a prank on them, making a ton of noise, shaking the tent a bit, then acting like Ram Pig once they come out. They go back to sleep only to hear another noise, this time checking out together. When they reveal this weird little thing, the others find it cute while Poppy screams in terror. They feed it some marshmallows and it seems to like them. There's a distant roar, so they bring the little guy with to check it out. It leads them to a cave where the creature runs in and reunites with its massive mother. I think the thing is supposed to be scary, but man, it looks really weird and really bad. It reminds me of the monster designs from Amazing Digital Circus, all smooth and textureless. Poppy stayed outside because she's afraid, but the wind blows a branch into her and she runs for her life. And we have yet another reason to hate Poppy as a character. She pushes her friends into the cave, screams at the monster grabbing its attention, and immediately turns around and leaves her friends to die. Chuck looks like a saint compared to Poppy. As the monster gets ready to kill, Dahlia notices that they're guarding the golden egg, and we see her eyes change color after seeing it. I'm wondering if she's just as greedy as Gale, or if this thing put a curse on her or something. She runs straight forward only to be stopped by the monster, and Willow pulls her back, seemingly snapping her out of the trance. They narrowly escape, finding Poppy hiding in the tent back at camp. Rightfully so, they prank her this time, and she's a little sad about it until she eats a marshmallow. Easily won over, I see. The final shot shows them hiding in fear as they hear roaring in the distance. This was definitely the weakest episode of the season. It seems like a way to reintroduce the golden egg in the narrative with some of these smaller side characters as a focus and an attempt at a scary theme. Even though we just did Halloween a couple episodes ago. I do like Willow and Dahlia, but they didn't really seem in character here. Everyone was just sort of scared the entire episode. There wasn't much of a payoff to the weird monsters, the ending felt really abrupt, and I'm going to put it in F tier. The opening shot of It's Mine is probably the coolest part of the show so far. I really was not expecting the follow-up on Dale's encounter from the previous episode, but as shown in flashback, she's obsessing over the egg, with drawings all over her lab. She's become a mad scientist. Her plan is to take it Indiana Jones style, swapping out a fake golden egg for the real one. Returning to the cave from the last episode, she sets off an explosion to distract the monsters guarding the egg. She goes inside and makes the swap, not even caring that an alarm was set off. She sneaks past the flock, and through the audio you can hear Poppy is playing Angry Birds on her console there. Hold on a second. Poppy playtime? Dahlia takes the golden egg out and admires it, just repeating Eggna over and over to herself. Before she can do anything more, there's a knock on her door. Stella is there, worried about all the manic drawings scribbled around the room. She forces Stella to leave so she can begin her testing. The egg seems scientifically impossible, but the most important scene is when she tries to break it and her hammer turns to gold. And when it turns back and forth from gold to normal, we see a flower in the distance turning to stone and back. I have to assume this means when an object is turned to gold, another turns to stone. It always comes at a cost. That's a great idea, and I've got to hope they elaborate on it further. She continues trying to break it, but it seems pretty futile. Stella notices objects outside turn to stone, while Dahlia decides she's going to do a kamikaze move to break the egg. Stella goes out to her as she chants Eggna over and over, which is really cool, and then Stella finds it. The other birds stare too, and before Luca can be hypnotized, Willow covers his eyes. Stella tries to take the egg away, and Dahlia will not let it happen. She attacks Stella just to get it back. Thankfully, our favorite monster is here to take the egg away. The little guy breaks the fake egg over her head, and it seems to snap her out of it once again. But she looks like she's lost it or something, making random scribbles on the chalkboard and bashing it over her head. I'm not sure what to think about that, but that's how it ends. The idea of this episode is so great. We've only ever seen Gale interact with the egg, and now we know others can be hypnotized by it too. I always assumed Gale's eyes turning gold was a stylistic choice, but there might be more to it. They made Dahlia look nuts when she was obsessing over the egg, and clearly very out of character. Yet, I'm very glad they chose Dahlia to be the one in this situation. I wouldn't want to see Stella or Luca go after the egg, and as a scientist, we got to see her test how it worked. I have to wonder if we'll see more of Mad Scientist Gale, but I'm kind of thinking it ends with this episode. This just had so many great moments, I've got to put it in S tier. This episode opens with Simpig attempting to entertain Gale. From ballerina twirls to juggling bowling balls, nothing seems to work. Simpig decides to work on the part of the prophecy in the book in order to win Gale over. You can also see there's actually a drawing of Gale in the book, but I have to assume that's just a placeholder. Otherwise, this is literally Gale's destiny. This ritual seems to tie into the characters from the Halloween episode, which I honestly didn't expect. I figured that was a one-off thing. It doesn't start off too well, but they keep going anyways. The next step requires a boat, and here we see the same image of Gale in the boat, this time as part of his fantasy. Gale lets him join her on the throne, making him very excited, but she only wanted him there to fan her. Of course. The water appears very romantic, and it looks like this is now or never for Simpig to make his move. But while he's distracted freshening up, the ritual pigs tie up Gale and throw her into the boat. And that's when Simpig finally reads the rest of the prophecy. All these problems could be averted if someone just read the whole book at a single time, people! Simpig vaults into the boat in an attempt to save Gale, and manages to row her back to safety. He helps her out, and for a single second, Gale gives him a look of endearment. But he throws her, gets ready for his kiss, and it pans over to show Gale is not so happy about nearly falling to her death, getting tied up, and thrown across the floor. She throws him in the boat, and the pigs decide to complete the ritual with him instead. I'm assuming this will be the final Simpig focus episode. He tried for 6 minutes to get some sort of romantic moment with Gale, and clearly it's not happening. I've enjoyed these stories now and again, but this episode really just feels like a worse version of Piggy Love. I skipped over a lot of this episode in my recap just because there were a lot of moments that didn't really matter. At times it felt like they were attempting to fill their 6-minute quota. It just added nothing new or interesting, and the book prophecy didn't even make sense with the Golden Egg storyline. Looks like we've got yet another F tier. Stella is out collecting food, singing her theme song when she comes face to face with her worst frenemy. They basically have a 10-second long staring contest as the clouds above them get darker and darker. I'm starting to understand why this episode is titled The Storm. A lightning bolt crashes behind them and the log they're standing on begins to roll. Just before it falls, Stella manages to save both of them from falling into the big smelly crack. Stella finds a cave, but Gale seems to claim it for herself. Stella wants to stay outside under a leaf, but the storm freaks her out. Gale is refusing to let her pass, but a tree falls, knocking them both inside. Within the cave, there's a statue featuring none other than our favorite returning character, the skunk. Which reminds me, remember when Gale got that gem from the skunk? Guess that's never gonna go anywhere, is it? The skunk attacks, but Gale scares away with her perfume. And just like every Gale and Stella episode in the show so far, they get over the differences and share a nice moment together. But when Stella makes a bed for herself and Gale is helpless, we're back to hating once again. It truly never gets old, does it? Stella tries to share her food with Gale, but when the skunk takes one of her apples, Gale eats it all, and takes her bed. So we're back to the staring once more. Only this time they break the bed in half and have this crazy anime style fight scene with a massive explosion on impact. That's some great animation. This knocks the pig statue onto Gale's head, and while the skunk sprays her again and again, Stella notices the storm has passed. So she kinda just pieces out, and that's the end. Yet another weak episode of season 2 here. We've seen these two act the same way in so many episodes at this point. There's really nothing new added. It only recreates the countless scenes we've already had. The two being trapped somewhere and forced to work together was literally the plot of the season finale. We know the two have a love-hate relationship, and as the final season, it really sucks to waste an episode on something like this. There were a couple scenes I enjoyed enough to give it a very low D tier. Let's hope the season can redeem itself soon. Well, getting right back into the Golden Egg story is definitely a good sign. I was really hoping this was a flashback to what happened to Gale in the volcano, but it seems really nothing more than a nightmare. There is a truly insane scene where Simpig comes to see what was wrong, and Gale pulls up the covers as if he just saw her naked or something. And Simpig just makes a satisfied face. What a cool thing to do after violating your love interest's privacy. Get the hell out of here, Simp Freak! Gale decides to revisit the volcano, but will never get back in on her own. But she overhears Luca playing with his new friend, the little golden egg defender. They even have a golden banana to play fetch with. You can see her eye color change again, which continues to confirm there's some sort of trance going on here. She tries getting the banana for herself, but the creature is smarter than that. She is able to follow them home though, leading her right back to the one and only golden egg. Luca tries to warn her, but we know Gale is determined. She's easily able to distract the little guy and is once again reunited with her favorite egg. But she slips, waking up the mama monster. It looks like this is the end for Gale, but just before it can bite down, the egg touches one of its teeth and the monster turns to gold. She tries turning it back and pretty quickly changes her mind. The little guy tries to defend the egg, but you don't want to mess with Gale. This bird is crazy. And just like that, Gale has the golden egg. I will always nitpick that now Dahlia and Gale have been seen holding this egg and they are not made of gold. This is a clear plot hole and we should see them wearing gloves or using prongs to move this egg around. I love that they didn't say this for the last 2 episodes. We've been teased again and again about the power of the golden egg, and now that Gale has it and knows what it can do, things are about to go down. The poor little monster's mom is basically dead right now too, so there's no one capable of stopping her at the moment. I really hope to see her go crazy and take the egg's power to its full capacity. Still, as an episode, it really felt like it was setting up what's to come and nothing more. Not much really happened here, other than Gale getting the egg of course. I'm okay with giving this one a C because I expect the build up to pay off. There's no break here, we're jumping right in where we left off. I'm sort of realizing we might not be as dumb with Simpig as I thought, as we open with him getting a date ready for him and Gale. Great. Of course, Gale has found her true love. It's over for Simpy now. He tries bringing her flowers, but one of those weird butterflies attack him, pushing the egg onto the ground. We see Gale start to turn more things into gold, causing Simpig's flowers to turn into stone. I love that they're being pretty subtle about this detail for now, and hopefully it'll become a big problem as Gale gets crazier. She begins her tirade of turning things to gold, and Simpig is jealous all the while. She turns an entire section of the castle to gold, which evidently was too heavy for it to handle. A pig begins to cry. He probably had a wife and kids in that tower. This makes Gale mad, and she takes it too far. She turns one of her pigs into gold. Such an awesome moment. All the pigs around them fully afraid and understanding of what this means. Gale doesn't even care. She just took a life and it makes her feel powerful. We see her portrait again, which should have a pig snout, animators, where Simpig is finally accepting it's never gonna freaking happen. But just then the pigs run in, showing him what Gale has done. She's even stole his perfect date to be with the egg. And for the first time, this doesn't make him sad, this makes him angry. Never piss off an incel, trust me. The pigs sneak in to steal the egg, and it seems to be working until the net turns to gold. Again, plot holes, people! Gale picks up the egg 2 seconds later and she's not gold! She understands what was about to unfold, and we get the moment Simpig has been building up to since its introduction. We see a flash of gold as Gale laughs maniacally over her biggest fan. But for the first time in history, wearing a toupee actually worked out, and Gale seems to like it better now too. The golden hairpiece is clearly too heavy, but Simpig has been won over. He's back on Gale's side and the episode ends. I do think the show was building up to Gale turning Simpig into gold. It's sort of the dramatic moment that made sense for the show. But it is also a funny idea for his hair to save him. I wish he took the opportunity to run away, joining Stella for the final fight, but I don't hate this ending either. The moment she turns the pig to gold is really awesome, because you really feel the weight of what this means. I'll be curious to see how many more pigs she slaughters and if they'll end up fighting her in the end. Well, as yet another Handsome Pig episode, this was definitely better than the last, and continue setting up the big finale. Let's keep moving up the list. B tier. Thank God Willow gets one more episode. She somehow got an entire spotlight and still is one of the least used characters in the show. The episode opens with Willow exploring nature and coming across some friendly butterfly creatures, but looming in the distance is a familiar silhouette. With flashes of gold in the distance, we see flowers, nature, and even her butterfly friends turn to stone. She runs away, screaming as she herself turns to stone. The episode is called Premonition, and clearly she's just had one. She wakes up determined to check on the location in her dreams. Everything seems to be okay, relieving Willow, until something made of stone drops to the ground. But no worries, it's just our favorite painter pig back again. He's trying to chisel some rocks, and Willow shows him how it's done. She tries introducing him to some of the creatures, and they seem to be racist towards pigs at first, but quickly allow them to get close. I love the scene comparing Willow's sketch to the painter pig. Never change, man. Everything's going great until, right on cue, a flash of gold is seen and they all turn to stone. Even Painter Pig himself! Willow begins to panic as the world behind her is slowly covered in stone too. She brings the Medusified pig with her as a pack of creatures are seen running for their lives out of the forest. At the treehouse, her friends all assume Painter Pig was a project made by her. It was kind of funny to see them so overjoyed at a freaking corpse on a pedestal. Willow shows them what's really happening as the entire island is turned to stone. There's a horrifying scene of this poor thing fighting to escape it, but is incapable of surviving. Gale turns a set of plates for her and her friends to gold as all the butterflies in the sky turn to stone. And with a look of shock, the episode ends. I continue to be so happy seeing they're giving all this the proper time it deserves. Imagine the storyline being shoved into an episode or two, it just wouldn't feel right. I'm guessing they're not going to give Dahlia a chance to show the flock what's happening, despite the episode showing her discover how the egg works. Just one more episode where Dahlia sees objects turn to stone before the entire island has been taken over would have been great too. Like, why does Willow have this premonition? Wouldn't it make more sense for Dahlia to be the one to discover what's taking place? Don't get me wrong, I do like that Willow got another episode. I'm guessing we're not going to get to see more about her hat and her insecurities either, which makes me a bit sad. Does it not seem like they were setting that up? They even hint at it a bit in this episode. And it would have been great to see Willow gain her full confidence before the end. It still feels like a fitting use of her character here, and it definitely furthers the story in a great way. I was just hoping for more from Willow, that's all. Still feeling hyped thanks to all this build up. Let's give this one a B as well. We're basically in the apocalypse now, as the Stella gang struggles to find food. Just before they're able to share the last pineapple, Gale takes the chance to turn each piece to stone. They did it in a really fun way, as she takes a single flower for each piece as the birds take a bite one by one. Inside the castle, there's a massive feast waiting, with a very funny detail that Simpig keeps switching his table placement with Stella's. What a great touch. But this plan makes sense. Gale is destroying the island, giving her friends no choice but to join her. She meets them at the beach, using food to get them all to join. While everyone willingly gives in, Stella refuses. And as we all know, Stella's really the only one Gale wants to join her. But Gale also knows Stella loves her friends, so she takes the rest and leaves Stella behind. The castle has a huge party, but Gale isn't happy. Stella still hasn't given in. So Gale takes the only thing Stella has left, the treehouse. Stella begrudgingly joins them, and just like that, Gale's plans have been completed. Every good villain story shows the bad guys succeed. Gale needed to get this far, and now all that's left is our final episode. I do think this entire episode could have been done in a minute or two though. Again, we're getting hints of Dolly doing research here, and spoiler alert, this doesn't end up going anywhere! But this would have been a great chance to see her in action more. Maybe figure out a way to reverse the effects. Now we have to get through the entire conflict and resolution in one final 6-minute episode. Fingers crossed they pull it off. I'm going to put the second to last episode in C. You Asked For It is the season finale and last episode of Angry Birds Stella. Before we end the video, I just want to say it's been a really cool experience rewatching the show. It has a crazy different feeling from the other shows we've watched. Each episode ties into the next, making our binging experience that much more fun. I have definitely come to love the show and its characters, even if it may not compare to the best episodes of Toons and Piggy Tales, but still managed to create a self-contained story with brand new characters and lore, and has been a blast to revisit. They certainly set up more than they were able to follow through with though. The book and its prophecy barely mattered in season 2. We never found out where the crown and book came from in the first place, the green gem Gale stole from the skunk never mattered, the creatures that helped Luca were never explained, and Simp Pig never stopped simping. And I guess Dolly's one night stand with the guy was never brought up either, if you were hoping for that for some reason. The most important stories are definitely the golden egg and Stella and Gale's relationship, and it seems like those will be the main focuses of the finale, so that's good at least. Alright, now let's finish this thing. Stella is now at the party, allowing Gale to unveil the golden egg. She turns a plate of food to gold, but because it becomes much heavier, the pig drops it. Gale gets pissed and turns the pig to gold in front of everyone. It's then that Willow shows the group her pile of victims. Gale has gone too far, and now the gang is ready to take it back. Apparently, Gale decided to hit the hay immediately after this. I sort of assumed she'd want to party with Stella or, do something. How convenient for the flock. They do use Willow's hat, but not exactly what I was hoping for. Stella makes it into Gale's room, who hears her enter, but pretends to continue sleeping. Before Stella can grab the egg, Gale gets up and begins attacking Stella, turning random objects around the room to gold as she goes. Stella is cornered on the end of a plank as Gale gets ready to hit her next. The wood breaks for some reason, distracting Gale and moving the barrel to the roof. Stella is cornered for the last time, but thanks to a loose board, she launches the egg into the air, and before Gale can grab it, Stella finally takes it away. Gale, in a rush of anger, launches at Stella, and as she cowers in fear, Gale bounces off the egg, turning to gold. She falls, slamming into the ground below. Stella quickly rushes out to her, only stopping to free the golden pigs. Outside, the pigs are basically holding a funeral for Gale. Simp Pig is heartbroken, but Stella pulls her out, instantly ready to unfreeze her. But Poppy tells her no, and honestly, I would have loved that as an ending. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Poppy out of all characters, but I suppose she is pretty ruthless. But let's be honest with ourselves, Gale would be happiest as a gold statue forever and ever. Even the pigs tell her not to do it. Stella stops, making it seem like she's not going to do it, but of course she is. Gale is freed, and now looking at the egg, she runs away screaming. I wonder what happened in her head when she turned to gold. Simp Pig runs after her, and the rest of the pigs aren't far behind. From there we see the egg turns everything from stone back to normal too. And whoa, a slingshot? I can't believe it. I wonder what they're gonna... Wait, stop guys! Oh my god, what the hell are you doing? No! They're turning the sun into gold! I don't know what the hell these birds are thinking, but even if that doesn't hit the sun like it so clearly is going to, they're gonna turn the whole damn ocean into gold! Stupidest decision I've ever seen. Poppy must have came up with that one. The gang laughs, we see the painter pig is freed, and our favorite ugly creatures are the last things we see as the credits roll. An extremely rushed ending for sure, but it's nice I suppose. I wonder if there was going to be season 3, what they might have done. Maybe they'd keep the egg and explore it further. Maybe the focus would return to Stella and Gale, considering we do not see Gale again after she runs away that night. Like I said before, there was a lot of loose endings that never got resolved, with Gale and Stella's relationship seriously being a big one. Stella chose to say Gale in the end, sure, but she left with the pigs, and that was that. It's a very flawed show, that much is clear. This was definitely not what I was hoping for as a finale. I like the first seasons much better, but that's okay. Let's end our list with a fairly solid A tier. Angry Birds Stella was a very ambitious series for Angry Birds. They went all out from the gate, making 2 games, tons of toys and merchandise, and this fully animated TV show. 2 seasons of a fully animated TV show, with 13 episodes each lasting 6 minutes in runtime for a total of over 2 hours of animation for Angry Birds Stella. And it failed! As far as I've heard, Angry Birds Stella was Rovio's first real failure with this massive franchise. The show did alright and the games did okay, but compared to the other Angry Birds games, it was no contest. The Angry Birds Stella game was discontinued and Angry Birds Stella Pop was renamed to Angry Birds Pop, and of course the show never got a 3rd season. We never saw Poppy, Willow, Luca, Dahlia, or Gale ever again. Well, besides cameos and stuff. They all hugged that pedophile in the movie, remember? Angry Birds Stella had so much potential and clearly Rovio had big plans for it, so it's really sad this show might be the reason for it. A failure in the eyes of Rovio is not that it did bad, people didn't like it, or even that they were proud of it. None of those factors mattered to Rovio, if that wasn't clear by now. They want money! And the project wasn't capable of that. If it wasn't already obvious, Angry Birds Stella was targeted towards a female demographic. Pretty much every kid loved Angry Birds, but boys have always been a bigger audience for this series. But that's just a thing, right? Girls liked Angry Birds too, it wasn't like that was something exclusively made for one gender. And Stella was! It was overly pink, it was overly cute. And look at one of the toys I made for this series and you'll see what I mean. I think they messed up making it geared for one audience. Perhaps if Stella and her friends were put alongside the main Angry Birds cast, things could have been different, but let's be honest. Rovio gave it a fighting chance. Maybe they would have stuck with it, things could have improved, but who can say. But enough about all that negative stuff. As a show, Angry Birds Stella told such a cool story in the Angry Birds universe. We got to meet brand new characters on a completely different island with one of my favorite villains in the series. I don't think I can say it was better than the other 2 shows we reviewed, but I can say I really enjoyed it. It was fun following the story through the entire show, and getting to go more in depth with each episode thanks to the shorter runtime. Then again, this video did end up way longer than I initially intended. That's alright. I don't plan on covering any more shows Angry Birds has had. I'm sorry if you like Slingshot Stories or Angry Birds Blues, but I'm gonna be real with you, those shows are bad. They just are. Besides, this feels like a happy trilogy. I'm definitely going to make a video compiling all 3 tier lists into one massive compilation, so look forward to that I suppose. I will say I might rank every Angry Birds show in a video, since there is quite a few, so let me know if I should. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. These videos can be a real pain to make, so please leave a like and comment which video is your favorite for me. Thank you to my members for making these massive projects possible. If you want to see more like this, then please consider becoming a member of the channel today. Thank you Leland, Patrick Byerjean, Bright Streak, MD Switchy, Dolphin Rider H2O, Dojo Master, Lavatane, Jasper TV, Keep, Omegon, Galguy, Jep the Legend, Cheaper Ying, Gotham, Marie, Callum Ford, Dawnstar Plays, Peacock, OK, Cyro's Taken, Pika Girl for You, Crystal Creations, Cameron, Eric GD, Perskill Banana, Bo Vanderland, Mora Mora, Checky, Eduardo Santiago, Green Man Yeah, Batty LV, and Mr. Odell.
And stuff happens sometimes.
I'm planning to have this video and the huge every sunflower ever video to work on while I'm camping for a week, so let's hope I don't burn myself out making 2 massive videos back to back like that. Who am I kidding? All my videos are massive these days. Almost as massive as that picture of Chuck from my Angry Birds Friends video. Ah, good times.
La. La. La.